Jiang Ming's inner world is now a true parody, a power no imminent immortal should possess. With 50 heavenly immortals descending on the Zhuyang sect, his secret will be tested. Leave a like and subscribe to witness the ascension. Jiang Ming looked up the girl's status in the human path records. Name Lu Xin, 5th Immortal Moon. Race human, gender female, cultivation base, Qi cultivation background. The youngest daughter of the Lu clan, 5th clan of the Yin-Yang small chiliocosm. Note, Heaven Reincarnation Hall's beneficiary, one of the members of the 5th squad. Relationship, -28 innate talent, immortal. Innate Taoist body. Status, originally a Heaven Reincarnation Hall's beneficiary. She and her teammates accepted an SSS grade mission to destroy the Zhuyang sect. She was the child of a concubine, but her birth was accompanied by great heteromorphism, and she was persecuted. Although her life was spared, her core was damaged. Suffering many ailments, she struggled to survive during her childhood. By chance, she was invited to join the Reincarnation Hall as one of the beneficiaries and used her wisdom to obtain great opportunities time after time. Not only did it make up for her shortcomings, but it also increased her cultivation step by step. The Reincarnation Hall posted an SSS grade mission and she was tempted by it. She planned that once she received the rewards from completing the mission, and coupled with her years of boundless accumulation of cultivation, she'd step into the peerless immortal Tao. She could even excel on the path toward immortal. She planned on returning to her clan one day to take her revenge. She understood that there was a high probability that the whole team would be decimated in an SSS grade mission. She knew she had to be extra careful along every step of the way. Upon descending to this world, she separated herself from her teammates and used an immortal weapon to cut off any connection with the outside world. After arriving at Immortal City, she evoked a supreme special ability to merge herself among the commoners, covered up her tracks further, and waited for the other teams to investigate the strength of the Zhuyang sect before making the next move. When she looked through the system's list and saw her teammates killed overnight and the numbers of beneficiaries that descended into the world declining drastically, she was horrified. She suddenly understood that it was impossible to hide like this and that she would surely be found out. By then, her death would have been imminent. However, she could not forcefully return to her world, and there was nothing that she could have done about it. Gritting her teeth, she took a gamble and evoked the forbidden reincarnation transmigration technique. Merging her own soul with a sacrificial reincarnation figure, she turned herself into a native being and further forged the body that she had taken over by sacrificing her own Tao to restructure an innate Taoist body all over again. The only flaw was that her previous cultivation would be in vain as she had to start over from the beginning. As she prepared to retreat into cultivation and scheme another day, she unexpectedly learned that the Zhuyang sect was recruiting disciples. She instantly hatched a plan and portrayed her talents. After a little more effort, she was selected to be a reserved disciple and easily came to the Zhuyang sect. The girl's emergence surprised Jiang Ming again and again. He had never discovered this 5th immortal moon. To think that she had used the reincarnation transmigration technique to fuse herself with a native being, cleansing herself of everything that an invasive foreigner had, yet her cultivation would all be in vain. Such a ruthless and decisive person. If she didn't come before him today, he would have never been able to find this person. Such a mysterious special ability, able to forge a person's body and even turn the reincarnated body into an innate Taoist body. Unbelievable. Simply unbelievable. It seems I'm really underestimating the world here. Jiang Ming sighed as the pride in his heart eased a little. Who would have thought that even the world monitoring mirror was unable to detect such a person? But it wasn't too surprising, for he hadn't sorted out each invader in detail as there were too many of them. After Jiang Ming secretly transmitted his finding over to Ling Long, she purposely selected 2 disciples from the 10 of them and left the place with the 2. The other peaks scrambled to recruit the remaining 8 candidates. Chang Yiming also stayed behind as he was prepared to choose a batch of disciples for himself slowly. At Chuyang Peak, after the 2 sat down on top of the roof, in front of them stood 2 teenage girls who were in their early teens with cowardly expressions on their faces. The 2 looked delicate and charming. One of them was Lu Xin, 5th Immortal Moon. The other was Mo Xiaoyu, who had 8-star innate talent with an extraordinarily strong will. Based on her status in the human path records, her character was also quite good. Senior brother, is there anything special about the 2 of them? Ling Long asked. Xiaoyu is quite good. Teach her well, you can take her with you and accept her as a disciple, Jiang Ming responded. Ling Long had thoughts on his response and took another closer look at Lu Xin before she flicked her wrist, leaving the place and taking Xiaoyu with her. Lu Xin was a little overwhelmed with her eyes filled with confusion as she didn't know what to do. She felt like a lamb in a lion's den. I should really give you an Oscar award, Jiang Ming suddenly muttered. Liu Xin's pupils immediately shrank. What are you talking about? I don't understand, she retorted in confusion. 5th Immortal Moon, Jiang Ming smiled. Need I say more? Now that she was already face to face with him, there was no point in hiding anymore. How did you know? Lu Xin, Or rather, fifth immortal moon had a shocking look on her face before smiling bitterly. Never would I expect that I would personally send myself to you. It shouldn't be. I severed all connections and karma and completely merged into this world. You shouldn't be able to find out about me at all. How did you discover who I am? Also, when you said Oscar, this phrase shouldn't be something that would come out of your mouth. Who exactly are you? Were you the one who killed all of them? But you are only 28 years old and are a mere Quyang Peak's first seat, so rationally it would be impossible for you to be the one who did that. Yet the Juyang sect had too many things that were not logical to begin with. She was starting to become disoriented. All her questions were on point as well, yet Yang Ming didn't answer them. Instead, he asked her, "Do you want to live or die?" "Of course I want to live. You plan to release me?" Fifth Immortal Moon's eyes lit up with a glimpse of hope. Jiang Ming didn't mind her acting at all, nodded and replied, "Of course." He took out the Afuda talisman and was prepared to use it on her. Although this item seemed to be exceptional, it was pleasant to the eyes but of no use. The person that he wanted to enslave couldn't exceed his own cultivation realm. Even if he became a saint in the future, the most he could do would be to enslave another saint. What use would that be? It would be better just to try it out now and see if it really had those terrifying effects as seen from the item's description. Open up your consciousness, and I will plant an imprint onto you. Jiang Ming didn't keep a secret about what he was doing. Fifth Immortal Moon struggled briefly before bitterly saying, "It is better to die swiftly than to live in vain. Alas, I accept my fate. I only hope that you will treat me kindly in the future. Once you join me and follow my rules, I will naturally treat you well." Jiang Ming smiled inexplicably. He was looking up the human path records and discovered that her status was quite interesting as well. Status. Who is he? He even used the word Oscar. Oscar is a word only the world of science fiction has. Did he learn this from the other beneficiaries? Or could it be that he has other complicated identities? I've severed every string of karma and cut all means of retreat by performing the reincarnation transmigration technique. I've done so much to this extent, yet he was still able to discover who I am. How did he do that? Oh, my life is so pitiful. So many of the beneficiaries were killed all because of him? Was the SSS grade mission initiated because of him? It must be. If not, how could he have figured out my identity? Sigh, am I about to die? I'm not willing to accept this. Gosh, he is trying to enslave me? He doesn't know my identity as a beneficiary of the reincarnation hall? Ha ha ha, great, that's wonderful. Once I return to my world, any enslavement would be in vain. Haha, this is such a turnaround. I'll first seal off part of my memories to prevent him from looking through them. I'll stay on Chuyang Peak and continue my cultivation from now on. Even if I failed the mission, I can at least clearly investigate Chuyang Peak and understand everything about them. Maybe this will reduce the punishment for failing the mission by a little. And the most crucial point of all, I have to figure out how he found out about my current identity. This is simply unbelievable. I won't be able to sleep or eat in peace if I cannot understand how he discovered me. Fifth Immortal Moon thought that Jiang Ming hadn't found out about her real identity. In reality, Jiang Ming clearly saw the thoughts racing through her mind, and there wasn't any secret left covered. Jiang Ming continued smiling when he placed the Ofuda talisman onto Fifth Immortal Moon's forehead as it slowly merged into her. He stared at the human path records and discovered that her status did not have any reminder from the reincarnation system. Then, he realized that he was in total control of everything about the other person's life and death, all the past memories, and he could even control the other person's body and share their sight. Fifth Immortal Moon no longer had any secrets from him from that moment on. It was as if she was a puppet with a will of her own, and it didn't prompt anything from the reincarnation system either. This Afuda talisman is truly terrifying. Only after using it did Jiang Ming realize how terrifying the Afuda talisman was. He was also excited about it. The reincarnation system didn't notice anything unusual when she was in this world. If she returned to the reincarnation hall and still the system didn't detect anything amiss, that would be even better. When the time came, it would be as though he had placed an undercover agent into the reincarnation hall. It's a shame that there's only one of this Afuda talisman. If I had a few more of these, I could control a few beneficiaries of the Lord God's space. As these thoughts ran through Jiang Ming's mind, he quickly realized something. Fifth Immortal Moon didn't feel any discomfort at all and didn't seem to notice that she was under someone else's control. However, she was good at acting and showed a panicked expression. She then sighed and bitterly said, "Master, from now on I am yours." The corners of Jiang Ming's mouth twitched upon hearing her remarks, and he pointed outside. "Besides the manor, you can find a place or a cave or even build a house and cultivate on your own. Remember, call me Master from now on." "Yes, Master." Fifth Immortal Moon honestly knelt down and bowed 3 times before leaving reluctantly. Yang Ming had a playful expression on his face. This disciple of his was a person who was able to bend and stretch according to the situation. She knew what to say to whom, and her acting skills were also superb. With the right grooming, she would definitely be a great tool. At that moment, Linglong paced in the air toward Jiang Ming and sat on his lap. Senior brother, what's wrong with her? She asked curiously. She's from the foreign realm. What? But senior brother, she's only at the key cultivation realm. She was an imminent immortal expert. Jiang Ming briefly explained to her the situation regarding the reincarnation transmigration technique. There's such an unbelievable special ability? Linglong was shocked. Senior brother, why didn't you kill her? Such foreign invaders should be killed off decisively. You might see that she is harmless now, but once she grows up, she will surely bite you from the back. Relax, she is under my total control. Total control. Senior brother, don't tell me you are trying to control her and you're looking for a beating, aren't you? Let's go back to our room. I'll pose nicely for your beating. Nitri. In a blink of an eye, nearly a whole year passed. On Shuyang Peak, fifth immortal moon came to Jiang Ming from her seclusion. She had only been in the mountains for about 10 months, yet Jiang Ming had arranged a time acceleration formation array for her. Under 100-fold acceleration, it was as if she had been cultivating for more than 80 years. With ample resources and her cultivation base still intact, her cultivation base directly skyrocketed into the pinnacle of the imminent immortal realm, ready to break through to the next realm anytime, shattering the shackles and turning from an ordinary human into the immortal. Jiang Ming had even imparted quite a few special abilities to her. Master. Fifth immortal moon came in front of Jiang Ming as she knelt in respect. In the beginning, she would make up lots of lies, and there would be various conflicts from time to time. But before she knew it, those conflicts slowly disappeared without a trace, and she was now trusting Jiang Ming completely for no reason. It was a trust that originated straight from the heart. Occasionally, doubts would flash through her mind as she thought that she should not act that way in her current situation. However, these thoughts slowly disappeared without a trace, and now she had become completely loyal. However, her character and her ability to think independently were not weakened in any way, which was extremely strange. Relationship 100. It was a bone-chilling number. Upon seeing fifth immortal moon, Jiang Ming nodded. Linglong was right next to Jing Ming as the two silently looked at fifth immortal moon, both patiently waiting for something to happen. Master, fifth immortal moon spoke again, and then she suddenly disappeared without a trace right in front of the two. She left just like that. Linglong was surprised as her eyes flashed with strange colors. Senior brother, can you still control her? Let me try and sense the connection. Jiang Ming closed his eyes and focused. A ray of consciousness slowly drifted through the void as it finally connected to the soul of fifth immortal moon without any hindrance at all. As it merged with the soul of the other party, they became one. They even had shared visions. Jiang Ming saw that she was in a spacious room that had soft, comfortable white light gleaming around the area. A loud voice was suddenly blaring in the room. Ding! The 10 squads sent over to the perfect planar Tianyuan world on an SSS-grade mission to eradicate the Zhuyang sect ended with failure. Only one of them returned. Ding, fifth immortal moon, you are the only one who returned. The chance of death is 99%. Based on my calculation, you shouldn't even be alive. The defense mechanism is now activated to perform a deep scan onto your soul to avoid any intrusions. Fifth immortal moon remained silent. Yet Jiang Ming, who was looking at what was transpiring, was starting to feel worried. Will she be able to pass the reincarnation system's scanning? An invisible wave swept through her whole body thoroughly, scanning inside out and even her soul. Ding! The soul is intact, the memory is intact, and the will is intact. No imprint was marked, and no enslavement has been set. Fifth immortal moon, you are still an independent entity. Upon hearing the announcement, Jiang Ming secretly breathed a sigh of relief. He also realized that the announcement should be the setting of some kind of program. Ding, fifth immortal moon. The overall mission has ended with failure, yet you survived through it and even infiltrated into the internal departments of the Zhuyang sect, reaching the most secretive place of all, the Chuyang Peak. You are exempted from the penalty of failure and are rewarded 1,000 points, a streak of immortal spiritual essence, and 1 chance of enlightenment. A milky white gas suddenly fell out of thin air. Its quality exceeded those of the origin essence. So this was immortal spirit essence. Also, there was this token there. Fifth immortal moon kept the items in her storage ring, opened the door and walked out. The outside was an incomparably wide hall that was in the shape of a circle, surrounded by various doors. Some of those doors were opened while some were closed. Among the doors, there was a huge door that had a notice on the SSS-grade mission to destroy the Zhuyang sect of the Tianyuan world. Quite a number of people had gathered outside, waiting for the result. As for the other places, they were flooded with people milling around. This is an SSS-grade mission. It's so rare that it doesn't even necessarily appear once in 10 years. Each time it appears, it will surely cause a huge sensation. The 10 teams that were sent for this mission were all of the top rankings. I wonder how many of them will safely return. I'm guessing at least half of them will make it, right? After all, with the background and strength of those teams, even if they fail the mission, they can still bear the punishment. Ha! You're underestimating the horror of an SSS-grade mission here. It's already a miracle if 1/3 of them can survive the mission. Just wait and see. These 10 teams will surely come back miserable. However, those who manage to survive always reap unimaginable benefits. Just when they were discussing, the huge door was suddenly pushed open and a single person walked out, which was none other than Fifth Immortal Moon. All the experts in the Great Hall looked inside the huge door. When they realized there weren't any other people inside, their faces suddenly changed wildly. To think that 10 teams had been sent out and only one member safely returned, that was just preposterous. It was awful and incredibly terrifying. Fifth Immortal Moon. That's only a planar world that you've been to. With the strength of your 10 teams, you could completely dominate the whole world there. Moreover, the task was only to deal with one sect. How come you are the only one to return? An enchanting lady walked over, asking solemnly. Fifth Immortal Moon softly sighed with a bitter smile and muttered, "It was too dreadful over there." Since Jiang Ming shared Fifth Immortal Moon's vision, he discovered the various beings in front of her were of different shapes and sizes, such as stone creatures, living plants, and chimeras, where most of them were in human form. Even so, the human population there seemed to be a bigger proportion. Yang Ming understood the situation there. That place was the 3rd floor of the Reincarnation Hall. The first floor was for level 1 to 3 experts, namely of the Key Cultivation, Foundation Establishment, and Core Formation realms. The second floor was aimed for level 4 to 6 experts, namely of the Purple Mansion, Tao, Seed, and Nascent Soul realms. Naturally, the third floor was aimed for level 7 to 10 experts, namely of the Primal Spirit, Paradise, Extreme Path, and the Imminent Immortal realms. The members of the 3rd floor in the Reincarnation Hall, when evaluated against the missions released by the Reincarnation Hall, would only have to complete one mission every 10 years. However, if they failed twice consecutively, they would be forced to accept the next mission. Such a mission would have an extremely high death rate. There were also a few missions that had no restriction, and their dangers were even greater. This mission was considered one of them. When we descended, the Tianyuan world was under the invasion of foreign devils, and even a portal was conjured. In addition, there were also beneficiaries of the Lord God's space that descended over there, yet none survived. Fifth Immortal Moon continued. A terrifyingly strong opponent suddenly emerged over in that world, and for some unknown reason, our teammates were hunted down one by one. At that time, seeing the rapid decline in the number of the beneficiaries in the system completely terrified me. I ended up using the reincarnation transmigration technique, sacrificing all my cultivation thus far in order to merge with that planar world completely. That was why I wasn't discovered. You actually evoked the reincarnation transmigration technique? The little lady just now exclaimed in shock. This forbidden technique has a very high chance of failure. If you fail, your own consciousness will be the one destroyed, and everything you have will belong to the one you were trying to transmigrate into. Even if you were successful, all your cultivation up to that point of time would be in vain. The moment those thousands of years of cultivation disappeared, you would have been weak and fragile there. Any small incident would have meant death. Who knows how many months and years it would take for the person to restore their cultivation to its original level. Wait, something's not right. Immortal Moon, your cultivation base has not weakened. That's because I had some great encounters, plus a few of the teammates did not make up their mind to use the technique and handed over their items to me for safekeeping. It was then that I used the time acceleration formation to recover. However, everything that I had accumulated has all been exhausted. Alas, I'm beaten back to zero this time around. Fifth Immortal Moon sighed. So many beneficiaries had descended through countless worlds and were extremely careful because if there were any mistakes along the way, they would have lost everything they've achieved so far, and it might even cost their life. The lady sighed. Immortal Moon, you mentioned that there were also beneficiaries of the Lord God's space? Those things, there's no limit to what they do. Do you have any clue what their mission was? I only know that they released an enormous amount of nuclear bombs, viruses, zombies, Zerg warriors, and many more. My guess, it should be a mission to destroy the world, Immortal Moon replied. God damn it, as expected of the Lord God's space, destroying the world as though it's afternoon tea. She went over to the side and sat down. Some people came over to buy her drinks and continued asking her for more details. Fifth Immortal Moon did not hide anything and generally told them some of what had transpired over there. After quite some time, she finally returned to her dwelling through the system. This was an incomparably huge manor with lakes and some artificial mountains in its compound, a little of everything. There was even an enlightening room and a sparring room. As long as she had enough accumulated points, all of these could be bought. Fifth Immortal Moon sat in the huge hall, stretched out her hands a little, and a screen suddenly appeared right in front of her. That screen was the system's shop, densely packed with everything someone might buy. Other than various bloodlines, countless body types, and peerless pills, there were even the legendary level 18 immortal artifacts among the items inside. Examples were the 9 Reincarnation Golden Pill, Ancestral Witch Blood Essence, 9 Reincarnation Mysterious Technique, 4 Swords of Immortal Slaying, and even Pangu's Axe. As Jiang Ming's wisp of consciousness returned to his body, he sat there dumbfounded with his eyes full of shock. He was surprised to see the existence of the Pangu's axe, hence wondering whether the prehistoric world also existed. Holy heavens, what kind of existence is this heaven reincarnation hall? Jiang Ming couldn't calm down. That was the legendary Pangu's axe. That was a supreme mythical existence, a legend of his previous life, especially this Pangi who could open up worlds and shape the beings of the prehistoric world, armed with unimaginable power. This exceeded my imagination by a long shot. Jiang Ming suppressed the tremor in his heart as he began to ponder over it. When Immortal Moon goes on her next mission, I will try it out. If this really works, then I'm rich. He had already hatched a plan in such a short time span. Senior brother, how is it? Linglong noticed the slight changes in Jiang Ming's expression and asked, can you still control her? Yes, I can. Jiang Ming didn't hide any secrets. But that Linglong had a look of horror on her face as her eyes were full of disbelief. Senior brother, can you still control her even after she has crossed into different worlds? Linglong's heart was trembling as she had heard of the reincarnation hall before. That's because your senior brother is amazing. Haven't you felt my amazingness already? Jiang Ming raised his eyebrows cheekily.
Senior brother, I want to feel your amazingness again.
Linglong turned over and pressed herself on top of him.
This is broad daylight. Isn't this more exciting? Hey, don't bite.
In the land of the Zhang province, spatial Linglong, who had just come out of the ancient immortal ruins, inexplicably shivered and a red flush flashed across her face. I miss it so much. She stuck her tongue out, licking her lips tenderly. Spatial Linglong was prepared to return when she suddenly discovered a war vessel in front of her. Divine lights were emanating from the war vessel, sealing the space around her. Spatial Linglong smiled coldly. She did not go away. Instead, she stood silently in the air. As the group of warships was getting closer and closer, a ripple was spread through the sea of clouds. There were ranks after ranks of soldiers standing on the warships. They all gathered their energy together, making themselves look like a sword that was waiting to slice through everything in their path. Linglong. Zhou Tian, the 18th prince of the great Zhou dynasty, shouted with a frown. No, this isn't right. Although both of you have the same look, you're a different person and give off a different vibe. Who are you? What is the relationship between you and Linglong? He had experienced a lot since he came to the Eastern region for a year. First, the Zhuyang sect had destroyed the Eastern Region Alliance, and then an interdimensional portal had been opened up in the Northern region, giving the devils from another dimension a chance to invade this world and throw this world into a state of chaos. He had wanted to get his revenge on the Zhuyang sect, but he forwent the thought in the end after weighing the pros and cons. After all, he did not have much power here in the Eastern region. Even if he wanted to grow his own troops in force, it would be difficult since the world was in chaos. In the end, he could only wait for a year before returning to this place. When he saw Spatial Linglong, his eyes glowed. He sealed the area with a formation and prevented her from running away. I think it's none of your business, right? Spatial Linglong said, her eyes cold. What are you going to do to seal this area? Are you going to kill me? Curse me? Of course not. Zhou Tian replied, allow me to introduce myself first. I'm a prince from the great Zhou dynasty. It must be fate that brought us here today, so may I invite you to be a guest at the imperial court? I'll say this for one last time. Move. Spatial Linglong growled impatiently. She still needed to go back to see her senior brother. She couldn't waste her time here. Zoom. A strand of sword energy shot out of her head, dispersing the cloud and turning into a sword before falling into her hand as a killing intent erupted. Calm down, girl. Zhou Tian smiled. Look at the sun. It's so bright and warm. Listen to the beautiful sound of the flowers blooming. It's so... Damn it. Stop attacking me. Before he could finish speaking, Linglong's sword fell on the warship. At that moment, a bright light erupted as the protective barrier was activated. However, the barrier only lasted for a few minutes before it crumbled away. This is too weak, Linglong commented. The sword in her hand was glowing brightly and its power was growing with each passing second. A war general who was standing quietly shouted furiously, how dare you attack the prince? You must have a death wish to go against the great Zhou dynasty. With a resounding clang, a spear appeared in his hand. After charging up his attack, he threw the spear at Linglong without any hesitation. It pierced through space, tearing through everything in its path as it darted toward Linglong. In the meantime, the warship gave out a blinding light. The protective barrier was reenacted, and the attack was fully charged. Linglong squinted her eyes. She turned her sword around and intercepted the spear, causing the spear to crack and fall apart. Zhou Tian, I initially didn't want to deal with you, but since you have a death wish, I shall grant you your wish. With that, she disappeared and appeared above the warship. As she waved her sword in a mighty downward swipe, she shouted, Great Akasa Slash. This attack was imbued with the power of the spatial law. It slashed right through the protective barrier that wrapped around the warship, leaving a huge cut on the ship's body. Zhou Tian was able to survive the attack, but his men were not that fortunate. Some of them died on the spot, while the others were pulverized into a mist of blood. How dare you, you vile woman. 8 war generals clad in golden armor appeared on the deck. All of them were primal spirit experts, and they were holding swords in their hands. They all sent an endless amount of sword energy with immense destructive power toward Linglong, but she easily deflected them and killed all of them. When Zhou Tian saw the scene, his face turned pale. Damn it, how can she be so powerful? Today is certainly not my day, Zhou Tian shouted as he felt regret. Your Highness, there's a good chance that she's an extreme path expert. We should ask for reinforcements, Kang Yun said. Hurry! An elder came out of the warship. He darted a glance at Zhou Tian, sending a chill down the latter's spine. After that, he went up to Linglong. He was the strongest man in the warship, a parody great monarch. Girl, can you do us a favor and stop now? The old man asked as he activated the parody projection. It was a world of yellow, and it was the Earth Tao. Stop? Linglong laughed. I won't make my move, but as soon as I'm on the move, I won't stop until I've struck down all the enemies in my path. She stretched her hand forward and grabbed something in the air. The space around the old man began to collapse. No! I'm from the great Zhou dynasty. You can't kill me, the old man shouted when he sensed how terrifying Linglong was. At the same time, he chided Zhou Tian inwardly. Dean you, Zhou Tian, why couldn't you just return to your home quietly? Why must you lose your head over lust? See who you've offended. However, it was too late. The old man was crushed by the spatial power and died instantly. San Yanggong is dead. Zhou Tian was stunned. He's a parody expert. How is there any chance he would get killed just like that? That's because she's too powerful, Kang Yun said hopelessly. He was regretful. He regretted why he hadn't left this brain-dead prince soon enough. If he had left him, he wouldn't have been in such a predicament. A serious expression appeared on Linglong's face. Swoosh! She brandished her sword and cut the warship in half. Zhou Tian and Kang Yun were transported to another place by a special item. Who are you? Why must you kill us? Zhou Tian shouted, Senior, I'm sorry for whatever I said just now. Can you please forgive us? I'll forgive you once I've killed you, Linglong replied. She threw a strand of sword energy at Zhou Tian, but it was intercepted by another strand of sword energy that traveled from afar. Something flashed in the distance, and a man appeared in front of Linglong. As an expert, why do you have to make things difficult for someone who's weaker than you? He was a middle-aged man. He was holding a longsword in his hand and was clad in a terrifying aura. Senior Dao Sheng. Kang Yun heaved a sigh of relief. Senior Dao Sheng. Zhou Tian dropped to his knees. I'll deal with you after we've returned to the dynasty. Dao Sheng glanced at him. Now get lost. Zhou Tian trembled and ran away. Do you think you can run away after what you did? Linglong smiled. Her figure began to blur, and Dao Sheng's expression changed. Do you really have to do that? His sword flashed and a barrier engulfed Zhou Tian. However, a strand of sword energy pierced through the barrier and penetrated Zhou Tian's forehead. Zhou Tian was stunned. He opened his mouth, and light began to leave his eyes slowly. Dim it! Dao Sheng shouted furiously, but there was nothing he could do either. Although he was an extreme path expert, he could do nothing against an opponent who was at the same level as him and wielded the power of space. If I were not strong enough, do you think they'd let me go away? Since he's already dead, now is your turn, Linglong shouted. I'll kill whoever comes in my path, even if you represent your country. Don't get so cocky, you little girl, Dao Sheng shouted. Both of us are extreme path experts, so how could you not show me some respect? Do you really think you're invincible? Senior brother, the spatial clone has killed Zhou Tian, the 18th prince of the great Zhou dynasty, Linglong said. Would it cause us any trouble? Don't worry, it's just a dynasty, Jiang Ming replied nonchalantly. I tried to take his life once, but he was able to escape. Since he had already escaped, I decided to leave him alone, but I didn't expect that he would have the guts to come back again. Well, all I have to say is that he asked for it himself. By the way, did her cultivation level increase again? That's why she's coming back here. Yes, Linglong nodded. She has come across a chance of enlightenment. She thought of coming back here, but she didn't expect to run into Zhou Tian and his troops. She tried to ignore them, but they refused to let her go, so she decided to kill them all to test her strength as well as to raise the name of the Yuyang sect. When Jiang Ming heard what Linglong said, he shook his head and massaged his back. Linglong covered her mouth and chuckled. Senior brother, is it necessary? Why is it not necessary? Jiang Ming said exasperatingly, what can I do? All of you 9 take turns to come on top of me. Do you think I don't need to take a rest? Even an iron bar would become a needle if going at your pace. Each of us is different and we entertain you every single night. How can you still complain about us, senior brother? Linglong was rendered speechless. Could it be that you can't do it anymore, senior brother? Jiang Ming was stumped. He hastily changed to another topic and said, Linglong, all of your clones seem to have developed their own personalities. Are you sure it'll be all right? I did that on purpose. After all, only in this way could each of them grow independently, Linglong said as she leaned on Jiang Ming's chest. I'm holding their true essence, so their lives are in my hands. Besides, I can also synchronize their memories at any time. Don't worry so much, senior brother. Even if they detach from me and become a completely different individual, they will still be your junior sister. That's great to hear then. Yang Ming nodded. He looked ahead and locked onto the direction of Zhong province. The human path records was hovering beside him as he kept an eye on Spatial Linglong. In Zhong province, Spatial Linglong chopped off Dao Sheng's left arm in a swipe. An immortal light erupted from his body to block the attack that was directed at his mind and saved his life. As expected of an extreme path expert who has mastered the spatial law, you're truly powerful, Dao Sheng said, his face grim at the fact that he was nearly killed just now. Guys, are you still going to stand there and watch? He snarled without turning his head. The light in the distance warped, and 3 people appeared out of thin air in the next second. All of them looked young and exuded an imposing aura. Old Dao, the young man in white, walked toward Dao Sheng with a grin plastered across his face. I thought this would be like walking in the park for you. I didn't expect that you'd be defeated so soon. Nope. The young man in red shook his head. He's just giving her a chance. Old Dao, it truly surprises me that you still have a tender heart for the fair sex despite your age. The young man in blue just smiled and did not say anything while they were talking. Spatial Linglong activated her parity projection and sealed the entire area. You guys finally have decided to show up? I thought you were going to keep hiding, she said, her eyes brimming with joy. You've noticed us? The young man in white frowned slightly. The light ray Dao is indeed a good ability in concealing your presence, but it's nothing in front of the spatial Dao, Linglong said. Are you guys going to attack me as well? You killed our prince, disregarded our empire's dignity, and still expected us to sit by and do nothing? If we don't step forward, what if other people just simply come to our country and kill one of our princes? It would bring us a lot of trouble as well, don't you think so? The young man in white said, honestly, we don't really care if we lose 1 or 2 of our princes, but it doesn't mean that we have to sit by and do nothing about it. Miss, please come with us to the Imperial Palace. With your cultivation level, I'm sure no one will dare to make things hard for you. I can let you go for what you've said. Now get out of my face. Linglong said, I must kill Dao Sheng today, but I can spare your life if you guys leave now. If not, here will be your graveyard. Nonsense, the young man in red shouted. Do you really think you can do everything you want just because you've fully mastered the power of space? You seriously have underestimated us and the Empire. Are you guys not leaving? Linglong asked again, her voice low, and we'll say it one last time. Give no resistance and allow yourself to be captured. If not, we'll kill you right away, the young man in red said as a liar appeared in front of him. Chronostasis. Without giving them a chance to say anything, Linglong launched her parody as well as the strongest special abilities in the spatial law. At that moment, Dao Sheng and the 3 young men were frozen in place. However, there was an immense amount of power erupting from their bodies as they tried to break themselves from the restraints. They only needed 1 more minute and they could break themselves free, but they did not have the chance anymore. Linglong had pierced through their foreheads within the blink of an eye, destroying their sea of consciousness and exterminating their souls in the paradise. The 4 of them were dead. Their bodies crumbled away, leaving quite a number of loot behind. Linglong waved her sleeve, collected all the loot and went away. After a short while, an old man appeared. How vile! She killed every one of them. The old man was furious, but he was confident he couldn't chase after Linglong at his current speed. He thought for a moment and then went back to the Empire. He did not really care if Zhou Tian was dead or not, but it was a huge loss to the Empire since they had lost 4 extreme path experts. One day later, an imperial edict was released. The crown prince would bring an army to invade the eastern region and destroy the Zhuang sect. 100 warships were heading toward the eastern region. Inside the imperial palace, the emperor, otherwise known as the Holy Emperor, was sitting on his throne. He was a man in his middle age, but he had a dominating and regal aura around him. A yellow light exuded from his head, making him look even more imposing than ever. Your Majesty, an old man said, according to the information we received, although the Zhuang sect is a second-rate sect in the eastern region, they're protected by a great monarch. There's a good chance that it's the Zhuang sect who destroyed the devil army that invaded the northern region. If we really send troops to attack them, I'm afraid that not even we can stop that being if he gets annoyed. Rest assured, Minister Zuo, Emperor Zhou replied flatly. Suddenly, there was a commotion outside of the palace. The Holy Lord of the Yanxian sect has arrived. The voice sounded nervous and filled with fear. A figure stormed into the hall in the next second, followed by a few guards. Emperor Zhou rose to his feet and waved his hand at the guards to dismiss them. He walked down from his throne and smiled. What's the matter, Shen Daoyu? You should have sent me a message if you're coming.
Emperor Zhou!
Shen Du made a bow at Emperor Zhou, his face stern. Did you send a troop to the Zhuang sect in the eastern region? I knew I couldn't hide it from you. My son was killed and 4 elders died tragically. This is a huge matter. It's about the dignity of our empire, and there's no way we can let it slide. Sigh. Listen to me, Your Majesty. Withdraw your order immediately. Then, we'll figure out what we should do next. No way. I'm the emperor, and I can't withdraw an order that has been given. Shen Daiyu, I'm just dispatching my troops to the eastern region. Why do you look so worried? After learning that you've dispatched a troop to the eastern region, I tried to look into the future. Do you know what I saw? The sky is raining blood and the land is falling apart. Zhang province will be destroyed. As Shen Daiyu talked, his face turned paler and paler with each passing second. Emperor Zhou frowned. He was well aware of the Yantian sect's ability to look into the future. Brother Zhou, Shen Daiyu sighed and continued. That person comes from the eastern region, and according to our speculation, he's a lot stronger than a heavenly immortal. Not only that, but he also has immortal weapons in his hands, so what are we supposed to do if we piss him off? It took him only one hit to exterminate nearly all of the devils that invaded the northern region, and when he descended for the second time he wiped out the remaining devils that couldn't be destroyed despite the combined effort of all sacred lands. Are you sure our great Zhou can stop him if he comes to destroy us? Emperor Zhou hesitated. It went without saying that he knew how powerful that person was. But the Court of Elders decided this matter, therefore he couldn't do anything as either. Shen Daiyu opened his mouth and sighed. Brother Zhou, the Yantian sect is gifted with the ability to look into the future, and what we seek is immortality. Unless there is a great disaster, we won't participate in any fight. Now that a great catastrophe is going to happen soon, the Yantian sect is going into seclusion. Please take care of yourself, Brother Zhou. Emperor Zhou's expression changed. Brother Shen, are you really sure about that? Shen Daiyu sighed in relief and said with a smile, the Court of Elders of the Great Zhou is very strong, but it's nothing more than a coalition of the royal family and many clans. However, the Yantian sect is no weaker than the Court of Elders. Brother Zhou, please take care of yourself. After that, he turned around and left. Emperor Zhou's face sank. On a mountain 10,000 miles away from the imperial palace, this was the headquarters of the Yantian sect. After Holy Lord Shen returned, he briefly described the situation to his members. Then, a wizened voice rang out. The Yantian sect is bestowed with the great ability to look into the past and the future. We've helped the Great Zhou dynasty to rise to its eminence, so we don't owe them anything. Right now, the Great Zhou dynasty is bent on taking the risky path of looking for supporters, but little do they know that they're stepping onto the edge of a cliff. One more step ahead, and they'll fall to their death. From today onward, the Yantian sect will move out of the Great Zhou dynasty's territory and go into seclusion. The palace on the mountain gave out an intense light before disappearing into the ether. At the Tianyuan school, Yi Ming, an extreme path expert who had the space illusion god body, came to look for Lu Changkong's Sir. Emperor Zhou has dispatched his troops to attack the eastern region. Is he out of his mind? No, he didn't lose his mind. Rather, he became more audacious since he found someone to back him up. Therefore, he decided to unify Zhang province and the world so that he can find a good location when he's going to ascend in the future. What is going on, sir? This has something to do with Tianxi. Tianxi. When I found out that he was hiding some immortal weapons after being attacked, I knew something was wrong. When he ascended into the Paradise realm after we've activated the Chamber of Time to speed up his cultivation, we noticed that his soul fluctuated abnormally, and he had been connecting to the Akasa. Then he continued to cultivate in seclusion and stepped into the imminent immortal realm. After that, he went to the Forbidden Land and tried to convince the elders to attack and investigate the Zhuyang sect. Sir, could it be that he's reincarnated? Why does he want to investigate the Zhuyang sect? Listen to me first. Due to the invasion of the devils from another dimension, the being who is likely related to the Zhuyang sect has been tagged as a supreme being. Perhaps he's a reincarnation of an immortal, we don't know. But in any case, he's someone who wields power that is beyond the mortal realm. Since they're on the human side, we have no position to investigate them, so we rejected TNC. That's the right thing to do. Yeah, then TNC unleashed all his power in an attempt to kill all of the elders. However, little did he expect that the Tianyuan school still had a trump card up our sleeves. We activated a great weapon and just when we were about to kill him, he ran away. How dare he? Sir, why didn't I know anything about it? You were in seclusion at that time, not to mention that it happened in the Forbidden Land, so it didn't affect the outside world. Now the Great Zhou dynasty suddenly sent troops to the eastern region. The situation is as clear as the sky. It must be related to Tianxi. How did he convince the Great Zhou dynasty? They have power even greater than the sacred land, and how can they take risks easily when stability is the main concern? Could it be that TNC's origins are truly astounding? I'm not really sure about it, but one thing I can assure you is that he can contact someone from above. So, what are we supposed to do? I've sent a message to the Zhuyang sect, so all we can do now is wait and see who the person is. At the same time, we need to find out about TNC's origins. Things are getting more and more complicated. Yeah, if we take a step wrong, we might. Both of them fell silent. At the Zhuyang sect on Chuyang Peak, Xi forwarded a message to Zi Linglong. The Great Zhou dynasty has dispatched a troop with the Crown Prince as the leader to the eastern region. Tianxi has the potential to become immortal. He has returned and joined the Great Zhou dynasty. Shi Yao read the message that she received. Senior Lu Changkong from the Tianyuan school sent me this message, Shi Yao said. But why would the Great Zhou dynasty suddenly send their troops to the eastern region? The chaos has only ended for a short period, and they're going to expand their territory? Are they not afraid of incurring the wrath from other sacred lands? We all know that Tianxi has the potential to become immortal, but what does it mean that he has returned? Besides, did he join the Great Zhou dynasty? But why? The Tianyuan school is a much better place to cultivate compared to the dynasty. Shi Yao couldn't understand it at all. I think we're the reason they dispatched a troop to the eastern region. Zi Linglong smiled. As for Tianxi, he obviously has betrayed the Tianyuan school and joined forces with the Great Zhou dynasty to destroy us. As for what it means that he has returned, I guess they're suspecting that he's a reincarnator. Linglong is right. Jiang Ming nodded and said, this Lu Changkong is kind of interesting. He knows that our Zhuyang sect holds a big secret, and it's related to you, so he sent the message to Shi Yao instead, hoping that she could forward the message to us. It was no longer a secret that Shi Yao was with them. The Tianyuan school has always maintained a neutral stance. Besides, their foundation is far deeper than we can imagine, Shi Yao said with a frown. What I don't understand now is why Tianxi would choose to cultivate in the Great Zhou dynasty instead of in the Tianyuan school. Why does the Great Zhou dynasty want to attack you guys? Because I killed Zhou Tian and 4 extreme path experts, Linglong said. What? You killed Zhou Tian and 4 extreme path experts? Shi Yao was shocked. Linglong, since when did you become so strong? Even though I'm the holy daughter of the Ryu sect and I've been cultivating here, I'm still only in the primal spirit realm. But you killed 4 extreme path experts? Hold on for a second. Haven't you been on the mountain the whole time? How did you kill them? Look over there, Linglong said as she nudged her chin. Shi Yao jerked her head back and saw a human figure coming in their direction. She went through Fuyang Peak's protective barrier and landed in the gazebo without any difficulties. Another Linglong. Shi Yao was stunned but soon saw the light. She's your clone. Long time no see, Shi Yao. Spatial Linglong greeted her as she studied her from head to toe. Why are you still a virgin? You haven't made a move on my senior brother yet. You suck, Shi Yao. Shi Yao's face turned red in embarrassment as she glared at her. She wanted to turn around and leave, but it would only give herself away if she did that. Meanwhile, Jiang Ming's voice rang out. Stop making fun of her. The army from the Great Zhou dynasty is coming soon. Can you handle them? Well, I can try, Spatial Linglong said. Can I really kill them all? After all, I was holding myself back when I was there. Since they have the guts to step into our territory, I don't need to hold myself back anymore. Yeah, you can do whatever you want, Jiang Ming said as he opened the human path records to check Lu Changkong's status. He learned why Tianxi had joined the Great Zhou dynasty from his status. He tried to kill the elders from the Tianyuan school. He really has a lot of guts. Since he was able to reach the imminent immortal and the extreme path realm, he must have awakened the immortal memory. If not, he wouldn't have been so arrogant. But I have to say, the foundation of the Tianyuan school is truly incredible. It's even deeper than I expected. Name Tianxi Jun Tianxi. Race immortal, gender male, cultivation base imminent immortal realm. Background: the reincarnated soul of the immortal general from the Chengguang immortal mansion relationship. Vicious 67 innate talent. Immortal, awakened immortal soul status. After returning from the eastern region, he was assassinated and received a heavy blow. He went into seclusion to cultivate after returning to the Tianyuan school. He had comprehended the light and dark Tao and reached the Paradise realm in the Chamber of Time. His broken soul was mended, and he awakened the memory of his immortal soul. After knowing the significance of his reincarnation, he learned that this world was special, and the big secret was hidden in the eastern region. However, he was too weak, so he did not do anything and focused on cultivation. It was only when he reached the imminent immortal realm that he came out of his seclusion and learned about the changes in the outside world. He was stunned at the news of a powerful being sabotaging the devil invasion in the northern region. He was certain that he must have stepped into the immortal realm, and he wondered who he was. After all, if he wanted to claim the eastern region, he must learn his identity. Therefore, he tried to convince the elders of the Tianyuan school to do something about it. However, little did he expect that the elders would reject him because they thought it was unnecessary to do that. Besides, they did not want to stir up any more commotion. Also, they had noticed his changes and wanted to investigate him. Not intending to let them learn about his real identity, he tried to kill them and take control of the Tianyuan school, but to no avail. After escaping from the Tianyuan school, he ran to the Great Zhou dynasty. When he learned that 4 of the extreme path experts from the Great Zhou dynasty had been killed, he had an idea and approached Emperor Zhou. He revealed himself as a reincarnated immortal and informed him that he was capable of showing him the golden heaven path that could lead to the immortal realm. He also said that he came here to look for a sinful disciple who had run to the mortal world. The Tianyuan school had refused to offer him help, so he came to the Great Zhou dynasty instead. He offered them 3 slots in exchange for their help. He said that the sinner should be hiding in the eastern region and asked the Great Zhou dynasty to look into it. After the court of elders had discussed amongst themselves, they decided to ask Emperor Zhou to send troops to the eastern region. Emperor Zhou then ordered the crown prince to lead the troops to the eastern region. Jiang Ming fell silent. His original name was Tian Shi, but now he called himself Jun Tian Shi. This is interesting. He even offered so many things in exchange for the Great Zhou dynasty's help, but I bet they didn't believe him. The reason they decided to help is probably because of the Golden Heaven path, right? Jiang Ming frowned as he thought. Went without saying that a criminal from the immortal realm was nothing but a fraud. TNC just wanted to look and get rid of him first so that no one would stand in his way as he revealed the secret of the eastern region. What kind of secret is it? Could it be the secret chamber behind the sect door? Jiang Ming squinted his eyes and looked toward Taiyang Peak. There was a spatial node, and the thing that was hidden within it was terrifying. He had once tried to go into it, but he forwent the attempt in the end when he sensed a chill down his spine that felt like death after getting closer to it. I guess I should explore it after everything is over. The first thing he should do right now was to get rid of TNC. After all, he was a reincarnated immortal soul. Should I just try it? Jiang Ming thought, but he abandoned the idea very soon. After all, it was not an exaggeration to say that TNC was an immortal right now. He was completely unaware of his power, and he did not know what kind of immortal weapons he had up his sleeves. It would be troublesome if he could not kill him in one strike. Most importantly, he was becoming stronger and stronger every day. Well, I guess I should let him live for some time. After all, he doesn't know my real identity, and I'm able to keep an eye on him. Most importantly, he wanted to know the secret of the eastern region as well. Meanwhile, at the submerged dragon continent, on a peak, the Devil Lord grabbed a ray of light. After reading the message, he smiled. Interesting. The Great Zhou dynasty has sent troops to the eastern region. Are they going to fight that person? It would be best if they could enrage that person. Then, he would wipe out all of the sacred lands on this world, exhaust their powers, and then I would destroy them all in one fell swoop. The Devil Lord stood up and looked at the land of Shenzhou beneath him with a serious expression dawning upon his face. He was well aware of the situation over there. There were many devils that scattered all over the land. All of them were very powerful and wielded different special abilities, but most of them are dead now. There's only one explanation for this kind of situation. That person is able to notice us when we come into this world. That is also the reason I haven't made any moves until now. However, it's time for me to take action. I'm sure he won't be able to take care of me while he's dealing with the troops from the Great Zhou dynasty. When the thought appeared in the Devil Lord's head, a pitch-black portal appeared in his hand. There was nothing but darkness on the other side of the door, and it was filled with the aura of another world. He tossed it into the air, and the portal landed in the middle of the mountains. Once the Great Zhou army enters the eastern region, it will be my time to take action. But to be on the safe side, I should leave the submerged dragon continent first. The Devil Lord turned around and vanished into the air. On Chuyang Peak, girl, the troops are arriving at the eastern region and Zhong province intersection, so what are you still waiting for? Jiang Ming said as he patted Spatial Linglong's leg. His eyes were closed. I'm hungry, Spatial Linglong mumbled. They should pay with their lives for making me starve. Spatial Linglong suppressed it and said, I don't think I can stop them all by myself. Should we ask them for help as well? That's your secret, and the lesser people know about it, the better, Jiang Ming said as he pulled her into his arms. He ran his fingers over her long hair and said, they are nothing but a group of intruders. I'm sure you're more than enough to get rid of them. However, if you think you can't do it, you can just stay here. Stay here and entertain you. I'll stay then. Hold it. Jiang Ming turned around and changed to another topic. I haven't asked you yet. What kind of opportunity have you come across? Spatial Linglong pulled a purple gold order. Zi Linglong suddenly showed up and grabbed the order. She threw herself into Jiang Ming's arms and said, it seems to me that both of you are having a lot of fun. Care if I join? How can you be jealous of her? Jiang Ming was rendered speechless. Well, she feels lonely, Spatial Linglong said as she looked at Zi Linglong. Right? Jiang Ming shivered and asked, so what's the use of this order? This is an inheritance order. Once refined, it can transfer you to a heavenly inheritance space to accept trial and inheritance. Senior brother, I think you should keep it, Linglong said as she handed the order to Jiang Ming. However, Jiang Ming shook his head. I have plenty of opportunities myself, so you should probably keep it. Will it be dangerous? I mean the inheritance. Nope, I don't think so. That's great to hear then. After that, Jiang Ming rose to his feet. He looked toward Zhong province, and his gaze slowly changed. Since they have the guts to come to us, I should seize the chance and get rid of them. You guys don't have to do anything. Just stay here and focus on your cultivation. After all, the difference in cultivation level between you guys is too big, and it's not a good thing. Sure, senior brother, Zi Linglong replied in a serious manner. She practiced the sword Dao, and under Jiang Ming's help she had already ascended into the imminent immortal realm. However, her clones were much weaker than her. Well, they were not to be blamed. After all, some of their laws were hard to master, for example, spatial Linglong. She had just ascended into the extreme path realm not long ago. Time Linglong was still in the Paradise realm, and she hadn't comprehended the time law yet. That being said, they did not feel anxious. They just needed to follow their own pace, and one day they would be able to reach the imminent immortal realm. Yang Ming lifted his finger, and a light ray erupted, forming into a strand of sword energy as it charged into the distance. Above the sky, at the intersection of the eastern region and Zhang province, there was a large fleet of warships. Suddenly, a strand of sword energy tore through the air and pierced through the warship at the front, but it did not just stop there. The strand of word energy continued to travel forward and penetrated through the entire fleet. Although these warships were not particularly strong, they were all Dao vessels, not to mention that they were protected by a protective formation and were guarded by many experts. Who attacked us? The Crown Prince asked, his face grim. The fleet represented the honor of the great Zhao dynasty. Nobody dared to stop them, let alone attack them. Why didn't you stop the attack, Elder? The Crown Prince hissed out his question. An elder appeared beside him, his expression stern. Crown Prince, that attack just now was more than the imminent immortal experts could handle. If the sword's energy was dispersed, I'm afraid all of us would be dead by now. More than imminent immortal experts could handle. The Crown Prince's expression changed. Could it be that person? At that moment, another strand of sword energy came. The face of the elder beside the Crown Prince turned pale when he saw the attack. Oh no, we have to run, hurry. He grabbed the Crown Prince's shoulder, and just when he was about to run, he found himself unable to move. The sword energy had triggered the destructive power of time and space and sealed the entire area. The sword energy then exploded into a barrage of tiny swords as they all rained down on the remaining warships. After that, the swords spun, cutting through everything and reducing the area into nothing. The fleet of warships was turned into dust, and all of the people on them were dead. On Shuyang Peak, it could pierce through and destroy everything, including the laws, orders, and so on. It's only because of my inner world that I could unleash the full potential of the sky-shattering sword technique. After the thought appeared in Jiang Ming's mind, he flipped open the human path records. He turned to Jun Tianxi's page. Since I'm already here, I might as well kill him too. Zhong province, at the Tianyuan school, Liu Changkong and Ye Ming were standing in the air. Both of their expressions changed when they saw the energy that tore the sky asunder. This sword energy. Ye Ming did not know what to say. If it were coming for me, I'm sure I'd be dead in no time. Not only you, me too, Liu Changkong chimed in. The power of the attack far exceeds what we human beings are capable of handling. It came from the eastern region and charged straight at the great Zhou dynasty's warship fleet. Could it be him? They activated their divine eyes and looked into the distance, and they were stunned by what they saw. The fleet of warships had been destroyed, Yi Ming exclaimed, his voice shaking. Yes, Liu Changkong added. It took only a strand of sword energy to destroy the entire fleet from the great Zhou dynasty. Unbelievable. Yi Ming still found it hard to believe. Just how powerful he is. Liu Changkong asked. Oh god, the great Zhou dynasty is over. TNC, he can't keep his secret anymore. Since that person has decided to make a move, there's no way he will let go of him. Both of them turned around and looked at Great Zhou's palace. At the Imperial Palace, Emperor Zhou was sitting on his throne with a mirror hovering in front of him. The scene inside was exactly the picture of 100 warships speeding forward, and sitting beside him was none other than Jun Tianxi. There was no one else left in the hall. They're reaching the Zhuyang sect, Emperor Zhou said. Are you sure that person is hiding in the Zhuyang sect? Most likely, Jun Tianxi said. Suddenly, he rose to his feet and stammered, This attack? Emperor Zhou's expression changed as well. Immediately after, 100 warships were destroyed, and the image in the mirror disappeared without a single trace. How is this possible? Emperor Zhou jerked his head around to look at Jun Tianxi. This is beyond what human beings can handle. It is... Oh no. Before Jun Tianxi could finish his sentence, he jerked his head up and saw a human figure appearing in front of him. A divine light instantly erupted from his body to protect him. Return of Infinite Law Finger. As soon as Jiang Ming appeared, he cast his strongest attack. The attack pierced through the divine light that wrapped around Jun Tianxi and went straight through his forehead. Bam! His head exploded, but a golden path appeared, and Jun Tianxi's angry voice rang out, Damn it, how dare you destroy my body and primal spirit? I'm going to kill all of you. Golden Heaven Path, devour my body and open the immortal path for me. Voom! The Golden Heaven Path vibrated and devoured Jun Tianxi's body. Soon, a golden light burst and destroyed the entire palace, killing Emperor Zhou in the process. The Golden Heaven Path suddenly expanded and rapidly extended high into the sky. At that moment, the entire Tianyuan world was bathed under a golden light. on Chuyang Peak. He did not know the item got activated, but it suddenly let out a blinding light, killing King Zhou and destroying his clone. The palace was destroyed and many people were killed. At that moment, everyone in the imperial palace, even those experts in Zhong province, was attracted by the light and turned their heads to look at the giant golden path. This was the golden heaven path in Jun Tianxi's mind. It was getting larger and larger as it grew upward. When it reached a certain size, it stopped, and then a golden gate appeared at the end. Without making any noise, the golden gate opened. In a flash, an immense aura flowed out of it. Even if just a wisp of it flowed out, it immediately turned into a long river of aura, sweeping in all directions. In the next second, a war general wearing golden armor and riding on a white horse came out of the golden gate and stepped onto the golden heaven path. There were a group of silver-armored warriors behind him, and they soon arrived above the imperial palace. His face was stern and he exuded an imposing aura. He hit the heaven path with the halberd in his hand, and a wisp of smoke rose from below. The smoke took the form of Jun Tianxi, but his body looked a bit unreal. The golden-armored war general greeted Jun Tianxi reverently. "Master Jun, thank goodness that it has succeeded." Jun Tianxi heaved a sigh of relief. He looked at him and asked, "Dong Yao, I didn't expect it would be you who came. How is Master Immortal Lord? Is he doing fine?" "Yeah," Dong Yao replied expressionlessly. "According to the rules, you need to open your sea of consciousness and allow me to read your mind. I need to know what's going on over here as soon as possible, and I hope you won't resist." "You want to read my mind?" Jun Tianxi's face turned grim. "I hope you won't resist, Master Jun," Dong Yao repeated again. He brandished the halberd in his hand and stabbed Jun Tianxi's body. "Dong Yao, I won't forget what you've done." Jun Tianxi snarled, his eyes glowing with fire. In the next second, his face turned blank. "Useless." Dong Yao harumphed coldly and threw Tianxi into the golden gate at the back. The heaven path turned around and spread toward the eastern region. In the air above the Tianyuan school, "Sir, what is that? And who are those people?" asked Yiming. "I can feel an immense power that can suppress all laws in the mortal world from them." "That's the golden heaven path," Lu Chengkong said as sealing spells began to appear around him, preventing him from sending messages to the people outside of the spell. His voice was trembling as he said, "According to a secret record in the Tianyuan school, there is one divine item in the immortal realm that once activated will turn into the golden heaven path that will connect our world with their world. It can lead mortals into the immortal realm, but at the same time it also acts as a portal for the immortals to descend into our world. I thought it was just a legend. I never thought it was real. Oh gosh, the Juyang sect is over. Looking at them, they could unleash the power of the immortal realm. How is the Juyang sect or that person supposed to hold them back?" Liu Chengkong's face was dark. There was no way mortals like them could fight against immortals. "Everything in this world is balanced," Liu Chengkong said after he calmed himself down. "Tianxi is a reincarnated immortal. He has the golden heaven path with him, and he was the one who activated it, and those immortals come to our world through the golden heaven path. Perhaps it doesn't necessarily mean that we can't fight against them. I assume that these immortals can't leave the golden heaven path. I also assume that their cultivation level will be much lower the second they come to this world. If not, there will be no way we can fight against them. I couldn't believe that Tianxi would become a traitor to our human world." Ye Ming cursed. "They are immortals. How are we supposed to fight against them? Although we have geniuses popping up here and there from time to time, how about them? They have a lot more of them. Their special abilities are stronger, their weapons and items are better, and they have better talent than us. There is no way we can defeat them." Sigh. "Let's just watch." "Sir, the Tianyuan school is the protector of the human world. Do we really don't have anything that we can do?" "We can, but not now. We can't simply take action unless the situation calls for it," Lu Changkong said. Yi Ming fell silent. He frowned and looked at the eastern region. In the eastern region, High Province, on top of a mountain, the Devil Lord looked in the direction of Zhong Province. When he saw that the golden heaven path was heading toward the eastern region, he smiled. "These immortals are so cheeky and arrogant. I'm sure they must want to get this done as soon as possible. Otherwise, they wouldn't have used the golden heaven path. Very well then. I should watch which of you is stronger, and then I'll turn this human world into a devil realm." The Devil Lord looked into the distance with his hands clasped behind his back. He was still waiting for the perfect opportunity to make his strike. Several monks were sitting in the Buddhist temple in the western region. "The golden heaven path is here. Has the time finally come? It's not too far from what has been written into the Buddha's message. I didn't expect that the legendary supreme item would show up in our world. According to the Buddha's message, it should be around this time that the golden heaven path will appear." In other words, a lot of opportunities have arisen. Who would have thought that a great event would appear in our generation? I wonder if this is a blessing or a disaster. Of course it's a blessing. We've destroyed the devils, and the remaining forces such as the golden heaven path and the Tianyuan school are nothing. Don't forget about Long Yuan and the Million Demons Mountain in the southern region. They're nothing in front of the glory of the Buddha. Let's just watch and see how things go. To be on the safe side, we should probably prepare ourselves first. The few monks looked at the disciple of the devil's sect and let out a satisfactory grin. In the eastern region at the Juyang sect, the corner of Jiang Ming's mouth twitched when he saw the golden heaven path. Damn it, I just want to bask under the sun, feel the wind, eat some good food, and spend my time with my junior sister. Is it too much to ask? Are they immortals? Zi Linglong asked as she grabbed Jiang Ming's arm. Senior brother, I don't have a good feeling about this. It seems to me that they're coming to us. Let's go, senior brother. It'll be too late if we don't run now. I'm sure we'll be able to get our revenge one day. She glanced at Taiyang Peak. How did they come to our world? I thought there was a great terror between the mortal and the immortal realm, and I also don't feel good about it. They're coming to the Juyang sect, Shi Yao chimed in, her face filled with worries. Let's go, brother Jiang. We should escape before things get too bad. Shi Yao. Xiang Ming turned around to look at her and asked in a serious manner, is there any record about the Golden Heaven Path in your sect? The Golden Heaven Path? Shi Yao frowned and fell into thought. After a short while, she shook her head and said, nope, I don't remember seeing something like that. Is there any restriction for immortals to come to the mortal world? I have no idea either. Brother Jiang, let me go ask around. Shi Yao pulled out a mirror and began contacting the expert in her sect. Senior brother. Linglong shook his arm. Don't worry, Jiang Ming gave her an assuring smile. All right then. Linglong responded with a smile as well. She had decided, in the worst-case scenario, she would sacrifice all of her clones to shatter the Golden Heaven Path. The human path records opened up. Name Dong Yao race. Human gender male cultivation base. True immortal realm background. General of Morning Glory immortal palace relationship. Michtru 92 innate talent immortal status. He knew that Jun Tianxi had reincarnated in the mortal world with the Golden Heaven Path, a Tai immortal armament. So, he had been guarding the Golden Palace, and once something happened he would immediately take action. He had been waiting for many years, yet nothing happened. Suddenly, a gate appeared in the Golden Palace one day, and he felt the aura from the mortal world. He knew that the Golden Heaven Path had been activated, and a portal toward the mortal world had been opened. As he asked his men to send the message, he led a troop and came to the mortal world. It had been a long time since he returned to the mortal world, and it was only then he realized how filthy, lowly, and disgusting the mortal world had become. He lamented at the fact that he couldn't do anything he wanted here. After all, he still had to follow the rules, and even with the blessing of the Golden Heaven Path, he could only use 30% of his strength. That being said, he felt it was more than enough for him to deal with the things down here. When he learned that Jun Tianxi was defeated again, he scoffed sarcastically, and he was confident that the Immortal Lord wouldn't let him go easily this time. He was surprised to learn that there were so many things that happened in the mortal world, such as the invasion of devils from another dimension, the emergence of a powerful being, and the descent of people from other worlds. Although he was surprised, since he was here, he would be the one to lord over everything. After learning that the powerful being probably came from a small sect named Juyang sect in the eastern region, he felt strange but decided to come and destroy them first. As Jiang Ming read through his status, the Golden Heaven Path had appeared on top of the Juyang sect. The information Dong Yao had given Jiang Ming was too much. Just like Jun Tianxi, Dong Yao also came from the Morning Glory Immortal Palace, but he was merely an average commander. Jiang Ming felt uncomfortable with the relationship value of -92. Dong Yao was not his acquaintance. Hence the only explanation was that Dong Yao intended to massacre Juyang sect. Jiang Ming was disappointed and had been losing hope in the so-called immortal. After all, it was a world where strength was paramount throughout. Is the Golden Heaven Path a mere mark in Jun Tianxi's mind? Originally, it was a Tai immortal soldier. Tai is not that strong, yet it could connect the immortals and mortals? I wonder whether it's the projection of a mark that has absorbed the mortal's power? In fact, Jiang Ming was concerned about the capability of the Golden Heaven Path to form 3 golden territories and carry the heavenly immortal's energy. He pondered on the topic but to no avail. Hence, he decided not to dwell further on it. He entered the Supreme Chat group with just a thought, where he chatted occasionally. Jiang Ming, who's around? Exercising. And I think my back pain is killing me now. Group admin, if you are asking for my experience, then I'm absolutely the right person. I'm planning to kill a few to taste if you believe that I'll travel across worlds one day for you and to engulf you. Hehe. If we're to meet, you'll become one of my dishes on the table. After all, humans' cultivation speed is the fastest among the worlds. How can you compete with me when I've already stepped into level 10 and you are still hanging in level 10? By the way, group admin is the strongest. He was only level 5 when he joined this chat group. Now he's already level 10 and past 10 battle stages. This is fucking crazy and unbelievable. I'm now in the Supreme Pagoda. From the record on the battle stages stone tablet, yes, our group admin has replaced the first record holder. It's 10 stages, 10 stages. I can't believe it either. How can a man beat a level 13 with his cultivation base at level 10? What the heck? Tian Fozi, I'm in too. What the heck? Amitava Group Admin, are you the legendary innate saint spirit? Otherwise, how can you be such a prodigy? Group Admin, forever my idol. Ye Qingxian, having such a group admin, it's both our honor and melancholy. Yes, it's our honor to have met a prodigy beyond our common sense and imagination. On the other hand, it's our melancholy because the prodigy is too strong that none of us want to or even have the thought to compete with him. We are all geniuses here. We overwhelm our generation, overpowering the world, hence forging our will of invincibility. We can compete among ourselves but barely can compete against our group admin. Yang Ming, I'm just slightly stronger. Do stay calm, guys. Be calm, Fang Chenxi. Brother Group Admin is the mightiest. Brother Group Admin, so quickly, and you're in your level 10. I'll try to break through within these 2 days and then try how many stages I can pass at Jiang Ming. We're on the same path, so you'll at least pass 10 stages. Huntergesh, hee. I'm incomparable to you, but I think I can pass about 8 stages. 8 stages? Are you human? Someone like me who has passed only 3 stages is a mere newbie then.
Aoju, let's shake hands. We're both newbies.
I'm worse than a newbie.
Jiangming, hold on. I'd like to ask a question here.
Can the domain formed by the energy coming from the immortal world through the passage created by an immortal weapon carry energy beyond a mortal world?
I've heard Feng Wu talking about it before. It seems that a weapon beyond a certain level can form a domain in a mortal world.
Through the domain, it can release energy beyond the world's limit, but with great limitations. See, hold on a second, let me ask. OS Junchu, the form domain releases energy beyond the world's limit? What the fuck, how is it possible? In this case, the so-called immortal world can easily dominate any mortal world, isn't it? I've heard about it too, but I don't know the details. Group admin, don't tell me that immortals are invading your world? Yang Ming, I'm very unlucky. Aoju, oh my, group admin, you are strong enough to pass 10 stages, so have them all killed. So what if they're the immortals? Just have them all killed. I believe you can kill all beneath level 13 easily. Luo Heng, group admin, is it serious? If I'm to beg my master, I think I can get you a level 13 weapon but not level 14. Aoju, level 14 weapon. It's already considered the top-notch immortal weapon here in my world.
I found it, Chenxi. The weapon to create a passage connecting the immortal world and mortal world has to be at least a level 15 Tai immortal soldier and above.
Cultivation realms higher than level 10 are the level 11 heavenly immortal, level 12 true immortal, level 13 mystical immortal, level 14 golden immortal, and level 15 Tai golden immortal. The weapon refined by a Tai golden immortal can be known as the Tai immortal soldier. For such an immortal weapon to create a passage connecting the immortal world and mortal world, there must be coordinates, and it requires enormous immortal energy. By the standard of a Tai golden immortal, it's 1/3 of their immortal origin that's needed. Moreover, such a strong Tai golden immortal usually won't pay attention to the mortal world at all, let alone creating a passage. If someone from the mortal world has the ability to act as a receiver, then less energy will be spent. A domain can be conjured using an immortal weapon. The domain is also known as a Dao domain, forbidden domain, immortal land, etc., and can carry anyone with a cultivation realm higher than the maximum a mortal world can carry. Yes, just a cultivation realm higher. It's the universe's limitation and also the silver lining. The silver lining for both immortals and mortals Dongfang Chenxi in general. Invading a mortal world is to create a passage to the targeted mortal world and send Dao weapons over to overwhelm the world before setting up a great formation. To refine the entire mortal world has an insuppressible, terrifying Shenxi. Nevertheless, it's very rare that someone would use a Tai immortal soldier to create a passage because it's a must to have coordinates. Whenever it happens, it means that the mortal world has an insuppressible, terrifying force through general means. Of course, it may also mean that the mortal world has certain secrets. Oh yeah. The number of people that can descend on a mortal world usually doesn't exceed 100 immortal.
Zhongfang Chenxi.
Brother Group Admin, that's all I know.
Chenxi, thanks.
If the item used to create the passage is greater than the Tai immortal soldier, does it allow someone even stronger to descend?
Jiangming, this is great.
By the way, can such a passage send a mortal to the immortal world? Dongfang Chenxi. Yes, but the mortal must be protected by someone at least in the golden immortal realm. Otherwise, the mortal will be scattered by the ascending law. Besides, the greater the number of people sent through the passage, the greater the limitation prevents Qi Gang Ming. The Grand Path law gives hope and, at the same time, prevents cheating. The Grand Path is fair and square after all. Brother Group Admin, in fact, whenever an item is used to open up the passage, it usually means that the mortal world has a terrific attraction, attracting the immortal to conspire for it. What's more terrifying is that they'd send infinite Dao weapons to flood the mortal world or transfer the mortal world into a wasteland so that the mortal world would lose its protection from the Grand Path. Yangming Wasteland, Dao Weapons, Dongfang Chenxi. A wasteland is formed when a mortal world's core is destroyed or is turned into a subsidiary space, paradise space, etc. Examples of Dao weapons are puppets of level 11 and below. Jiangming, got it. Dongfang Chenxi, hee. Based on your current pathway, cultivation realm and strength, I don't think you should be worrying. How can I destroy the passage? You just need to wipe out the imprinted coordinates and destroy the gateway. Yangming. But that's the power of Tai Immortal Soldier. Dongfang Chenxi. In a mortal world, provided you have level 11 strength, you can destroy it. Otherwise, who in the mortal world can resist the invasion? Yangming, you're right. Dongfang Chenxi, Brother Group Admin, do you need any support? Yangming, not for now. Okay, Brother Group Admin, don't hesitate to tell me whenever you need help. I'll prepare Dao weapons, Golden Immortal weapons, and Tai Immortal soldiers in advance for you. Yangming Chenxi, thanks. You'll be the first one I'll go to whenever I need help.
Sister Chenxi, your brother I need golden immortal weapons and Tai immortal soldiers too.
Beware that I'll request my dad to curse you.
Whenever you are, I'll make sure that your entire body is secreting pussies.
Oh my, I'm shivering as a chill runs down my spine. Chenxi, you're too cruel. Jiangming, I shall go to confront the war.
Then, I'll make time for us to gather in the Supreme Pagoda. Jiangmi redrew his consciousness. As he looked at the Golden Heaven Path which was now above the Juyang sect, he smirked. You have your immortal world, but I have all the worlds. It's merely a piece of cake to learn about you. I shall slaughter immortals today. He ended his sentence with high spirits. Golden rays of light formed a Golden Heaven Path that stretched diagonally into the void. Dong Yao, riding on a Pegasus, was leading a team of 50 immortal soldiers. The fleet marched on with pride as their imposing aura loomed through the air. They stood on the Golden Heaven Path, looking down at the Juyang sect below, aloof and indifferent. Suddenly, an abyss-like imposing aura poured down from above, forming a storm that could destroy anything in its path. It led to a celestial change with lightning and thunder as the dark clouds ensued. The only thing that never changed was the shining bright luminance from the Golden Heaven Path. However, when the imposing aura came down on Juyang sect, it immediately dissipated. Sure enough, there's something about this place. Dong Yao's eyes shone brightly as he swept up and down through Juyang sect. His gaze finally stopped at Chuyang Peak and paced through the Golden Heaven Path and reached the mid-air of Chuyang Peak. Already an imminent immortal are you? It's still considered to be rare in this small mortal world. He stared at Zi Linglong. Kneel before me. Who do you think you are, asking me to kneel? Zi Linglong replied indifferently as a sword appeared on her hands. It was an immortal level weapon, something that Spatial Junior's sister acquired during a great encounter and ended up in the hands of her original self. At that moment, the experts from each peak of Juyang sect looked into the sky with an ugly expression. Immortals were great encounters? No one was stupid, as they could clearly see the hostility in the eyes of this so-called immortal. You feeble human, disrespecting an immortal is akin to disrespecting heaven and earth, disrespecting power, disrespecting the great Dao. Your soul must be decimated. Dong Yao was not annoyed, as his voice was just calm and indifferent. This Juyang sect here will sink along with you. Swoosh. As soon as he waved his hands, numerous glitter of lights started falling from the sky, a total of 36 of them. As these glittery lights fell on the Golden Heaven Path, they swelled up and turned into mannequins where each of them had the aura of an imminent immortal expert. The mannequins held onto their swords and directly launched their attack at Chuyang sect. Can you handle him? Jiangming asked. No problem at all. Zi Linglong replied as she immediately launched her attack. She rose into the air and the immortal sword on her hands burst out rays of light. Its attack speed rose to a limit, fending off all 36 of the immortal mannequins, sending them flying across the back of the mountains, with no other signs of movement left. Soul, Spirit Sword, and the Spirit Slaying Light. Dong Yao finally had a change in his expression. I never expected that such a level of Sword Dao's special ability would exist in this mortal world. War mannequins have strong physiques and are endowed with special abilities which make them extremely difficult to deal with. The only flaw they have is that its spirituality is too weak, but it is also protected by a forbidden law defensive mechanism. Even if it's a flaw, it is also the part where the defense is the strongest. I never expected you to have such a special ability that can attack directly into the spiritual wisdom core, destroying it in one blow. Jiyang sect is a lowly sect and yet was able to nurture such a genius like you. It seems that the Jiyang sect isn't as simple as it seems. I've now confirmed that you are the anomaly, hence you shall perish. Dong Yao was very decisive. With a tap of the halberd in his hands, the whole Golden Heaven Path trembled slightly and golden luminance that was on it flowed throughout like mercury, polluting the void and seeping into the great earth. It quickly spread out with Juyang sect as its center. Jiangming transmitted his voice and told her about the Golden Heaven Path that could evoke a domain, and finally asked, "Girl, They will soon become serious, and all of them will emit the power of the heavenly immortal realm. Do you still want to try it yourself? I can still handle it if there's only 1 or 2 of them. But there's too many of them. I might still have a chance if the 9 of my clones attack at the same time. Zi Linglong was a little surprised at how Jiang Ming knew about the existence of the domain but still helplessly replied to him. With her clone's cultivation being in different realms, she had no confidence to fight against 50 heavenly immortals at all. Senior brother, can you handle them then? Zi Linglong asked him back. Just relax. Yang Ming nodded. At that very moment, experts from all of the great forces in the Tianyu world were looking over to see what was happening. Qingyun sect of the eastern region. Sure enough, there's something going on with Zhuyang sect. King Fengzi looked over to the direction of Zhuyang sect with a very solemn expression. Immortals descending into the mortal world. This is a catastrophe. A true catastrophe at that. The immortals should just be staying high up in the 9 heavens. Once they descend into the mortal realm, they are more of a devil than the devil itself. You are just exaggerating it. The Holy Lord smiled bitterly. Hey, Qing Fengzi shook his head. As the Holy Lord, don't you know about the essence of the world? This is a dog-eat-dog world. Immortals who stayed aloof naturally occupied the commanding heights. With their absolute power, they can do whatever they want in this world. Who dares to resist them? Those who resist will be the devil. If it's the devil that descends into the mortal world, at least it can encourage the forces all over the world to be united and fight back together. What you just said is the truth, but when you look at the current situation, they are here to destroy the Zhuyang sect, which we are more than happy to see it happens. Yet it's still saddening to see one of the humans perish. There was a moment of pure silence. So many doubts were popping out in their minds. How did this golden heaven path form? How did the immortals descend into the mortal world? None of them understood what happened, and they could only watch them unfold, on top of a mountain in the high province. Have they finally started? I guess I'll be making my move as well. The Devil King smiled, and with a thought of his mind, the undercovers that he had planted over the great lands immediately spun into action. This mortal world. Finally, it's time to turn it upside down. Immortal region. Immortal region. Haha. Jiang sect, could it be it's really there? The Devil King couldn't stop pondering while the whole Qing province was painted gold by the bright light. In Jiang Ming's eyes, he could see that even the world's origin was completely suppressed under the luminance of the golden lights. All the power of laws retreated, and there was only a type of supreme Tao that shrouded the entire place. So this is the immortal law, Jiang Ming thought to himself. In the air above, Dong Yao landed his Pegasus, and the immortal soldiers who followed him still stayed in midair, right behind him. Your face still remains indifferent even when the situation is already like this. Great courage, I must say. Dong Yao glanced at the 2 of them, sighing indifferently. He then pointed his halberd at the 2 and howled, "Kill them, and then level the entire Zhuyang sect. Kill each and every one in them. Spare no mercy." Immortals, huh? Jiang Ming merely smiled, and with a simple thought, the power of Saint Province Dao Square spread out in an instant, forming a forbidden region, isolating everything from the outside world. This power, the immortal soldiers who were about to make a move paused for a moment, with their faces full of shock. Even Dong Yao's expression had changed as he shouted, "Why do I feel a type of overbearing supreme power? This is merely a mortal world. This is impossible." "Nothing is impossible," Jiang Ming muttered, raising his palm and grasping onto the air in front of him. The immense Dao energy turned into a storm that could destroy anything it touches. This led Dong Yao and the other immortals to be stunned stiff as their faces were filled with an incomprehensible fear. Boom. The storm then simply shattered. All 50 of the immortals, including Dong Yao, were dead in an instant. Not even the Pegasus was left. However, all of the immortal soldiers were still fine. If your combat ability does not exceed mine by 100-fold, I am the master here. Yet if you want to exceed my combat ability by 100-fold, then I'm afraid you'll have to reach the golden immortal realm here then. But can the golden immortals even descend here? Jiang Ming simply smiled. However, Zi Linglong, who was right beside him, was shocked out of breath. She knew senior brother was strong and extremely strong at that. Yet she never expected him to be so strong to such an extent. Those were immortals. The one leading them was even of the true immortal realm, and he must also be carrying a defensive immortal weapon with him. Coupled with the Pegasus, how powerful was he? Yet, he just perished with a simple grasp of senior brother's hand. Not to mention there were another 50 immortal soldiers with heavenly immortal realm. I've already been so honest about everything with my senior brother, communicating so intimately with him every day. Yet why do I feel that he has more and more secrets? Xing Linglong's face flashed a wry smile, thinking that she was going to protect her senior brother for the rest of her life, yet now it seemed that she, who was a reincarnated peerless character, still needed the protection of her senior brother. Zi Linglong mentally prepared herself a little for it, yet Shi Yao, who was standing silently behind Jiang Ming through the whole incident, was already stunned at her feet. Are these really the immortals? Shi Yao felt as though she was dreaming. Jiang Ming looked over at the furthest end of the golden heaven path and saw a golden gate at the end. Return of Infinite Law Finger. Without any hesitation, he smashed the golden gate into smithereens with just a finger. The golden color that shrouded the entire King province disappeared without a trace as though it was an illusion. The whole incident was like a dream. It happened so fast and ended so fast. Up on the mountain of the High Province, the Devil King saw Dong Yao landed on the Chuyang Peak and just disappeared without a trace. Even with his pair of godly visions, he couldn't see what was happening inside, and this really surprised him. Immediately afterwards, a finger flew out of Chuyang Peak, smashed the Golden Gate, and the Golden Heaven path simply disappeared. The Devil King's vision was extraordinary that he could see how terrific that finger was as he muttered to himself. That finger, merging 99 Taos of the mortal realm, allowed this special ability to be empowered to such a terrifying extent. So, are they all dead? What in the world is the Juyang sect hiding? They killed more than 50 immortals in such a short period of time. This time, the Devil Lord was really surprised, but he was not alone. Even Qing Fengzi of the Qingyun sect, Lao Ti of the Infinite Alchemy Pavilion, Liu Changkong of the Tianyun School, and many more were all in disbelief. Dong Yao and his men disappeared without a trace just as they landed on Chuyang sect. They were isolated from sight, and the rest immediately ensued. There was only one explanation. Dong Yao and his men were all killed. 50 or more immortals dead just like that? What was Juyang sect actually hiding? Over in the western region, the few great Buddha were shocked at first, but quickly turned ecstatic. The secret of the world is in Juyang sect. Now that we have confirmed our target, everything will be easier to handle. Easier to handle. 50 or so immortals were killed just now. The Golden Heaven path was smashed into smithereens as well. With power as strong to such an extent, how is this easier to handle? Now that we've confirmed the target, we can just arrange it in a targeted manner. If worse comes to worse, then we'll just... The few great Buddha suddenly just fell silent. On top of Quyang Peak, Yang Ming pointed his finger and the world monitoring mirror appeared. He sensed some changes just now, but didn't have the time to check on it. It was only then that he took the mirror out and noticed in one part of the mirror, a large number of abnormal light spots appeared. Other newcomers? No. Newcomers wouldn't be so dense, nor would they be in such a huge number. If so, the only possibility would be that the world's gate has opened. Upon coming to such a conclusion, Jiang Ming had the urge to start cursing. God damn it. I haven't even finished dealing with the problem there, and there's another new problem popping out yet again. Now that I've made my move, I guess I'll just kill them to my content. Jiang Ming was inexplicably enraged. Sect reappeared in the world yet again. This time the immortal soldier and the likes of Dong Yao were nowhere to be seen. Immediately, mist started rising and the great formation that was initially suppressed by the Golden Heave path started to evoke again, blocking off line of sight. Brother Jiang, am I dreaming? Shi Yao still had not come out of her shock as she grabbed onto Jiang Ming's arm as her warm breath exhaled onto his arm. Are you trying to take this opportunity to take advantage of my senior brother? Ling Long grabbed Xi Yao's hands off him as she kneaded and pinched her. It's really soft and boneless. Xi Yao's face turned red as she quickly pulled out her hand and harumphed. You perverted lady. Yang Ming ignored the two, turned around and disappeared without a trace. He teleported away, arriving in the submerged dragon continent. What was in front of him were mountains of different heights, rivers and ravines across the horizons. Birds could be seen soaring in the skies and beasts fighting in their natural habitat. There wasn't anything unusual about the place. Jiang Ming swept his hand mid-air, slashing the void in front of him, bringing a whole new world into revelation. Thick demonic fog rolled through the area, and the grounds were pitch black. There were all kinds of demons roaming around, each giving an eerie aura yet were powerful nonetheless. He noticed a few of the demons pouring some sort of black liquid into the gullies. These black liquids were like living creatures that quickly drilled into the grounds. As Jiang Ming's eyes shone, he discovered that the places that were infected by these liquids no longer had the breath that the lands of the mortal world was supposed to have, but instead gave off the power of the abyss. These aura of the abyss were rapidly rising. Are they trying to turn this place into a demonic domain? Jiang Ming was shocked. In a far distance, there was a huge spatial gateway where demons of all kinds swarming in and out like tidal waves. Roughly estimating, there were already as many as 10 millions of these demons spreading across the hills with varying strengths. He saw a 100 feet tall demon standing right next to the gateway. Jiang Ming quickly opened up the human path record. Name He Luoli race. Abyssal Devil Troll Clan. Gender male. Cultivation base level 11. Heavenly Immortal Realm. Background: the underlings of the Blood Red Abyss. Small Chiliocosm's third Devil King relationship. -98 innate talent. Immortal status. Currently following the orders of the third Devil King Shu Tao to guard the gateway. When he first came over to demonize this mortal world, he gazed around. When he saw that this was just a planar world, he was shocked, wondering why would the Devil King choose to demonize such a small mortal world. After all, the cost of completely demonizing the little world with the origin source of the abyss is too much of a consumption and will not be enough to be compensated. He's afraid that the Devil King's thousands of years of accumulation will be exhausted in just one go, hence he couldn't believe it. What kind of secret is hidden in this mortal world? Who was the one who opened up the gateway to cross worlds? Why is there the scent of the Devil King? Legend has it that the Devil King left an imprint somewhere in the mortal world. Could it be that this is the world? What secret can there even be in a mortal world? Could it be that the Devil King wants to merge this world into the abyss, or rather devour it? But that can't be. Even if the Devil King devours this world, it is of little use to him. Demonizing the lands here already is sufficient for it to cater to the power of the Sky Devil, so why continue doing so? Could it be that we're trying to bring forth the true demon, or maybe the demon general? No. Even if the Devil King has boundless resources, he won't be able to demonize the world and bring upon the demon general. Upon reading through the status, Jiang Ming felt restless. What secret does the mortal world actually hold? There's first the Golden Heaven Path, and now even the Devil King from small Chiliocosm did not hesitate to exhaust their boundless resources to bring upon demonization to this world. He was puzzled, really puzzled by all this. However, he noticed something important. That was, the Devil King Shu Tao seemed to be determined on taking over Tianyun world. Blood Red Abyss, small Chiliocosm. Why does this seem so familiar? Oh, I remember. The demonic invasion that took place over at the northern region was also from this small Chiliocosm, but it was the 9th Devil King's underling that time. This group today belongs to the 3rd Devil King. To think that they came from the same world. Could it be that the secret of the mortal world had something to do with their world? How are the abyss divided, though? Jiang Ming suppressed his thoughts as he could not wait any longer. Once more and more Sky Devils and True Demons descended, then it would be even more of a problem. As for the Sky Devils and the True Demons, Yang Ming also learned from his chat group's friends that they were a division of the demonic domain corresponding to the Heavenly Immortal and the True Immortal, where Demon General corresponded to the Immortal General, both of the mystical immortal realm. Ripples started to form in the void as immeasurable pressure descended onto the land. It was the world projection. With a simple thought, Jiang Ming evoked the projection as boundless lights instantly rained down, cleansing and purifying all evil, demonic energy and darkness. The power of world projection suppressed all of the demonic energy that transformed the land. The demons collapsed one after another as though there was a bottomless mountain pressing down on them, and when the lights shined on them, loud shrieks could be heard before they turned into wisps of black smoke, disappearing without a trace. The light purifies and restrains demonic cultivations. Right next to the gateway. How can there be such a strong power in this world? The devil troll Hai Luoli was shocked, and what made him even more unbelievable was that he was almost unable to move a muscle under the suppression of the world projection. It was simply unbelievable. Hai Luoli hurriedly evoked his demonic blood, burned through his essence, trying to break free and escape through the gateway. Perish. How would Jiang Ming allow his wish to come true? He bombarded him with the unlimited killing punch. Energizing with the power of his inner world allowed his punch to greatly exceed the limits of a human being. The moment he landed onto the gateway on impact, the gateway which was forged by the Devil King clone instantly shattered. We're finished. Devil Troll Hai Luoli had a face of despair. The expressions on the other 80 Sky Devils were also of extreme desperation. Who in the world are you? Devil Troll Hai Luoli asked while looking at Jiang Ming, who was shrouded in bright light. On top of his head, demonic flames were ignited, twisting the void as he tried to break free from the world projection suppression. What a strong devil. It's no weaker than a true immortal already. Jiang Ming's eyes lit up. In order to avoid any incident, he had the level 14 immortal weapon Universe Furnace that was suppressing in his inner world to release a wisp of immortal energy, which completely suppressing Hai Luoli, rendering him unable to move one bit. Immediately after, the Universe Furnace suddenly appeared, floating on top of them. As the furnace turned upside down, it released a powerful suction, swallowing the Devil Troll Hai Luoli and the other 80 Sky Devils whole, suppressing them inside. Jiang Ming did not leave immediately, and continued to maintain the world projection to evoke the power of light, quickly cleansing and purifying the demonic region. Slowly, the power of mortal law returned to the land, and the suppressed world's origin started to operate again. It didn't take long for the area to be completely purified. It was also at that moment Jiang Ming suddenly felt a burst of clarity in his heart, as his comprehension of the world's origin and the operation of law rose to an even greater level. There was also a kind of intimate aura gathering before him from various parts of the world. Is this destiny? Jiang Ming raised his head and had a sudden clear comprehension of what had transpired. Save the world and you would receive the blessing from heaven and earth. From now on, he would have boundless luck, the ability to turn bad luck into good luck, and also receive the blessing of heaven in this planar world. If it was the old me, I would be very happy, but now, Jiang Ming shook his head. He no longer cared for it. The things that this mortal world could provide him no longer sparks his interest. After keeping away all the trophies he got from the devils, Jiang Ming started to write on the human path record. With his mind as the pen and his spirit aiding his mind, he wrote, Blood Red Abyss Small Chiliocosm's Third Devil King Shu Tao. The persons was written in incredible detail and without any accidents. The details were shown below. Name, Shu Tao. Race, Shuemo Clan. Gender, Male. Cultivation base, Level 14. Devil King, Golden Immortal Realm. Background, Blood Red Abyss Small Chiliocosm's Third Devil King. Relationship, -72 innate. Talent, Immortal status. In ancient times there was a blood-colored lake in the demonic domain which gave birth to a large number of Shumo. He coincidentally swallowed a droplet of blood that had boundless strength which made him grow and evolve rapidly. He ended up devouring all the other Shumo that were in the lake. Ultimately, he devoured even the blood-colored lake and gave himself a name, with Shu as his surname and Tao as his name, Shu Tao. As the bloody waves loom, it would surely sweep through the demon abyss in the heavens. Upon leaving his birthplace, he started to conquer the demonic lands. Through carnage, devouring, and growing in a land filled with bloodshed, he had life and death battles for tens of thousands of years before he became the Devil King of a new era. He never continued to grow up until he became the third Devil King standing at the pinnacle of this demonic land. He also knew a lot of secrets. For example, the place that he was in was just a small chiliocosm called the Blood Red Abyss, and that Blood Red Abyss belonged to the boundless demonic domain. There is a passage that connects the places together, which he secretly used to go into the boundless demonic domain. But he later returned with severe injury in just 10 days' time. Fortunately, the non-native demons find it hard to descend into their world. He spent his following years constantly sneaking into higher and higher levels of the demonic region to commit bloodshed in search of an opportunity to break through. 100,000 years, 1,000,000 years, 10 million years, and slowly billion years had passed. After witnessing how grand and magnificent the battlefield was and also watching Devil Kings falling like the rain, his desire to break through started corroding his mind. Upon reaching this stage, or cultivation, the next step forward will be even harder, much harder than breaking through the skies. It seems as though his potential had been exhausted. Just as he was about to join a new demon emperor and exchange his credit for further opportunities to improve himself, the ninth Devil King angered him. Just when he was about to beat him to death, the ninth Devil King revealed a secret. Somewhere in the mortal world there are hidden secrets that allows the Devil King to improve further in cultivation, and that he had already set up a demonic inheritance there. He believed the news when the ninth Devil King swore on it. After pondering for a long time, he accumulated 9 seeds that were infused with his own demonic spirit and used the coordinate that the ninth Devil King provided to barely tear a tiny opening in the world, throwing the 9 seeds as an investment for the future. Tens of millions of years ago, one of the demonic seeds had matured and he found clues about the world containing a certain great secret. He then collected various rare materials, forged an interdimensional gateway, and allowed a great number of demons to descend. Just when it looked like he was about to completely take over the mortal world, an immortal gateway opened up and the Buddha descended. It was a huge battle that even caused the sun to fall, the sea to run dry, and destroyed more than half of humanity. The land towards the east was shattered and a huge part of it submerged into the deep sea. In the end, he was defeated and the demonic spirit clone was killed. The incident strengthened the Devil King's idea of seizing the opportunity over in this world. After all, it was much safer than the bloodshed in the higher level world. When the last demonic spirit matured, formed a clone, and opened up another interdimensional gateway, he depleted billions of years of accumulated resources to demonize the mortal world, regardless of the cost. He was determined to succeed this time. Unfortunately, he still fell short in the end. Devil King Shu Tao. Damn it. Why is there such a powerful being hidden in such a small little world? Not only did he destroy the ninth Devil King's arrangement, annihilate the immortals who descended on the Golden Heaven path, but he also destroyed my demonic land. I've sent over 81 sky devils, and among them were Hai Luoli, who was comparable to a true devil. A whole hundreds of millions of years' effort going down the drain just like that. Fortunately, the demonic spiritual clone is now hidden somewhere. If it was killed, then I'll join hands with the ninth Devil King to destroy this mortal world and see what secrets lie beneath it. Upon reading through the status, Jiang Ming's heart sank. To think that the world was actually targeted by 2 Devil Kings. Devil Kings were akin to the Golden Immortals. It seemed that the Blood Red Abyss was not an independent existence, but whether the infinite demon abyss that it was part of was considered a middle chiliocosm or a great chiliocosm was uncertain. The source of the demonic Tao inheritance has finally been found. Jiang Ming was speechless. The status display on the human path record had not ended yet, and the current status of the Devil King's clone appeared below. It was very simple. After a certain person cultivated into the extreme path realm, the demonic spirit had awakened and taken over the person's body. After learning of the series of events that took place in the Tianyuan continent, He didn't dare to reveal himself but instead went over to the submerged dragon continent to finish forging the interdimensional gateway and hid himself after. Coincidentally, the Golden Heaven path appeared, and he took this opportunity to evoke the interdimensional gateway, thinking that it would be quite some time before their battles ended. Never did he think that the incomparably arrogant immortal soldiers could be destroyed with just a flick. Devil King's clone. I will just continue hiding for another 10, hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of years. After this unknown Zhuyang sect expert ascends into the higher realm, I will initiate my plans yet again. As for the secret, now that I know it's within Zhuyang sect, there's nowhere to run. Can he even hide from me? Upon reading, Jiang Ming simply sneered. King's clone. It was on a mountain peak in High Province of the Eastern region. It took Yang Ming a simple teleportation to arrive. You actually found me. The Devil King's clone had a face of dismay. My aura is the same as the locals and I've cut off all connections to the outside world, yet how could you possibly find me? That's simple, Jiang Ming said with a smile. I am the natural laws of heavens. Natural laws of heavens? The Devil King's clone was confused. What trickery is this? It means I'm this world's Tao incarnation, the manifestation of the source, a collection of the wills of all beings. Yang Ming sat down and gestured for him to sit with him as well. Let's talk, shall we? The Devil King's clone sat down subconsciously and asked, Tao incarnation, origin manifestation, will of the beings. What you just mentioned are laws, and it's impossible for laws to give birth to a will of its own. He paused for a moment before his eyes suddenly lit up. Could it be you've taken over the world's origin? You can put it that way, I guess. Jiang Ming's smile became even brighter. It's no wonder that you're so powerful already but still haven't ascended into the higher realm. It's no wonder that you can easily find those who have descended from another world. Taking over the world's origin, you are able to thoroughly see through the entire heaven and earth. The Devil King's clone had a face filled with amazement. Where did you actually come from? The Devil King's clone's status wrote, This guy is toying with me. Taking over the world's origin? He's just pulling my legs. The world's origin is the congregation of laws, the accumulation of the will of all living beings. Trying to take over when your strength is weak and your own will be shattered into pieces. If you are too strong, you could simply just refine the world and there would be no point in taking over it already. Could it be that this guy doesn't have a clue about my background? Otherwise, how could he try to fool me with such a poor excuse? Jiang Ming's mouth twitched upon seeing the status. To think that he didn't manage to fool him, he thought this guy he was facing was quite a good actor himself. Alas, you clone, you won't believe me even when I say it. Shu Tao, you feeble devil king from the blood-red abyss, disturbing my peaceful life, you should be killed. Yang Ming preached in an old-fashioned manner. Upon hearing this, the Devil King's clone suddenly jumped up, pointing at Jiang Ming and asked in disbelief, How do you know about my identity as a clone? I even know you are of the Shuemo race. Now sit down. Jiang Ming pointed towards the ground with a harsh, unopposable tone. The Devil King's clone suddenly burst into rage yet felt his head numb from the shock and sat down tangled. What exactly are you? I'm from the primitive chaotic world. Do you know where that is? Jiang Ming asked. Primitive chaotic world. Never heard of it. The clone frowned. Such petty, narrow-minded being. In the chaotic world, there's a verdant lotus of destiny of the 36th ranking, the treasured artifact of the chaotic world, giving birth to the ancient heavenly king Pangu. At the same time, there were also 3,000 chaotic demon gods given birth concurrently. As though caught up in his memory, Jiang Ming slowly continued. Pangu was born with his hand holding onto the heavenly artifact Pangu axe, and on the top of his head were jaded butterflies that was imbued with 3,000 strands of the chaotic Tao. He then massacred the 3,000 chaotic demon gods, split apart the chaotic world and formed a great chiliocosm. Forming a great chiliocosm. God, that's impossible. The clone nearly leapt up in shock with his eyes staring widely at Jiang Ming. That's the great chiliocosm. How can a great chiliocosm be formed? It's impossible. To think that you still don't believe me when I say you're narrow-minded. Jiang Ming sneered in contempt. At the beginning of the world, there were countless innate holy beings born, with the dragons, phoenix, and Kirin as the three main races. The three battled ceaselessly, trying to take over the world. Later, the ancestral demon was born and wiped out the three races. In order to prove his own Tao, he fought with the ancestral Tao but was defeated, dying a tragic death. The Devil King's clone opened his mouth but in the end didn't argue, and continued listening quietly. Jiang Ming continued speaking slowly while closely monitoring the human path record, hoping to derive some new content into the clone's status. He talked about the Great Lich War, the sixth great saint overbearing the world, and how someone was conferred God in the mortal world, etc. Ever heard of these then? Jiang Ming finally asked. The Devil King's clone was dumbfounded from the stories. He didn't want to believe him, yet this small person sitting in front of him told so many details that it didn't look fake at all. Never. The clone shook. Never heard of it at all. I know that the current highest level realm is overlooked by the various immortal emperors. There aren't any of these so-called six saints at all. Jiang Ming's eyes gleamed and knew the clone wasn't lying when he saw his status. However, Jiang Ming discovered Pangyu's axe, 9 reincarnation mysterious technique and many more from the heavenly reincarnation hall, which led him to a terrifying guess. Still the arrogant feeble devil king, Jiang Ming muttered. Tell me a little about the current infinite demon abyss then. All right. The clone nodded and continued. The infinite demon abyss consists of countless levels, levels upon levels like a beehive. It's exactly opposite standing with the immortal realm. Continue. That's all I know. I didn't understand much. Continue. All right, all right. The clone showed a face of despair but still nodded. At that very moment, he suddenly burst into action, with his hands condensing a small pointed edge, ramming straight at Jiang Ming's forehead, but his body froze all of a sudden. The power of imprisonment made it difficult for him to move. Such feeble little devil trying to play tricks in front of me. Jiang Ming sneered. I wanted to let you live longer, but since you're looking for your death, I'll fulfill your wish, suppressing me with only the world projection. You're amazing, kid. But no matter the case, I won't believe your so-called Pangyu pioneering worlds and the other nonsense. You're just trying to snoop about the abyss from me. And why would I allow your wishful thinking? The clone sneered as well before coldly announced, I'm the Devil King. Even if it's just a clone of myself, I possess supreme power. With my demonic soul, I curse you with bad luck. Before being able to finish his sentence, he burst into smithereens, dying on the spot. However, the curse was still casted onto Jiang Ming as he could clearly feel it. Jiang Ming's face turned serious, ready to evoke the level 14 immortal weapon, Universe Sword. The human path record that was floating by his side suddenly trembled and the curse dissipated into thin air. This item is the greatest of all. With a sigh, Jiang Ming teleported back to where he came from. High atop Chuyang Peak. Senior brother, did you solve it? As soon as he reappeared, Linglong went straight up to hug his arm and observed him from head to toe. There's nothing your senior brother cannot handle in this mortal world. Jiang Ming pinched her chin and gave her a peck. You're just bragging. Linglong pouted. Try dominating all the holy daughters of the sacred lands if you dare then. You really allow me to? Of course. Hehe. I'm afraid you will castrate me. Meh. You're just worried you can't withstand them. Nonsense. The two continued whispering to each other. Fortunately, Shi Yao left for the time being. Otherwise, her face would have definitely been blushed right down to her neck. Jiang Ming casually pointed with his fingers, taking out the universe furnace. He released He Luoli and the other 80 sky devils and suppressed them with the power of his domain. Linglong's pupil shrank upon seeing this and asked, Senior brother, are these demons, over sky devil to be exact? Jiang Ming continued, wait till I enslave them and place them over the mountain peaks to be the mountain's protector. Then we won't have to be the one doing everything. I regret very much now that we killed those immortal soldiers. Won't it be better if we just kept them alive? Hehe, senior brother, you still feel like eating them up? It's quite sad what happened to the Pegasus though. Linglong laughed and seriously asked, Senior brother, since these are sky devils, can they be completely enslaved? Let me try. Jiang Ming wasn't sure either. With his extraordinary mind and will, he evoked the power of the world's origin and at the same time mobilized the power of the Saint Province Dao Square, aiming at a demon to forcefully evoke a special ability, erasing his will and planting a soul imprint in him. The whole process was almost effortless. The relationship of the demon soared straight to 100. Completely loyal with its soul bonded as a slave, its life and death could be determined with just a simple thought from Jiang Ming. After 3 whole days, he finally finished enslaving all of the captured demons. Even so, Jiang Ming was nearly exhausted to death from this. It was fortunate the result was perfect. As he waved his hands, the 81 sky devils turned into light, landed on the edge of the cliffs, turning into stone statues and stood in silence. From now on, they will be the guardians of the Zhuyang sect. Girl, if you need anything, just ask them for help, but it's only limited to the vicinity of the sect. Once they step out, I'm afraid they will be forced to ascend to higher realms. Yang Ming reminded Linglong, brother, you're still the best. Linglong said sincerely and asked, will they escape your control? As long as they are in the mountains, absolutely not. As for leaving Zhuyang sect, it wouldn't be much of a problem either. However, if they were able to return to the demonic realm, Jiang Ming no longer had the confidence, for there were many other strong experts in the demonic realm. Jiang Ming swayed softly, resting on the reclining chair. Junior sister came over with a fruit bowl, placed a slice of orange in front of his mouth and asked, Senior brother, do you no longer care about the great Zhou dynasty anymore? There's no longer the need to. Jiang Ming answered, when the Golden Heaven Path appeared, it destroyed the royal palace. Who knows how many princes were killed in the incident, and not to mention the casualties of those royalty that were hidden deep within the palace. After the last great catastrophe, the resources of the great Zhou royal family may have been exhausted. Occupying the best territory without the corresponding strength, their ending is sealed, that is, ending up divided by the other forces. You're right. Linglong nodded and lay down on his laps. Senior brother, Initially, I didn't want to evoke the heavenly order because I'm afraid that I might accidentally break through into the imminent immortal realm and ascend into higher realm. But you also said it yourself that as long as we are in the mountains, we can break through into the imminent immortal realm without ascending. Those sky devils can be examples, so I don't want to wait further. According to my estimation, I'm afraid that my true self and the clones have to go together and I don't know how long I'll stay there. I'm also reluctant to part with you. I'm really conflicted now. Will there be dangers? Jiang Ming asked as he turned serious. It's the inheritance of a heavenly being and will probably be extraordinary. There shouldn't be any. Do you really want to go? I'm tangled as well. But if I don't improve myself quickly, I won't be able to keep up with your footsteps, senior brother. If you can't keep up, so be it. You're not worried that I might bully you, are you? I'm afraid you'll find a harem yourself. Haha. Once you leave, you won't be able to control me anymore. Except Shi Yao then. She's of good temperament as well. When I leave, she'll be able to satisfy your cravings. Can't leave your lust pent up, can we? Jiang Ming spurted a mouthful of tea. Before leaving, the 10 junior sisters accompanied Jiang Ming in his room for a month before coming out. Jiang Ming's face had turned pale, but Ling Long was full of smiles. She evoked the heavenly order, originally wanting to send a clone over to test it out, but ended up with her own body and the other 10 clones to be sucked away into it. Jiang Ming sighed in his heart and hurriedly looked up the human path record, closely monitoring his junior sister's movement. At the same time, he sensed the spiritual prayer from Fifth Immortal Moon that she had accepted a SS-grade mission and was getting ready to descend. Tao sat quietly in an ancient great hall, yet the atmosphere was depressing to the extreme. Even the witches who served him all knelt to his right and left, shivering in fear. I've exhausted all my resources, conjured up a demonic land, and even sent 81 sky devils over in a short while. Yet, all my plans failed in just a glimpse of an eye. The mortal world that was supposed to be my place of great encounter. How can I fail? His strength has already far exceeded the limits of the mortal world. He was comparable to even the true demon. No, even the ordinary true demon might not stand a chance against him. Yet how can he still stay in the mortal world for such a long time? Could it be that he is a 1 in 100 million years genius? Whatever the case is, the normal methods are of no use anymore. So, should I go there myself to seek it? I can. Even with my strength crossing through endless torrents of space-time and illusory lands, my chance of survival is close to none. How can I deal with this? Devil King Shu Tao pondered. Eventually, he got down to 3 conclusions. 1. To first form an alliance with many other Devil Kings and make their next move together. 2. To wait for a great change in the mortal world, and that peerless figure to ascend to higher realm. 3rd, to head on over to the infinite demon abyss and serve up the great encounters in the supreme immortal world. Immortal-like luminance shone brightly as the rainbow hung high, entwined by the purple clouds. It really served as a foil to the immortal palace that was right in the middle, with extreme beauty and an overwhelming feeling of nobility. There was a young man that sat in the middle of the palace, with rays of immortal luminance ever-changing behind his head. There was a person kneeling right in front of him, which was Jun Tianxi, who had returned from the mortal world. He, who was once the arrogant genius, was kneeling down like a lowly dog, not daring to even move. How long did it just take for Dong Yao's whole fleet, who descended through the golden heaven path, to just perish like that? The young man smiled coldly. I was still here planning my next move, yet all of you were wiped out over there. Even the interdimensional gateway was destroyed, Tianxi. I'm here, master. Jun Tianxi shivered. Tell me, how should I punish you? The young man asked indifferently. You sent the entire legion to their death on the battlefield that year. However, because I took mercy on your hundreds of millions of years' effort cultivating, I sent the remnant of your soul over to the mortal world at a huge price to incidentally complete a mission. It was just a mission in the mortal world, and the result? Not only have you failed to take over the mortal world, you failed to even build a sacred land in the mortal world and leave our inheritance behind. What use do I have for you? The young man simply waved his hand, and Jun Tianxi just weathered and dissipated into the air, into nothingness. He then stood up and paced around in the main hall. There's surely a great secret hidden in that mortal world, and I for sure cannot give up on it. Yet with how things have changed, it's way too difficult to tackle this with normal means. Destroy it? No, I can't bear the changes caused by that. I'll just push the whole world into the battlefield then. The youth's expression turned ruthless. Ling Long ended up appearing in an unknown space. In front of her was a staircase that led straight to the small island above. Although the island suspended in midair wasn't huge, it contained a mighty power that even made her soul tremble. Right next to it, there was a stone bridge that connected to somewhere else, but was shrouded in mist, making it difficult to see through clearly. Ling Long wanted to fly up, but quickly discovered that there was a peculiar energy in the area that made it difficult for her to soar. At that moment, a stream of information suddenly entered her heart. Information about the place here. I see. Ling Long suddenly understood what was happening. She wasn't that too familiar with the place in actuality. In the original locus of time, the Heavenly Order was originally acquired by the Holy Son of the Taishang Sword Sect, which led his cultivation to improve by leaps and bounds with combat power that could even defy the sky. His might was simply absurd. When she came over to the immortal realm, it was accidentally revealed by the Holy Sun then that he had strayed accidentally into the ancient immortal battlegrounds, obtaining the Heavenly Order which led to his incredible upbringing before this. Ling Long also deliberately collected various information on the situation after the emergence of the ancient immortal battlegrounds. After investigating for a long time, she realized how terrifying the inheritance was. However, the Holy Sun suddenly turned quiet all of a sudden, which was just strange. In fact, she cultivated various Dao and formed clones, all in order to prepare for this day to intercept that great encounter. Only by stepping foot on the island will you be deemed to have passed the preliminary test. Else you will be sent back and the Heavenly Order will automatically fly away. Ling Long pondered for a moment, looked over at the 9 clones who were also sent over with her and wasn't surprised about it. Such terrifying inheritance naturally required the individual to be complete. With a simple thought, the 9 clones were stored in the paradise space of her sea of consciousness that she had opened up. Her original body, which was of Parity realm, had already formed an illusory sword realm where the various types of terrifying sword Sambodha framed it into a special world. After looking around again, she stepped up onto the staircase and felt her heart sink in an instant. An invisible power acting on the mind. Is this a test of a person's will? Ling Long was suddenly enlightened. This sort of test was the type that she was least afraid of. Taking a step at a time, she quickly reached the 99th floor. Even though she had reached such a high level, she didn't feel too much pressure from the place. This place here is equivalent to the mental suppression of a level 11 heavenly immortal at its peak. Ling Long could easily tell its intensity. Taking another step, she arrived on the island and with a flash of a light she directly appeared at the center of the island. Such dense Dao fluctuation. Sensing the surrounding condition, Ling Long was suddenly taken aback. The intensity of Dao fluctuation back at Chuyang Peak was already amazing, but the intensity in this place was more than 100 times denser than Chuyang Peak. It was very incredible. Yet the rules here were very brutal. A person has to reach enlightenment here and then go through the stone bridge that was connected to the island to really enter the real place of inheritance. The rate of time flowing in the place when compared with the outside world was 100 to 1. In other words, a year in the outside world was akin to 100 years here. A person had only 3 chances and could only stay here for 100 years each time. If the stone bridge wasn't opened after the 3 chances were used up, the person would lose the supreme order. Once the person's cultivation base had improved, the test on the stone bridge would naturally change accordingly. No wonder the strength of that person from the Taishang sword sect improved a lot slower to the point that I surpassed him. It might be because of him failing the 3 tests. Ling Long was stunned in thought. She also now understood that these tests must be extremely difficult. Since I'm here, I might as well make the best out of it. Ling Long suppressed her thought of the difficulties, released her 9 clones and started cultivation, preparing herself to raise her own strength to the pinnacle of imminent immortal realm. What she was focusing the most was on the Daos that these 9 clones were comprehending. As for going up right now to take on the challenge of the stone bridge, she didn't think that it was a rush. On Chuyang Peak, Jiang Ming was lying on the rattan chair, swaying leisurely as the human path record was floating midair in front of him, displaying the information on his junior sister. Zi Linglong's status. Entered the heavenly inheritance space, passed the basic test and entered the next test. The first test was very easy. Jiang Ming was speechless upon reading her status. As long as there isn't any danger, he let out a breath of relief. As expected, she failed in trying to send over one of her clones to ascend into that inheritance space. Shi Yao paced over in the air, landed right next to Jiang Ming and asked with a complicated expression, "Did Ling Long really go to accept the inheritance? And it would be for at least a year. She even purposely handed Mo Xiaoyu over for me to teach. She told you." Jiang Ming couldn't help laughing. Shi Yao nodded her head as she sat aside. Picking up a teapot, her 2 hands moved, inducing spiritual liquid into the teapot and steam started coming out of it. She then poured Jiang Ming a cup and asked, "Aren't you anxious?" "Anxious of what?" Jiang Ming looked at Shi Yao with a confused look. He could not deny that it was difficult to remove his gaze once he locked eyes with this holy daughter in front of him, whose pure looks with glints of holiness. Shi Yao's face flushed and quickly said, "It is already a quiet place here and will be even quieter without her. Will you be used to it? Already accustomed? You really don't look like a young man." My heart had long been used to vicissitudes. How can I still look like a young man after I fought in the northern region, killed many around the world and even slaughtered immortals? Shi Yao, I really envy you. Shi Yao was speechless. If it was based on the age of the normal person, she could be his aunt already. The two sat quietly as the sun set down in the west. "What do you want to eat? I'll make some." Jiang Ming stood up and lazily stretched himself. Shi Yao almost blurted out but quickly held back. I'm not eating today. I'm afraid of getting fat. She quickly left the place, afraid that once she had dinner she would feel even heavier-hearted to leave. Yang Ming didn't mind that she rejected and made himself a bowl of noodles. After finishing his meal, he laid down on the chair as his subconscious slowly drifted, sinking through the dark sea of consciousness, and a strand of spirituality descended on the fifth immortal moon. Inside the main hall of the reincarnation hall, the fifth immortal moon stood quietly. On her left was an opened room with scarlet red writings that wrote, SS Grade Mission, Catastrophe of the End of the World, Stop the Demon's Invasion. There was a half-an-hour countdown. Anyone could freely choose, as those who chose first would enter first. If there weren't enough people who take on the mission, those teams who had failed the previous 3 missions would be forced to take the mission. The fifth immortal moon did not break through into the immortal realm, but continued on the mission according to Jiang Ming's will. She had the choice whether to enter the room or not, but if she returned she would also be sent inside. Time quickly passed and a reminder suddenly rang in the fifth immortal moon's mind. Ding, you've accepted the SS grade mission. The time is up. Beginning teleportation now. Her figure vanished without a trace, yet it did not attract much attention from the surrounding, for it was all too common already. The very next moment, the fifth immortal moon arrived at an unfamiliar place where the sky was painted gray, ever flowing with a dense demonic aura. The suffocating evil spirit in the air caused people to become inexplicably manic as their killing intent rose and they couldn't help their urge to go on a killing spree. Ding Xingyu world was originally a perfect planar world, but was invaded by a piece of demonic land. Its world origin was corroded, which reversed the laws of heaven and earth, turning half the nature of the place into the demonic land's nature, which in turn caused the planar to lose its self-defensive ability. Ding. As larger numbers of devils descended into the world, rampaged through the land, committed sins and plundered all living beings, it left the world in a state of destruction where the world will soon wither and be completely lost. Ding. Because this planar world's origin was destroyed, the land was turned into demonic land. Living beings that descended into the world have risen to level 11. This is a rescue mission. Kill off the invading demons and save the world from destruction. Ding. Killing a level 7, 8, 9, and 10 demon will be rewarded 110, 100, and 1000 points respectively. Killing a low tier, middle tier, and high tier level 11 demon will be rewarded 100,000, 500,000, and 1,000 points respectively. Ding! Once the world is saved from destruction, all beneficiaries will be rewarded based on the ranking of accumulated points at the end of the mission. A series of reminders promptly appeared in Fifth Immortal Moon's mind, and naturally, Jiang Ming heard it too. Worth a try. If this ends up successful, I won't have to worry about cultivation in the future anymore. On Chuyang Peak, just as Jiang Ming thought through the whole plan, he started forming a clone of himself. Based on the Fifth Immortal Moon's spiritual soul as the coordinates, he used the human path record and began transmitting his clone over to the other side. When one reached the imminent immortal realm, their power came from their parody world. Jiang Ming was the same as well, but he was different from other people. Other people's parody worlds were not real, so they could draw power from it infinitely. However, his parody had become a real world. If he drew all powers from it, the world would crumble away. In his inner world, he had full command over a large portion of the origin force, and this was the source of his mana. Even if he had used up this portion, he could replenish it with spiritual ki. For him, developing his inner world and expanding his origin was more important than ever. Compared to last time, his inner world had become even larger. The land had become thicker and the sky wider. Yang Ming summoned half of the origin of his inner world to form a clone. Then, he sent it out through the human path's record. In the next second, his face changed. Projection could be carried out, but it was draining his mana frantically. The origin of his inner world was pouring out, and in the blink of an eye, he had only half of the origin force left. Jiang Ming hastily came to the spiritual field and opened his mouth. The river of spiritual fluid formed here long ago came rushing in. It didn't enter his mouth. Instead, it entered his inner world to be refined at a rapid pace. It lasted for a long while before the process came to a stop. I didn't expect that projecting a clone across the world would consume so much energy. Jiang Ming heaved out a sigh and his face turned grim. If he did not replenish the lost spiritual chi, his inner world would definitely shrink in size. However, luckily he succeeded. Now that everything is in place, please don't let me down. Jiang Ming thought inwardly and entered the mind of the Fifth Immortal Moon to share her vision. At this moment, he was able to see everything that the Fifth Immortal Moon was looking at. He saw that the space in front of him warped, and a figure emerged from it. It was none other than his clone, but the clone had a different look from him. It was a burly man that breathed a prideful air. He was wearing the heavenly feathered shirt with the mystical light sword strapped on his back and celestial soul bell on top of his head. These three were immortal weapons which bestowed him with impressive offensive and defensive power. The only downside was that his clone couldn't cultivate, and the clone would disappear once he ran out of power. Nice to meet you, sir. The Fifth Immortal Moon greeted the man. This was something Jiang Ming asked her to do. She did not need to try to curry the favor of the man or whatsoever. The clone nodded and looked into the distance. He grabbed something in the air, and when he opened his palm, there was a level 7 demon in his hand. It was a real demon. There were 2 wings at its back, its eyes were blood red, and it was clad in a demonic key. Jiang Ming had seen a lot of demons, and all of them looked the same. The clone waved his hand and killed the demon. Negative. The 5th immortal moon nodded and said, it meant she did not get any points. The clone did not say anything and activated his special ability again. This time he caught 5 level 7 demons and threw them all on the ground after sealing them. The 5th immortal moon lifted her finger silently and crushed one. Her eyes glowed and she exclaimed, 1 point. The clone smiled. Jiang Ming had a basic grasp of the mechanism of the reincarnation system. He waved his hand and a combat mannequin appeared. He had gotten a batch of level 10 combat mannequins from Dongfang Chenxi after he had decided on his plan. Unknowingly, he owed Dongfang Chenxi a very big favor. Unfortunately, there was nothing he could give her in return in his current state. The only thing he could give her was the point from the Supreme Tower. However, Dongfang Chenxi had a lot of points herself as well, so she did not need it at all. Well, I guess I can only try to pay her back in the future. Now the 5th immortal moon understood what the clone was implying. Without any hesitation, she dropped her blood on the mannequin and refined it. After that, she commanded the combat mannequin to kill a level 7 demon and got 1 point. The clone smiled and tossed a storage ring to the 5th immortal moon. There were 9,999 combat mannequins inside of the rings. He wanted her to refine 1,000 of them here right away, even though it was going to consume some time. An SS-class mission was simply impossible to complete in a short time, not to mention that there were other teams as well. As for the combat mannequin, Dongfang Chenxi had given him 1,000,000 of it. She told him that these were outdated items in her storage and she had no use of them anymore. She also said that if he needed more, he just needed to ask. When Jiang Ming heard what she had said, he had the urge to cross the world and call her his master. He was worried that he couldn't bring too many items with him while leaping around the world, so the clone only brought 10,000 combat mannequins with him. In the end, the 5th immortal moon only managed to refine 1,000 of them, and her face was as pale as a sheet of paper. It was too much for her. After all, she needed to brand each combat mannequin with her primal spirit, and refining so many of them in such a short time was a burden for her. Fortunately, these combat mannequins possessed their own intelligence and were able to act on their own to a certain extent. Otherwise, it would have been difficult for her to control even 300, not to mention 1,000. Let's go, the 5th immortal moon commanded. 900 combat mannequins dashed forward, leaving 100 of them by her side. The clone stayed as well. He wouldn't make any move unless the situation called for it. Shuyang Peak. Jiang Ming opened his mouth and a satisfying grin appeared on his face. He did not have to worry about anything right now. With the army of combat mannequins, they could easily crush anything that came in their path. Even if there was an opponent that the 5th immortal moon couldn't handle, the clone was there to help her too. I'll see what I'll be rewarded after the 5th immortal moon has finished the mission. Jiang Ming shook the thought away and went back into his inner world again. He needed to speed up the evolution of his inner world. If not, he wouldn't be able to cultivate the heavenly immortal Tao. While he was speeding up the evolution of the inner world, he was comprehending the special abilities too. In the meantime, he would cook at least once a day. The rewards he received were varied, and he would get the Yuhan Huang origin essence from time to time. Time was flowing by slowly. It had been 90 years in the heavenly inheritance space. Linglong had woken up from her seclusion. She had reached the peak stage of the imminent immortal realm. Throughout the years, other than waiting for her clones, she also tried to comprehend several sword special abilities. She also had the sword techniques manual that Jiang Ming gave her. After 90 years, I finally have come to this stage. If Dong Yao and other immortal soldiers appeared in front of her right now, she had the confidence that she could kill them all in one swipe of her sword, even if Dong Yao unleashed his true combat power. Besides, her spatial, time, 5 elemental yin-yang, life, death, light and dark, karma, reincarnation, and phoenix clones had reached the peak stage of the imminent immortal realm as well. This place is truly a heaven for all cultivators. I'm sure I'll be able to become even stronger if I stay here. But it's time for me to go out, Linglong thought inwardly. It has been a year. I wonder what my senior brother is doing now. Linglong said to herself. She missed Jiang Ming a lot, but she was not worried about him. After all, she had the confidence that her senior brother was able to come out safely from any perilous situations. With that thought in mind, she jumped downward and came to the other side of the stone bright. The 9 clones followed after her. Ripples began to appear around them, and the stone bridge suddenly became larger. For a level 10 expert like her, the stone bridge was narrow. Suddenly, a voice rang out in her head. Destroy bridge and reach the other side of the bridge to pass the test. If you die here, you fail. The instruction was simple, but Linglong noticed something. She couldn't fly in here, and there was something in the air trying to attack her mind. Although those attacks were weak, they were troublesome. A number of experts had appeared in front of her. Humans, demons, devils, aliens. There were all sorts of living beings. And those at the front were at level 10. With every step Linglong took, those attacks on her mind would become stronger. She frowned slightly and she hissed, "Bring it on." As she dashed forward, her enemies charged at her as well. The fight began, but it was a one-sided annihilation. Spatial Linglong came forward and activated the Great Millennium Technique, causing their enemies to freeze on the spot. Linglong then swung her sword and killed all of them. Spatial Linglong stretched her arm forward and grabbed something in the air, causing the space in front of them to freeze. 5-elemental Linglong followed up with the 5-elemental Great Grinder, crushing 30 of them in the process. It took them quite some time to kill all of the level 10 experts. However, there were more of them coming, and they were all in the heavenly immortal realm. Not only that, but the attacks on her mind were getting stronger and stronger as well. This isn't looking good. I have to get rid of them as soon as possible. As the thought surfaced in her head, she dashed forward. This time, 3 heavenly immortals came at her. After she killed 3 of them, another 3 came again, and they only stopped coming at her after she had killed 30 of them. There were 3 more true immortals standing in front of her. Linglong's eyelids twitched vigorously. Her face was pale and her chest was huffing up and down intensely. Tap, tap, tap. Linglong charged at the 3 true immortals, and the 9 clones followed suit. Great spiritual technique, spiritual light, unison of souls, guard. She completely merged with the primal spirits of the 9 clones to form into a spiritual light barrier that weakened the attacks on her mind greatly. There was a golden line on the floor in front of her. She knew that once she crossed the line, she would be attacked by her opponents. However, she did not stop. "Let's go! Time and space cage!" Time Linglong and Spatial Linglong stepped forward and combined their attacks together, successfully restricting the movements of the 3 true immortals. Yin-Yang Confinement, 5 Elements of Entanglement. Yin-Yang Linglong and 5-elemental Linglong combined their attacks together as well. The remaining clones also threw their special abilities at the 3 true immortals. "My sword can cut through the sky." Linglong activated her strongest sword technique and killed the 3 of them. Phew. She let out a sigh and arrived on the island opposite of the stone bridge. As soon as she stepped on the island, a divine light spread from her feet. Linglong was led away and the 9 clones followed after her. They were not traveling at a fast pace, so it gave them a chance to take in the surroundings. It was a big island that floated amongst the clouds. They couldn't tell how high they were in the sky as they couldn't see the ground below. On this island there were 3 mountains and they all looked normal. The mountain right in front of them had its top cleaved clean and became a platform. At the center of the platform sat an old man in a lotus position. He was beaming brightly and waving at Linglong, who was approaching him. 9 clones? Not only that, but all of them are of high level? You're truly impressive, girl. Nice to meet you, sir. Linglong and the 9 clones landed in front of the old man and greeted him respectfully. "Z Linglong, you've passed the test. From today onward, you'll be the disciple of the Heavenly Venerate. I'm your personal guide, and you can call me Taoist Bai," the old man said. "I can answer your queries about the Tao. I can explain to you the way of your cultivation, or I can teach you about the thousands of Tao. Of course, you can make a request and ask for the Tao you want to know. I'll answer everything that you want to know about cultivation. Could you see the 2 mountains over there? One of them is the place for you to rest. You can cultivate over there as well, and there are a lot of scrolls and books for you to study. On the other side, it's a training ground. If you want to leave this place, you need to go through the heavenly order. When you return to this place again, you'll arrive at your resting zone. Thank you for the information, Master Bai." Linglong bowed at him again. Taoist Bai shook his hand and said, "Just call me Taoist Bai. After you become the Heavenly Venerate, I won't be good enough to become your master. I'll call you Elder Bai then." "All right then. Elder Bai, can I know where my master came from?" "You're too weak right now, so you don't have the right to know about it. You'll learn of his origin in the future. You're at the imminent immortal realm right now, and you have the capability of ascending into the next realm. However, you should take some rest now. After you've conditioned yourself back to your peak state, I'll start teaching you the Tao." "Thank you, Elder Bai." Linglong sat in a lotus position and began to recuperate. It was only then she noticed the massive amount of Tao fluctuation and spiritual qi here. Very soon she had recovered to her full strength and she asked Elder Bai to start teaching her. "Look closely." Elder Bai smiled and the surroundings began to change. A sword Tao space appeared. It was filled with sword energies to the brim. When Linglong turned around, she could also sense the Tao fluctuations and the essence of true immortal here. Her eyes glowed and she thought inwardly, "This is performing Tao with the law. It's the best way of teaching Tao." She also sensed that each of the 9 clones had appeared in the realm of Tao that corresponded to their attributes. She felt relieved and began cultivating. Doomsday. After the clone defeated the last level 11 higher demon and flung it in front of the 5th immortal moon, he looked at the interdimensional portal ahead and fell silent. It had been almost a year since he came here. He had crushed many parties with the army of combat mannequins, and in the end he found there were a lot of demons gathered in a valley trying to create an interdimensional portal. He was delighted, so he did not exterminate all of them and spare them. After the interdimensional portal had been created, hordes of demons poured out from it, but all of them were killed by the combat mannequins. The combat mannequins could kill even level 11 demons since they were in a daze when they first came out of the portal. In the event where they slipped past the combat mannequins' hands, the fifth immortal moon would step in and put them down. After all, she was a genius and was capable of putting down a true immortal. Even if she couldn't kill them, the clone would help her. After they did this for a month, perhaps the demons had noticed something was wrong on the other side. Fewer and fewer of them were coming through the portal. Eventually, none of them were coming through the portal. The corner of the fifth immortal moon's lips twitched. The clone waited for some time, but the demons were not appearing from the portal anymore. Leaving with no choices, he destroyed the portal. He turned around and glanced at the fifth immortal moon. His voice rang inside her soul. Try to purify the land of the demons and return this land to its original form. Maybe we can get higher marks in the rating. The fifth immortal moon's eyes lit up and she nodded. They still had some time left and it was worth a try. The clone flew into the sky and gazed down at the land. He thought about the Tianyuan world. What would it become and what would happen to the living beings over there if it weren't for him to thwart the invasion of the demons? He did not dare to think about it. Before the mission deadline, the fifth immortal moon tried to purify the land of the demons. However, it was a difficult process and it was only possible because all of the demons had been exterminated as well as the blessing of the origin of the universe. The clone was running out of power, so he handed the three immortal weapons to the fifth immortal moon before returning through the human path's record. It also consumed some of Jiang Ming's mana this time, but it was nothing compared to when he first sent the clone over to the fifth immortal moon. He did not know whether it was because the clone was running out of energy or because he did not carry many items with him. Perhaps it was because it consumed less mana on the way back. Chuyang Peak. Jiang Ming cracked his eyes open and let out a boisterous laugh. Ha 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 ha, I did it. He rose to his feet and his face was brimming with joy. After the fifth immortal moon returned, the rating was raised by 1 level to SSS level and he received a large amount of rewards. He had gotten plenty of points as well. Next step, I should ask the fifth immortal moon to exchange the Xuanhuang origin essence and accept another mission. When the thought appeared in Jiang Ming's head, he stretched his body and he was in a good mood. The sun was bright and the wind was comfortable. When he saw Shi Yao was coming at him, the grin on his face widened. Have you done with your cultivation? Jiang Ming asked with a smile. Well, it's not good for our mental health if we keep staying in seclusion for a long time. Since it's almost noon, I think it's almost time for me to eat something, Shi Yao said as she landed. Right on time. I was about to cook something to eat. Jiang Ming smiled as he walked into the kitchen. Is there anything that you want to eat? Noodles. I like the noodles that you make. All right then, I'll make some noodles for you. Jiang Ming took out the flour which surprisingly emitted a 7-colored light. This was the spirit wheat given to him by the system. He used the Verdant Emperor spirit transformation technique to speed up the ripening process and grinded it into flour with his own strength. After he had finished kneading the dough, he set it aside for it to rise. Then he started to prepare the minced meat. He thought for a while and decided to use the crab roe as the main ingredient with some chopped squids and slices of sea eel's heart. I'm already drooling. Shi Yao came over and swallowed a large gulp of saliva. It's a great pleasure to eat the food cooked by you. Well, thank you for the compliment. Jiang Ming laughed. I don't think I can find any cook like you in this world anymore, Shi Yao added. Very soon the noodles were ready. Jiang Ming gave a bowl to Shi Yao and both of them sat opposite of each other to enjoy the meal. Jiang Ming ate the noodles slowly, reveling in the aroma and fragrance that tickled his nostrils. Suddenly he thought of Pan Jinglian and Shimen Qing. He felt itchiness on his feet, and he had the urge to throw his chopsticks below the table. In the meantime, a scene that he watched from one of the videos appeared in his head. In a restaurant, a man was peeking at a young lady who was enjoying her meal. The young lady knew that the man was looking at her, so when he cast his gaze on her again, she opened her legs and the man was stunned. What are you thinking, Brother Jiang? Shi Yao asked, snapping Jiang Ming out of his thoughts. Looking at your face, could it be something enjoyable? Well, it is, Yang Ming replied. I remembered a forest that has a lot of interesting things in it. What kind of a forest is that? Well, there's a hot spring in the forest and there's an eel inside the hot spring, but I killed it in the end. Both of them then laughed. After a short while, Shi Yao patted her tummy and said, I'm so full. Then she went to clean her bowl and flew away. See you again, Brother Jiang. You're leaving so soon? I'm worried that I won't be able to go away if I don't leave now. Talk as if I'm a demon. You're more evil than a demon. Shi Yao mumbled and went away. She landed in the courtyard. She turned around and looked at the front. There was a strange expression on her face and she suddenly sighed. Why can't I just stop wanting to go near him? I really hope that I can stay by his side forever. She sat on the stone stool. Suddenly something glowed in her eyes and she shouted inwardly. Pull yourself together, Shi Yao. You're here to cultivate, to become stronger, not to fall in love with another man. After she had admonished herself inwardly, her eyes became clear again. In the endless flood of space and time, a crumbling world appeared. It was being pulled by several great torrents of power and was moving fast. However, the endless void space was so vast that even immortals look like ants here. This torn world would eventually be torn apart and annihilated by the endless torrent of power, immortal realm. There was a magnificent palace, and inside sat a middle-aged man that exuded a terrifying aura. "Greetings, father." A young man walked in and greeted the middle-aged man. "Is there anything you want to tell me, Chen Guang?" "Father, I'm sure you're aware that I'm seeking an opportunity in the mortal world. I activated the Golden Heaven path, but I failed in the end. Therefore, I would like to ask for assistance from you, father. I hope you can lend me some immortal soldiers so that I can lure that world to the battlefield of multiverse so that I can seize it again. You can't even take control of a mere mortal world. Father, that world is very special. Not only are there abyssal demons, but it's also frequented by many visitors from other dimensions. Besides, they also have a genius that is capable of slaying immortals. These are nothing but your excuses. That world holds a chance for me to gain enlightenment. I hope you can give me another chance, father. Not long ago, I went to the Heaven Court to see the great Heaven Venerate. He has laid down the great astral formation to seal off the universe and prevent the middle immortal Chiliocosm from reaching the land of eternity. He wants to unify and take control over all the worlds. How could he? He's strong, so of course he can do whatever he wants. If I were him, I would do the same too. Perhaps he will reach the realm in the legend. Sigh, there's nothing we can do about it. Now that we're being restricted, we can't do anything as we wish. If we mobilize an army of immortal soldiers, we will be noticed. But, fine, I'll give you one last chance. Remember, you have to succeed this time. Plan everything carefully before making your move, and you must keep a low profile.
Thank you, father. I'll be aware of it.
Jiang Ming was oblivious toward the changes outside of the world. He was still enjoying his good life. He would read books or watch videos with his tablet from time to time during his leisure time. The only downside was that his junior sister was not with him, and he felt a little bit lonely sleeping alone on the Dragon Phoenix heavenly heart bed. Shi Yao brought Mo Xiaoyu to come and pay Jiang Ming a visit. "Greetings, Uncle Jiang." Mo Xiaoyu got to her knees and greeted Jiang Ming respectfully. "All right, get up," Jiang Ming said as he waved his hand. "You are in Qi Cultivation Stage 5 now. That's pretty good. So how do you find the living on the mountain? Can you adapt to it?" "Yes." Mo Xiaoyu rose to her feet. Of course she could adapt to it. Yi Yao chuckled. "She's the only disciple on the mountain and she receives guidance from both Linglong and me. Who else has a better treatment than her? I'm afraid that the only thing she can't get used to is that it's lonely here." "Well, you have a point," Jiang Ming replied as he fell into a contemplation. "Maybe we should ask Linglong to accept more disciples when she comes back later. How about you? Are you not going to take in any disciple?" Shi Yao asked as she sat beside Jiang Ming. "It has been so long and she has already passed the test. You're her martial uncle, so don't you think you should show something?" "Don't worry," Jiang Ming said. "After all, she's the first third-generation disciple of Kuyang Peak. She will be the senior sister in the future, so we have to be careful." After he paused for a short while, he pulled something out and threw it into the air. A streak of white light appeared, and when it fell on the other side of the mountain, it transformed into a ladder that reached the sky. "What is that?" Shi Yao asked, her voice thick with surprise. "The power that lies within is so immense that it gives me a chilling sensation. It's an immortal weapon known as the heart-refining path. It can discipline one's mind and harden one's will. You can try it when you have free time," Shang Ming explained, smiling. "It's a very useful tool in nurturing and training our disciples." This was his reward when he first harvested the supreme grade spiritual medicine. It had no use to him, so he had totally forgotten about it. He only remembered it when Mo Xiaoyu appeared today. "An immortal weapon? And you call it a tool?" Shi Yao did not know what she should say. Jiang Ming nodded. He then looked at Mo Xiaoyu and continued, "If you can get to the 19th level in 1 year, I'll give you a big present." "A big present? What is that?" Shi Yao asked. "I'll help her to forge a special body for her." "What?" After she had come around to her senses, she turned and said to Mo Xiaoyu, "What are you still waiting for? Hurry up and thank your martial uncle." She was fully aware of how difficult it was to change one's body, not to mention that a special body. It was also now that the scale fell before her eyes when Linglong said she wanted someone with a strong will in the past. "Thank you so much, Uncle Jiang," Xiao Yao said. Jiang Ming then added in a serious manner, "You can thank me after you've passed the test. If you can't pass the test, then you should cultivate in a step-by-step manner." Xiao brought Xiao Yu to the heart-refining path. After that, she returned to Jiang Ming and squatted beside him. Lifting her head, she looked at her and asked, "Brother Jiang, do you think there is a need for me to modify my body? You're as pretty as a fairy that descends on the mortal world. I don't see any need for you to modify your body," Jiang Ming commented after he studied Shi Yao from head to toe. "You're already very perfect, and I think the only person who can compete with you is Linglong." Shi Yao's eyes glowed, but she snorted. "Brother Jiang, I'm being serious here. You're in the primal spirit realm. In other words, your Tao is already fixed and it would be hard for you to change to another body." Jiang Ming shook his head. "There's nothing I can do to help you at my current level of strength, unless you abolish your cultivation level. Abolish my cultivation level? Xiao pouted. Once I abolish my cultivation level, I'll turn into an old woman within a second? You're that old? I'm still a little girl in the cultivation world. Well, I doubt so. Xiao did not know why, but she could feel a surge of exaltation deep in her heart. She did not wish to stay here anymore, so she rose into the air and came to the heart-refining path. Right now, Mo Xiaoyu had already stepped onto the heart-refining path. She stopped at the 10th floor. Her face was ashen pale, sweats were oozing out of the pores on her forehead, and her steps were faltering. Shortly after, she fell down and disappeared from the path. In the next second, she appeared below the heart-refining path, huffing heavily. How do you feel? Xi Yao went forward and helped her up from the ground. Martial uncle, I thought I was about to die just now. Mo Xiaoyu said, her face pale. Every level has a different environment. Some wanted me to kill someone, while another wanted me to rescue someone. There was one that asked me to make a choice, and I fell into an endless panic before I could even realize it. At the last level, I saw an endless stream of sword energies falling from the sky. I tried to defend myself, but to no avail, and I thought I was going to get killed. Xi Yao instantly understood what she was talking about. All of those are illusions to test your mind and willpower. I think you should come here more often. However, judging from your current situation, you can come here every 7 days. Okay, martial uncle. Apparently, Mo Xiaoyu had grown attached to her. After that, she returned to Xi Yao's home to recuperate. The heart-refining path, huh? Xi Yao breathed out and stepped on the ladder. Underneath the gazebo, Jiang Ming glanced at her, but he did not say anything. After all, he was certain that Xi Yao had a strong mind and willpower. Suddenly, he felt the calling from the 5th immortal moon, and his eyes glowed with delight. After the 5th immortal moon had digested all of the rewards, she took on another SS-class mission, Demons Hunting. The mission looked easy, but the level was exceedingly high. Sensing that the 5th immortal moon was about to start the mission, Jiang Ming sealed the courtyard with a flick of his mind and formed 2 clones around him. One of them was formed with half of the origin force from his inner world, while another was formed with only half of his power. In the blink of an eye, both clones were done. Realizing that the 5th immortal moon had already departed, Jiang Ming summoned the human path's record and followed after her. Voom. For a moment, his origin force was depleting at a rapid pace, but Jiang Ming was prepared. There were several beads in his inner worlds. These were the origin force that he refined and stored up for emergencies. One of them cracked, and a large amount of origin force gushed out to make up for the consumption at a rapid pace. Abyssal World. The 5th immortal moon was standing by the edge of the forest. The forest looked strange. All of the trees were either made of gray or black or red. There was no green color at all, not even the leaves or the flowers. She raised her head. The air was filled with the demonic qi. She lowered her head. The ground looked like a dried blood stain. Very soon, 2 people appeared beside her. They were none other than the 2 clones of Jiang Ming. Sir! The 5th immortal moon greeted them before throwing a ring at them. The second clone grabbed it and his eyes glowed. The ring was filled with the Xuanhuang origin essence to the brim. This was the best nourishment if he wanted to strengthen the origin of his inner world. The second clone nodded and disappeared. His job was to bring good items back to Jiang Ming in case anything bad happened. The 5th immortal moon then handed the mystical light sword, the heavenly feathered shirt, and the celestial soul bell to the first clone. The first clone gave her 100,000 combat mannequins in return. It seemed as if they were not talking to each other, but in reality they were communicating through their minds. Jiang Ming soon understood her mission. This world could accommodate up to level 12 cultivation level. Your hunting tasks are as follows. Hunt 100 level 10 demons. 2. Hunt 3 level 11 demons. Kill the Western Demon Princess and the Eastern Demon Prince. Note, you're the only beneficiary that comes to this world this time. This is strange, Jiang Ming frowned. Immortal Moon, what do you think is going on based on your experience? Why is it you're the only one in this world? It's a quasi-small chiliocosm world, and could accommodate up to level 12 experts. The 5th Immortal Moon frowned and replied, judging from my experience, it seems like the system wants to force me to break through and improve my cultivation level. What makes you say so? Simple. This mission is an SS-class mission. After I've selected it, it was locked, and I'm the only one who is allowed to come to this world. Otherwise, there should be many teams. You have a point. Continue. Second, this is a hunting mission. Once we start to hunt, it'll certainly alert those higher demons. Although there is no specific information, according to the mission analysis, the Western Demon Princess and the East Demon Prince should be located in 2 places, and they cannot be killed at the same time. Once we kill one, the experts here will make their moves, and the only way to prevent us from getting killed is to become stronger since they're mostly level 12 experts. Did something like this happen in the past? I have no idea, but in my opinion, once a mission like this appears, the only way to get through it is to become stronger. If not, there are only 2 endings for us, dead or half crippled. Once we break through the realm and return to the reincarnation hall, we will directly appear in the next level of space, Even if the mission fails to return, we won't get transport out. Also, there is no extra points for this demon hunting mission. I guess it's because we've gone too far in the previous mission. Jiang Ming did not know what to say after he heard what the fifth immortal moon had said. We can't get extra points anymore. Jiang Ming was a little bit disappointed. We can, the fifth immortal moon said. We can collect loot and when we go back, we'll recycle it. The only downside is that we might not be able to get many points. I'm fine with it as long as we can recycle them. Yang Ming rubbed his hands as he looked at the land. On Shuyang Peak, Jiang Ming grinned. It was truly good news for him that the reincarnation hall could recycle loot. He had plenty of loot and he did not know what he should do with them. He had been keeping them in his storage space, and now he finally could turn them into something useful. I shouldn't have destroyed the portal at the northern region and the submerged dragon continent, Jiang Ming thought inwardly and took out the Xuanhuang origin essence that was brought back by the second clone. He checked through it, and after ascertaining that it was fine, then he absorbed it into his inner world. The Xuanhuang origin essence could greatly enhance the inner world. It could widen the space as well as strengthen the origin. The inner world was working in the same way as the realm. Mana was similar to the worldly force, and it could be replenished rapidly after consumption. However, the Xuanhuang origin essence was capable of upgrading the realm, and it was only by upgrading the realm that more mana would be available. I wonder when I can evolve my inner world to the perfect level. He did not have any reference, so it was difficult for him to know how perfect his inner world was. That being said, one thing he was very certain was that he had become very strong now. Fearing that the clone might run into something dangerous, Jiang Ming formed another more powerful clone. He was going to send the clone over to the fifth immortal moon should something arise. Ming, it was Gu Hai's voice. He flew through the air and landed on the stool beside him. He grabbed the teapot on the table and finished the tea in it in one setting. What brought you back here today? Jiang Ming asked. Where's your girlfriend? Where's Swamp? You're the only one who is so free, Gu Hai mumbled. After we've recruited more disciples last time, most of the elite disciples and elders from the sect have gone out to keep guard at various places in Qing province. I felt embarrassed for not doing anything, so I went to guard a place. Yun Yu is still guarding her area, so she won't be able to come back for a while. You asked for it, Jiang Ming said, exasperated after he heard what Gu Hai had said. Nobody would dare to talk or criticize you for doing nothing. Well, you're right, Gu Hai replied. But I'm the first seed of Quyang Peak, and it's kind of embarrassing if I don't do something. You would feel embarrassed? That's new to me. How dare you mock me? Haha, anyway, what are you doing back here? I'm craving for some food. Jiang Ming spurted a mouthful of tea. I thought you missed me, so it turns out that you just missed the food. It is the same, isn't it, you or the food? Gu Hai said with a smile. Make me 3,000 dishes. I want to keep them in storage so that I can take them out to eat when I'm thinking about you. Jiang Ming looked skyward speechlessly. First, go prepare something for me to eat now, Gu Hai urged. Hurry. When can I have a good disciple that would allow me to boss him around? Jiang Ming sighed and rose to his feet. Ha ha ha. Gu Hai tossed his head back and let out a boisterous laugh. Do you think everyone is as lucky as me to have a good disciple? Having a good disciple is the best. There was nothing Jiang Ming could say. After he had prepared a scrumptious meal for Gu Hai, he summoned Chang Yiming, who had been in seclusion the whole time. Uncle Gu! Chang Yiming greeted Gu Hai before taking his seat. Geez, there are a total of 32 dishes? Uncle Gu, it's only when you've returned that I can enjoy such a feast. If you want to eat anything in the future, just let me know, Gu Hai said, patting his chest. It's a deal then, Uncle Gu. From now on, whenever I'm craving for some food, I'll come to look for you and ask Jiang Ming to prepare 360 dishes to feast on. Sure, Ming, remember to prepare 360 dishes next time. Hee, Uncle Gu, don't you think we're lacking something on the table? Oh yeah, silly me. How can I forget about that? Ming, bring us some wine. I'm going to have a drinking match with Yiming. Jiang Ming was speechless. Are you sure you want me to prepare some dishes for you? Of course. Gu Hai smiled. I've used up all my money to raise both you and Ling Long. I can't even pay for a meal, so I have to keep some dishes with me in case I need to entertain my guests in the future and not embarrass myself, don't you think so? That's one hell of a good reason you have there, and I have no way to fight it back, Jiang Ming said through gritted teeth and disappeared into thin air. A few moments later, he appeared again. He waved his sleeve and a dozen massive beasts appeared in the air. There was a three-headed scaled dragon that was about a few hundred meters long, an octopus that was several thousand meters tall, a lobster that was a few hundred meters long, a nine-headed lion that was as big as a hill, a paradise wild boar, and a golden-winged eagle with a wingspread of several thousand meters. Master, are these good enough? Jiang Ming asked as he pointed skyward. This. Despite knowing that his disciple was hiding a lot from him, he still couldn't quite accept it when he saw it with his own eyes. Even though he had a low cultivation level, his knowledge was extraordinary. A three-headed scaled dragon that was about a few hundred meters long was normally a paradise demon, not to mention the giant octopus and the nine-headed lion. Gu Hai just did not know what he should say right now. Gu Hai stammered. Are you going to use them as your ingredient? Chang Yiming was so stunned that his mouth was left wide open. Luckily, Jiang Ming had cast an enchanted barrier around Shuyang Peak. If not, the entire sect would have been thrown into a turmoil. Of course, Jiang Ming replied, offering his master a smile. I'm going to make them into a stew. I'll add some spiritual medicine in it so that their flesh and blood will become mild enough for better absorption. Of course, it's also to make them tastier. You want me to eat these demons? Gu Hai did not know why, but he felt slightly uncomfortable. If not, how am I supposed to prepare so many dishes for you? Yang Ming said, shaking his head. These should last you for a long while. Besides, the weakest among these demons is in the primal spirit realm, and some of them are in the extreme path realm. Coupled up with the spiritual medicine that I'm going to use to cook with them, I'm sure other people will be impressed when you serve them with these dishes. After he had finished talking, he waved his hand and a cauldron appeared before him. It was a supreme-grade Dao vessel that he got after he defeated someone. The cauldron spewed fire and engulfed the demons on top of it. It burned their skins and scales away as well as reducing their organs into dust. Then, he waved his hand again to cut the demons into small pieces. He added some spiritual fluid and spiritual medicine before simmering them in the cauldron. After that, Jiang Ming adjusted the amount of spiritual medicine and the flame to cook it in the way of boiling medicinal food. Rays of divine lights were spewing out of the cauldron, stunning both Gu Hai and Chang Yiming. Impressive, Gu Hai lamented. Indeed. Chang Yiming nodded blankly. After all, he had never seen or heard of a scene like this before. Very soon, Jiang Ming waved his hand and 2 storage rings appeared in the air. The food then flew from the cauldron into both rings. Then he gave one of the rings to Gu Hai and another to Chang Yiming. I have one too? Chang Yiming was surprised. After that, he smiled and said, Jiang Ming, should I offer myself to entertain you on the bed to return the favor? Get away from me, Jiang Ming shouted. Gu Hai's eyes widened in shock when he saw the food in the storage ring. He came to Jiang Ming and patted his shoulder. Ming, with these foods, those old guys would never dare to look down on me again. Ha ha ha, I'll be leaving now. This old man. Jiang Ming shook his head helplessly. It seemed to him that Gu Hai was becoming more and more immature. However, he knew it was because Gu Hai did not have anything to worry about anymore. Uncle Gu is truly enjoying his life, Chang Yiming said. That's because he has thrown all the jobs to me. Jiang Ming laughed. Look at him. Does he look like the first seed of Chuyang Peak to you? He only comes back once in a while, and whenever he's back, he just wants me to cook for him. Does he think I'm a chef? That's your destiny, Chang Yiming commented. After that, he waved the storage ring in his hand and said, Brother Jiang, I'm going back to my seclusion. I'll not come out until I've stepped into the primal spirit realm. Good luck. After you've ascended into the primal spirit realm, I'll give you a few Dao vessels. Haha, I'll be looking forward to that. Chang Yiming laughed and went away. Silence once again returned to the gazebo. Yang Ming threw himself into the rattan chair and closed his eyes. The human path's record appeared in front of him. Ling Long had gotten the inheritance, so he did not have to worry about her. The clone was preparing to go on a killing spree after knowing that the reincarnation hall could recycle some items. The 5th immortal moon had finished the mission perfectly, albeit she came across some difficulties along the way. After she returned to the reincarnation hall, her rating increased again and she was an SSS class now. For the next few years, Jiang Ming had been assisting the 5th immortal moon with his clone on her mission. He had received a lot of benefits in the process, and the evolution speed of his inner world increased by leaps and bounds. It was just that the 5th immortal moon had to ascend into the immortal realm when they were doing a mission. Time was flowing slowly and there were only a few days left before the 20-year deadline was over. On the rooftop below the gazebo, Jiang Ming looked towards Shi Yao's house and he felt an agitation inside of his heart. He thought Ling Long would be back in 1 or 2 years, but he was wrong. Every time he looked at Shi Yao, he had the urge to do something to her. Suddenly, he squinted his eyes and looked to the west. After a short while, he turned his head and gazed at Zhong province before spinning around and cast his eyes at the depths of the eastern sea. Ha, it seems like some people need to be taught some lessons again. Jiang Ming hissed through gritted teeth as anger rose from his stomach pit. Then, he noticed something and turned around. His eyes glowed brightly and wrapped his arm around his junior sister that appeared from thin air. I miss you so much. We miss you very much too. All 10 of them shouted and threw themselves onto Jiang Ming. 3 days later, Jiang Ming felt refreshed. Half a month later, however, Jiang Ming came over to the pavilion as he kept rubbing his waist, with 10 junior sisters surrounding him. Junior brother can't anymore. It's 1 against 10. Even a bull might die from exhaustion. Just admit that you cannot already. Wait till I start training on the golden steel impeccable body, then I'll go another 3 million rounds with you. All talk. The 9 clones flew around hidden in Juyang sect, looking at the changes for the past few years. Ling Long's main body stayed by Jiang Ming's side and slowly talked about what happened in the inheritance space. Over on the island where she was accepted as a disciple by name, time flowed 100 times faster than the outside world. When coupled with immense resources along with 1,000 years of cultivation, she raised her cultivation base straight to level 14 Golden Immortal Realm. However, the rest of her clones had varying cultivation bases, some at Golden Immortal Realm while others in Mystical Immortal Realm. This was especially the case for the Time Clone because it was relatively more difficult for her to improve as she had just recently stepped into the Mystical Immortal Realm. Linglong's main body, however, had already reached the pinnacle of the Golden Immortal Realm. "You're at Golden Immortal Realm and you're still not named the true disciple?" Jiang Ming asked curiously. "Yeah." Linglong nodded. "Master's background should be very big, beyond expectation. I won't ponder on other things and will just need to practice my cultivation step by step and it will do." "Of course," Yang Ming agreed. After becoming a named disciple, there weren't any missions or mandatory requirements imposed. She was allowed to continue her cultivation and the conditions were not strict at all. However, Old Bai did bring up something. "That is, if I cannot reach the great overarching Golden Immortal Realm within 1,000,000 years, I will be expelled and have my identity as a named disciple taken back." Linglong's tone was casual, and she obviously didn't care about it much. The great overarching Golden Immortal was above the Taiyi Golden Immortal. Once a person reached such a realm, the person would be considered one of the main powerhouses across the galaxies. Though Yang Ming wasn't clear how impeccable a great overarching Golden Immortal expert was, for he hadn't even visited the immortal world until now. "Are you confident?" "Yes, I am. Even if I'm not, don't we still have the Dragon Phoenix Heavenly Heart Bed?" "Haha, this can be a thing. However, we still have to focus on our cultivation. There's only a limit to a whole day's time, so we shouldn't be focused on intimacy and love every day." "Well, there's so many hours a day and the sun will be shining for so many hours. Senior brother, the day is still young, let's go." Cuff. Jiang Ming shut himself up. It was at that moment Shi Yao came flying through the air, and the moment she saw Linglong, her expression suddenly brightened. "I was just wondering why this place was sealed. It turns out that Linglong is back. I came over 10 days ago and saw that it was sealed then. You guys didn't just—" In an instant, a thought ran through her mind as her eyes widened and her ears turned red. "Shi Yao, you are such a failure." Linglong walked over with her hands behind her back, looking like an overbearing queen. "I gave you a few years' time and you're still a virgin." "Linglong, what nonsense are you talking about?" Shi Yao's face turned red as her expression turned serious. "I long for longevity, in search of the path towards the great Tao, and my wish is to step into the immortal realm. As for the rest, those are just insignificant like splashes of water and fleeting clouds." "Immortal realm?" Linglong smiled strangely. "Well, you're looking at an immortal realm right in front of you. If you... you'd probably be at least extreme path realm if not imminent immortal, rather than staying at the pinnacle of primal spirit realm." Jiang Ming slapped Linglong's butt through the air and said, "You rascal, you're getting more and more out of tune." Linglong only pursed his lips as Shi Yao lowered her head deep in thought. "If you... you'd probably be at least extreme path realm, if not imminent immortal." Linglong's words kept running through her head. How was that possible? She couldn't sense Linglong's cultivation base at all. Standing right next to her inexplicably made her soul feel insignificant. "Linglong, what's your cultivation base now?" Shi Yao asked. "Immortal Realm," answered Linglong. "Immortal Realm? How is that possible?" Shi Yao exclaimed. Linglong smiled as she raised her hands and grabbed into the air. A chain of order was forcibly pulled out by her, condensing into a chain as she swiftly threw it over to Shi Yao. This is the Lunar Law's chain." Shi Yao's eyes widened, her face filled with shock. "Even imminent immortals couldn't materialize the Law's chains. You really became an immortal? But how did you not ascend?" Linglong didn't answer but cheekily replied, "That's why I told you immortal realm is just in front of you, yet you're turning a blind eye." Shi Yao was speechless as she took a glance at Jiang Ming secretly. The mountain breeze was rippling through the air under the warmth of the sun. Jiang Ming stretched his body and exclaimed in his heart, "This is what I called truly living." Accompanied by a fairy-like lady with another holy daughter on the other side, what more could a husband ask for? However, Jiang Ming's face turned slightly solemn and asked, "Shi Yao, is there any news from your master?" "There is. They're just telling me to return to my master as soon as possible." Shi Yao had a clear mind and immodestly felt that something was wrong. "Brother Jiang, did something happen?" Half a month ago, the cross-dimensional gateway of the western region was opened, followed by Long Yuan in the deep eastern sea, southern region and Zhong province. Jiang Ming explained, "There should also be a cross-dimensional gateway opened in the Ryu sect, which should be the so-called true heritage of the sacred lands." This. Shi Yao's expression changed slightly and anxiously continued, "Brother Jiang, my master's sect will never be your enemy." Maybe her master's sect didn't know of Jiang Ming's terror, But how could she not know? He was the person who could decimate descended immortals in a glimpse of an eye. He was the one overseeing the world, suppressed countless foreigners who came from the outside world, preventing them from creating chaos and problems. Now even Linglong had already reached the immortal realm. How terrifying was that? To top that off, the most important thing was that she could choose not to ascend when she was here. Who else could even compete with her in this world? But upon hearing what Jiang Ming told just now, she also understood in her heart that it was the sacred lands who were used to their arrogance. Now that various cross-dimensional gateways were opened, they still thought that the world belonged to the sacred land, and thus ignoring this place now. Otherwise, how could there be no concrete news? That was not right. Could it be that they want to be enemies against us here? Otherwise, there should be more news. As these thoughts ran through her mind, her face turned extremely solemn. Allies or enemies, it doesn't really matter to me. Jiang Ming spoke softly as he walked over and half onto the railings on the balcony, overlooking the distant mountains. Just don't come to Qing province. Don't come to Juyang sect. He turned his head over, facing the spatial node right below Taiyang Peak. He never looked there. It was something that caused the devils and immortals to try and get their hands on at all cost, and it must be something that must not be taken lightly. For the sake of safety, he hadn't acted. He didn't need the great encounters and only had to grow step by step. He didn't want to endanger himself in these inexplicable encounters. Xiao stood at the side and was trying to get into contact with her master's sect in the Tianyuan school of Zhong province. Liu Changkong was sitting together with Ye Ming, old dean. The various sacred lands in the world all had their cross-dimensional gateway opened. What are they planning? What are they trying to do? When the eastern region was lost, they did not take action. When the demons from the northern region invaded and when the foreigners from other worlds descended, these sacred lands did not open their cross-dimensional gateways. Yet, what are they opening now for? The cross-dimensional gateways have been opened, yet the information about its opening is hidden from us. They are called sacred lands because they have a method of opening a cross-dimensional gateway and will not simply evoke it unless it is the critical moment that leads to the destruction of the sect. King Yun's sect was an example. Now, with all the cross-dimensional gateways opening at one go, it seems the legend is true. What legend? A long time ago, this world of ours was once 90% destroyed and almost collapsed completely. Later on, there was also a gruesome battle between the immortals and the devils. Based on these, it seems as though there's something hidden in this world of ours that the gods craze for. Now that the cross-dimensional gateways are opened in so many sacred lands, it can only explain one thing. That is, the hidden secret is true and it's time to open it. What should we do? Allow them to do as they wish? Just wait and see. Sigh, we can only do so. Old Dean, the secret is in Juyang sect in the eastern region. Everything that's happened shows it's there. Should we inform them? I'll do it. Liu Changkong looked at the clouds in the skies with a heavy expression. He never expected this kind of situation to happen and didn't even realize it beforehand. King Yun's sect of the eastern region. In a forbidden land, there were immortal lights trickling down with divine notes reverberating through the air, interweaving into a melody that didn't belong to the human world. King Fengzi came over to the place and he didn't look very good. He didn't even know that the sect could open a cross-dimensional gateway that could cross over to other worlds. When he thought of the catastrophe in the eastern region and the heavy casualties that the sect had suffered, his heart was even more uncomfortable. In the cross-dimensional gateway, tens and thousands of these so-called immortals had descended, but they were only at level 10. At the moment, these experts were sacrificing a mountain as an offering, turning it into an immortal land. Turning the mortal land into immortal land, guiding the projection of the immortal region to allow the real immortals to descend. They will then control the immortal land and travel around the world, conquering and wage war with everyone. Isn't this the same as that Tian Shi from the Tianyuan school? Qing Fengzi understood a little more on what was occurring as he sighed in his heart. This small, feeble world is too miserable, constantly bullied by so many others. Meanwhile, Long Yuan of the Eastern Sea, Taishang Sword Sect of Zhong Province, Million Demons Mountain of the Southern Region, and many others were all doing the same thing. Western regions. Over at the Peak of Bliss, the mountain was also offered as sacrifice, turning into Buddha land where peaceful Buddha lights illuminating throughout. Even thousands of Buddha phantoms started appearing in the air, reciting the sutras of compassion. At the same time, there were as many as 10 millions of people gathered together, where some were devoted believers, while others the remnants of the 5 paths of the devil sects who were enlightened. They knocked on the wooden fish, recited the scriptures, seemingly losing their own self-awareness through their immense devotion. It could be clearly seen that their bodies were collapsing and disintegrating under the blessing of the great array formation below them. Those with their hands gone, their mouths never stopped. Those with their mouths gone, their hands were still knocking on the wooden fish. Those that had even lost their heads, their souls were still reciting the scriptures. At a certain point, all of them completely disappeared. but there were countless spots of lights gathering together, turning into a ball of light as a streak of Buddha light rushed out of the cross-dimensional gateway, merging with after a while the ball of light shattered and out walked a young Buddha monk with a huge golden wheel of merit suspended behind his head. He wore a cassock with a gentle smile on his face. All hail our Buddha. Many Fosek's elders knelt down one after another, throwing their bodies onto the ground as respect. Namo Amitabha, you have all done greatly. After I save the world, I'll take you all back with me to be under the originator Buddha. The young Buddha monk nodded with a gentle smile as his faint voice resounded through the west. Over on Chuyang Peak, Jiang Ming also looked over that direction, his brows furrowed. Such gruesome technique, such cruel method. Oh, the western region, truly crueler than even the devils. A fine line between the devil and the Buddha, both never apart. I finally understood what this saying meant. Name Xianxia race, 6-winged golden cicada, gender male, cultivation base, level 12, true immortal background, one of the Buddhists from the heavenly realm's spiritual mountain. Relationship 0, innate talent, great overarching status. In the maple forest at the foot of spiritual mountain, a golden cicada which was mutated with 6 wings flapped its wings and chirped around, resounding through the entire spiritual mountain. An elder Buddha who was preaching heard the cicada's chirping and smiled. He said, "The cicada is a Zen, with a mind of wisdom that will startle the world one day, becoming an Arhat Buddha in the future. He will be named Chan Xin, transforming into human figure in a year, becoming an immortal in 10 years and stepping onto the true immortal realm in 100 years. His art of meditation were unmatched by the younger generations. His Dharma-protecting special abilities were overwhelming among other monks and was named by the various living beings of the spiritual mountain as the Holy Buddha." Shocked to find out that an old Buddha was laying out an encounter in the mortal world, who took the opportunity to communicate with the Dharma of the mortal world when the tides of the voids were at its weakest and lead the supreme Buddha energy to form the cross-dimensional gateway. Heard that there are people tempering Buddha soil over in the mortal world which will evoke an unyielding Buddha array formation. By refining the blood essence of countless living beings, a Buddha embryo can be formed. Integrating with the laws of the human world, evolving supreme special ability allows the body to withstand the descension of a true immortal, traveling freely in the world. Chan Xin was pleasantly surprised and said that he admires the mortal world, asking for an opportunity to look for his encounters in the mortal world. The old Buddha readily agreed and said, "The heavenly realm is located at the highest point among all of the worlds. Opening a gateway towards the mortal world is hard, and it is even more difficult for an immortal to descend. The price to descend is too high, otherwise no one would wait until now. If it was a middle immortal chiliocosm or a small immortal chiliocosm, it would have been relatively easier. Now that the great heavenly venerate is setting up the Zhou Tianxingdo Great Formation, it will be even more difficult for the Buddha to descend into the mortal world in the future. Fortunately, it is now still in the setting up phase." Also heard the old Buddhas saying, "There is a small devil trying to scheme on the encounters of this mortal world. Initially hoped that once the other party captures it, our side can directly come to suppress the abyss. It would have saved a lot of trouble, but alas, the other party failed. There was also an immortal from a middle immortal chiliocosm that tried their hands on the mortal world but also ended up failing. The two of these parties weren't reconciled from the defeat and continued to plan on capturing the mortal world. Haha, such little devil, such a feeble middle immortal chiliocosm. The two are merely circus monkeys dancing on the stage." Also heard the old Buddha continued, "There are a few other forces who are scheming the mortal world. Kill if you want, destroy if you want, just do whatever you want." Upon reaching the human world and saw the great mountains and rivers of the world, his heart was in euphoria, thinking, "This world will be my play toy. Haha, the spiritual mountain is too miserable and isn't as free as the world here. Heard that humans are delicious. I must have a taste." As for the great encounters, there's no rush. No rush at all. I'll first eat to my heart's content, play to my heart's content, destroy this human world as I go along, and then get my hands on the great encounters. 0. Upon reading this, Jiang Ming's heart sank and his killing intent surged exponentially. Chan Xin from the heavenly realm? At the peak of worlds? It was apparent that Chan Xin's world was far beyond the middle immortal chiliocosm. Jiang Ming also realized something important, which was that descending from heavenly realm into the mortal world was much more difficult compared to the other realms such as the middle immortal chiliocosm. How on earth does this great Dao work? There's even a great heavenly venerate. Could it be equivalent to the Jade Emperor? Setting up the Great Array Formation was really aimed at the orders of the worlds. Various thoughts crossed Jiang Ming's mind as the killing intent in his heart gradually boiled. It was especially the case when he read about evoking a great Buddha formation array and refining the essence of countless living beings. Such a simple sentence, yet it was referring to the millions of lives in the world. Many of those were in the primal spirit realm, paradise realm, and even the extreme path realm. What if the commoners were sacrificed instead? 10 billion of them will probably not even be enough. Jiang Ming finally understood fully the real purpose of Western region pretending to be defeated in the beginning. Their real intention was to purify the devils of 5 devil sects and sacrifice them to welcome the arrival of their true Buddha. Sky-defying great formation. What an old Buddha. There was a story that a Buddha observed 480 million living beings in front of him and himself with a scoop of water, muttering, "Drink." Perhaps the old Buddha's view of the world was somewhat the same. To him, all living beings in the mortal world were as feeble as grasses. This old Buddha, however, regarded the devil kings and the immortal beings as somewhat a circus monkey dancing on the stage. Was truly horrifying. Jiang Ming lifted his finger. Linglong, who was right next to him, suddenly felt chills running down her spine, yet Shi Yao didn't feel anything. Instead, she came over to Yang Ming and said, "Senior Lu Changkong from Tianyuan School sent over a message saying that many sacred lands have opened up cross-dimensional gateways and there are a lot of immortals that descended. They also said that these immortals are tempering the place into immortal lands to form immortal domains. Just like the previous Golden Heavenly Path, these will be able to lead the real immortals over and roam our world." Such info was a way of the other party showing their goodwill towards the expert behind Linglong. Jiang Ming paused and looked around in all the directions again as his face flashed a smile of sarcasm. He looked at Shi Yao and said, "Tell your master, your relatives that are in your sect, ask them to quickly leave the place." Shi Yao's face turned pale as her body swayed. She grabbed Jiang Ming's arm forcefully. Brother Jiang, must it be this way? A true Buddha has descended in the Western region, and guess how he descended? Jiang Ming smiled a little, yet there wasn't a hint of warmth in his smile, as he continued sacrificing the purified devil experts and also millions of devout believers, where all of them had had results in their cultivations. Upon hearing this, Shi Yao's pupil shrank, and her face was filled with shock and terror. Jiang Ming continued explaining, "While planning on getting his hands on this world's great encounters, the true Buddha is prepared to devour humans and destroy this mortal world. As for those immortals that had descended in the sacred lands, how can this happen?" Shi Yao was dumbfounded by the news and then smiled bitterly. "I don't have the right to persuade you, but can you handle this?" Yang Ming smiled, and this time his smile had more warmth in it. He looked over to Linglong. "Girl, have I been lying too low, allowing these people to invade, others to conspire against us, and now even people who are wanting to destroy this world of ours? Haha, a few immortals that had descended in several sacred lands even planned to completely refine our world or decimate our world just to land their hands on the great encounters. To hell with that." Jiang Ming cursed angrily. "Although I've only lived on a mountain, I still have this piece of sky above my head and my feet firmly on this ground. How can I allow these people to do our world harm? The sacred lands have been arrogant, enjoying the worships of millions of people for hundreds of millions of years. In the end, they have forgotten about their roots. If that's the case, I shall just destroy all of them and cut off their connection to the higher realms. Let this world remain as it is. Shi Yao, for your sake I will deal with Ryu sect last, but you don't have much time." Jiang Ming soared into the air, still within the range of the Saint Province Dao Square. He shrouded himself and isolated all prying eyes from the outside world. Linglong, on the other hand, stayed silent. She knew that this time her senior brother was angry, really angry. Unfortunately, she was unable to leave the Chuyang Peak, hence there's nothing else she could do. Otherwise, she would not let her senior brother to be the one getting his hands dirty. She also soared up into the air, arriving next to Jiang Ming as she hugged onto his arms and accompanied him quietly. Shi Yao was in great hurry as she continued to send messages back to her sect. Back in Ryu sect, upon receiving the news from Shi Yao's master immediately went to find their sect master without any hesitation. "Holy Lord," Shi Yao sent over a message again. Her words were sharp and urgent, asking us to ignore those immortals and leave the sect immediately. Otherwise, there will be a chance of our sect's annihilation. No, what she said was the sect will surely be annihilated, cutting off chances of inheritance. From what I know about Shi Yao's temperament, she currently has no confidence at all in us or the other sacred lands. They knew Shi Yao was in Juyang sect all the while and was of no urge to hurry her back to the sect, because there was a peerless figure that could overwhelm the world there. In their view, it would be good if they could befriend that person. It's probably that person who found out about it, I guess. Ryue sect's sect master smiled and shook her head. Anyway, he is overestimating himself in his effort trying to annihilate us. Now that the great encounter has been initiated, countless immortal worlds have been opened and boundless immortals have descended into the world. Who can stop this overwhelming force? Those who oppose it will surely die. After all, Shi Yao is still a junior with insufficient experiences and a limited vision of how the world truly is. But, sect master, the person behind Linglong is a terrifyingly powerful existence of mysterious background, yet we still don't even know his identity. What if? Don't forget about the devils over in the northern region a few years ago, and also what happened to the Golden Heavenly Path. The Holy Lord frowned, pondered for a moment and said, "The possibility is minute, and even if it's possible, it cannot be stopped, and we are even less likely to leave. After all, those above us are our backbones, places that we see as our final destination. Elder Liu, just in case anything happens, you can lead your branch and a few of our disciples to leave this place. Let it be if nothing happens, but if there's a risk of something happening, consider this as the inheritance of our legacy. Holy Lord, let's leave together. Everyone can go, but I can't. This is actually a great encounter for me. If I missed it, I will regret it for the rest of my life." Upon hearing his answer, Elder Lu sighed softly. After a quick discussion, she left the place hurriedly. On top of Quyang Peak, Jiang Ming raised his arms once again, lifted his index finger as a small flicker of light started to condense on his fingertips. Linglong could see clearly that it was the fusion of various mortal laws. To the immortals, the mortal laws were insignificant, but once they were integrated and merged into one, it would turn into a blinding luminance that shone upon the entire world. Jin stood afloat high in the air, with the golden wheels of merit and virtue above his head. He looked down over at the many devout Buddhist believers who were kneeling below, stretching from that area to the ends of the sky. He couldn't even conceal the smile on the corner of his mouth. Although his status back in the spiritual mountain in the heavenly realm was good, he was still considered just a small shrimp in the big ocean. But here, they were addressing him as, "My Buddha, Lord Buddha, Saint Buddha, Elder Buddha, and even Holy Buddha." Hearing all these, he himself had now become the Lord Buddha here already. Haha! Such a joyful experience over in this mortal world. When he looked to the other side, he saw the 3,000 female devout believers who were selected for him. He couldn't help but chuckle, thinking of so many of them warming his bed. Today will be the day I become the Lord and Savior. Kanshin was extremely satisfied with his status. He even started to have thoughts that even if the mission was completed, he wouldn't be going back to the spiritual mountain in the heavenly realm but stay here in this mortal world. It was, after all, too much like heaven to him. All of a sudden, his heart had a sudden throb as he inexplicably felt terrified. The feeling of death suddenly emerged, causing him to feel suffocated. Who can even threaten me in this mortal world? Could it be that the Elder Buddha heard my thoughts just now? Chan Xin thought to himself. Meanwhile, as he was ready to activate his Buddha weapon, he realized the feeling just now disappeared. Golden lights trickled down the sides of his eyes as he thoroughly scanned the world and noticed there were movements over in the eastern region. Rose, that sudden induction can't be wrong. What's going on? Han Xin's vigilance rose greatly. Have the other descended immortals started to take action? Over at the eastern region, Jiang Ming was about to launch his attack to decimate Chan Xin, but discovered a spatial breach that just opened up right outside of Juyang Sect. A piece of immortal land shot out of the rift, with boundless luminance of immortality shrouding the whole land along with various different chains of order surrounding it, giving off a holy and sacred feeling. I didn't expect you all to be the first to act. Jiang Ming looked confused, paused his attack on Chan Xin and instead landed below. Senior brother, what should we do? Linglong asked. Well, I'm bored to death now, so let's see what fun they'd bring us, Jiang Ming replied with a smile. Right outside of Jiyang Sect, the piece of immortal land stayed afloat in mid-air as boundless divines were radiated throughout the vast land, causing even then skies to feel intimidated. Who knew how many of the living beings who were ignorant of what was happening were trembling in fear? There was a throne on the immortal land where a strong individual was sitting on it. Every pores on his skin exuded lights of immortality, with inexplicable runes flashing around, merging to form a terrifying array formation. So this is Juyang Sect? The man finally spoke. Yes, venerable immortal. King Fengzi was right by his side, standing respectfully. He was in charge of the Qingyun sect's external affairs. It's too much to call me the venerable immortal. I cannot shoulder such greatness. The young man then continued. Just refer to me as the immortal envoy. In the heavenly realm, it should be the patriarch who is Qingyun's venerable immortal. Yes, immortal envoy. Alright, the likes of you have been preaching about Juyang's sect being of such amazement, but it seems like it is just due to that one incident. The golden heavenly path arrived here and the immortals who had descended disappeared without a trace, ending with the golden heavenly path being destroyed. Is that right? Yes. Was there really no other movement? There isn't. That is it. The immortal envoy stood up and smiled. This is a perfect planar world, and the strongest expert that can possibly be nurtured here is but of the imminent immortal realm. How would it be possible that a couple immortals would be annihilated without even a sound? I've also checked around just now. It seems that in this little Juyang sect, the strongest person is but only of the feeble Paradise realm. There isn't any heavenly defying array formation in place here either. I suspect the scene that you witnessed that day was an illusion all the while. One immortal envoy. Not only were we the one who witnessed the whole ordeal that day, even the other experts from various sacred lands around the world saw the whole thing as well. King Fengzi cautiously said, Is it so difficult to project an illusion that can mask the whole world? It is impossible to do so back in the heavenly realm, but this is the mortal world, a small, feeble mortal world, the size akin to a person's palm. The immortal envoy shook his head and continued, moreover, a few years back, there weren't any other forces who descended into this mortal world. Come along, I've already sensed it. The secret is within the Juyang sect. S.A. Immortal Envoy, should we send a few of our people to scout out the place? Emo, with us already making our move, how can the other forces hold themselves back? Making our moves early is our initiative to be the first among all. If we slowly scout out the place, it would just waste our time. Besides, with the immortal land here, can this feeble, small Juyang sect threaten us? Such a joke. The immortal envoy waved over his sleeves and sat back down. There were dozens of other immortal beings around him, most of them expressionless. Qing Fengzi lifted his gaze at one of them. He was one of the sect's elders, his master, who had ascended into the higher realm. Back in the days, he was of the highest status in Qingyun's sect, respected by all. Yet, he could only stand aside today. Even though his level of cultivation was on par with the immortal envoy, his status, however, was totally different. While Qing Fengzi smiled bitterly in his heart, he was also trying to inquire. The immortal slightly shook his head, implicating him to be more honest. Therefore, Qing Fengzi could do nothing other than back down. I have a strong sense of unease in my heart. It's as though something of great catastrophe was imminent. Qing Fengzi was very uneasy the whole time. The whole parchment of immortal land barged directly into Juyang sect, floating right above Juyang sect's main hall. With a pair of divine vision, the immortal envoy peered through the layers of barriers and discovered the spatial node underground. He couldn't help but nodded, stood up and commanded in high spirit. The immortal encounter is right here. Everyone listen up. Once I successfully obtain this immortal encounter, you can all follow me ascending into the heavenly realm. He didn't even look at Kuyang Peak. It was apparent that his arrival this time was much smarter than that of Dong Yao's. Something's wrong. Qing Fengzi suddenly blurted. What's wrong? The immortal envoy frowned, a little unhappy with the comment. Lights were flowing in his palms and seemed to already condense into a supreme power of law. Qing Fengzi felt chills running down his spine but couldn't help himself from commenting. It's too quiet here. We came here with such a big commotion. How is it possible that the Juyang sect's disciples didn't discover us? The immortal envoy opened his mouth, wanting to say that these disciples merely felt his presence and were covering in fear. Yet when he gazed around, it seemed those of the Juyang sect didn't even care about their arrival and were still going off with their own business. The immortal envoy was clearly not stupid. Squinting his eyes with his eyebrows sharp as the sword, the immortal land started to radiate waves and waves of luminance, forming a peerless formation array. He then saw a pair of young man and woman pacing over towards him in the air. The man was beyond handsome while the woman looked unparalleled. Such a matching couple, the immortal envoy exclaimed secretly, and quickly realized the two of them were actually talking and laughing, walking in a bee's line towards the immortal land. His eyes flashed. This here are Zilinglong and Jiang Ming of the Juyang sect's Chuyang Peak. Zilinglong's aptitude is unparalleled while Jiang Ming is quite ordinary in comparison. Everything that has happened in the past was suspected to be the doings of the person behind Zilinglong, Qing Fengzi explained. Jiang Ming is ordinary. The divine lights in the immortal envoy's palm lit up again. He has already reached the imminent immortal realm, yet you say that he's ordinary. This is not possible. Qing Fengzi had a face of disbelief. Back then, he came over to Quyang Peak and personally did his investigation on Jiang Ming. He was of ordinary aptitude and had a low cultivation base. How could he reach the imminent immortal realm now? What's more terrifying is that lady there. I can't even see through her cultivation. The immortal envoy gaze turned over to Linglong, his face turning into an unprecedented solemn look. Divine light started to appear around his body and a formation even formed around himself, protecting him in the middle. Impossible. Qing Fengzi shook his head. You're the immortal envoy, a being beyond the mortal world. How can you not see through Zilinglong's cultivation base? If she has stepped into the immortal realm, how can she even continue staying in this mortal world? She must possess some sort of rare artifact that concealed her level of cultivation. This explanation seems reasonable. The immortal envoy nodded his head but was secretly trying to mobilize the immortal land, planning to first flee from Juyang sect and further plan his next step later on. Yet, to his shock, he discovered that the immortal land now couldn't move an inch. His heart sank immediately. As the immortal envoy recalled what Qing Fengzi just told him, it seemed that there was a possibility that maybe it might have been real all along. In front of him, he saw Jiang Ming and Zilinglong, who rushed over, watching and listening quietly. Senior brother, he noticed it. Linglong sensed someone trying to mobilize the immortal land and couldn't help but laugh. There's so many great incidents happening in this mortal world and yet they still dare to barge right in. Is this arrogance or just pure ignorance? Well, they are immortals after all. Of course they are arrogant. When they become arrogant, they look down on anything and everything which make them look stupid. However, how many idiots are there that could cultivate right up into the immortal realm? Jiang Ming laughed. The moment when the immortal land appeared right outside of Zhuyang sect, Jiang Ming secretly manipulated the power of the Saint Province Dao Square, covering the sect from top to bottom so that none of the sect's members could see what was happening. This was also to prevent the people from getting agitated from all the ruckus. As for the immortal envoy's effort to peep through the barriers, it was also affected by the Saint Province Dao Square. Even when the immortal land came within their vicinity, Jiang Ming had already disguised the whole place as though they had already destroyed Zhuyang sect and had already made their way to the place of great encounter. This time, however, it was Ling Long who made the next move and imprisoned the whole immortal land. Although he's not an idiot, he still looks stupider than an idiot. Ling Long smiled as though no one was around her and continued. The golden heavenly path appeared. The immortals descended, and yet all of them fell right here. How could Qingyun sect not know of this? How could they not inform him? Yet in the end he still barged in. Chick chick chick. Such stupidity is unreal. He thinks that the mortal world is something he can just toy with. Ling Long, we should take them as a warning to ourselves and be extra careful when we encounter anything in the future. Otherwise we will end up like these idiots with their lives in other people's grasp, too late for regrets. Don't worry, senior brother. If I become arrogant and ignorant in the future, I'll think back on these idiots today. That will certainly wake me up. As the immortal envoy listened to their conversation, his face turned frighteningly gloomy. The two of them were using him and his people as bad examples. God damn it. One didn't just rub it on someone's face like that. These two not only rubbed it in his face, but it was as if the two were stomping his face right into the abyss and smothering it. If even such shame could be withstood, what else could not be? The immortal envoy could no longer stand the insults. He pointed at Jing Ming and Ling Long, violently howling. I am the immortal of the heavenly realm. I've seen the great Tao and witnessed its longevity. Now that I've descended onto your mortal world, it is your great encounter to be able to meet me in person. Now I'm giving the two of you the chance to become immortals. Kneel before me and worship me as your master, for I will bring you two back to the heavenly realm with me to absorb the immortal spiritual key and comprehend the genuine great Tao. With just a flick of a finger, you will be able to step into the immortal realm and enjoy longevity. The immortal envoy flicked his sleeves and turned his back, gazing up in the skies with great magnanimity. King Fengzi stole a glance at the immortal envoy and cursed in his heart, such an idiot. You're weaker than them and still claiming that you are the immortal envoy. Still trying to deter the two of them under such a situation. God damn it. You're going to be the death of me. He himself could clearly see that Ling Long and Jiang Ming were definitely two terrifying beings, and yet this immortal envoy was still trying to threaten the two. To hell with that. Upon hearing the immortal envoys preach, Jiang Ming's face was full of astonishment, shook his head and muttered, I was wrong. This is an idiot, right here. Yeah, just an idiot, Ling Long agreed indifferently. OV, you dare insult me? You're just digging your own grave, howled the immortal envoy, as he couldn't stand their insult anymore. He then commanded, Ming Daozi, go forth and kill him. As you command. A middle-aged man walked out from one side of the immortal land. With a swift flick of the sword in his hand, 3,000 strands of extremely violent sword Dao Qi were formed that could even cut off all the laws and principles of the mortal world. The sword's strength was extremely powerful and could easily sever the entire eastern region if he was placed outside. Bang! The very next moment, the sword key could be seen shattering into pieces, dispersing into the air. Ling Long made her move as she simultaneously commented, this sword of yours has the look and the essence of sword Dao. If you are fighting against someone of the same cultivation realm, you can be considered the ultimate expert, but sadly you shouldn't have descended into this mortal world, and what's more, shouldn't have come here. As Ling Long muttered, she lifted her right index finger, emanating strands of sword qi. Immediately after, with just a point of the finger, the sword qi pierced right through the middle-aged man's forehead, severing his primal spirit, and he tragically died on the spot. The whole incident was swift and ruthless. It directly shook the immortal envoy and the rest of his underlings, especially Qing Fengzi. Shocked by what he just witnessed, Qing Fengzi couldn't help but exclaim, how is this possible? Ling Long, you actually killed an immortal with only just a finger. Wait a minute. The destruction of the devils in the northern region and the decimation of the immortals of the golden heavenly path, are all of these your doings? He was overwhelmed by the whole ordeal. He looked back and realized that at this point in time Ling Long was but only in her 20s, and yet she had already reached the immortal realm? Was the Phoenix bloodline that powerful? Or did she come across sky-defying encounters? Yes. It must be the encounters. The hidden encounter in Zhuyang sect. She must have got her hands on them. When he thought of it, he couldn't help regretting why he didn't forcefully take in Ling Long as his disciple. He could have also killed her or even destroyed the Zhuyang sect altogether. Unfortunately, it was too late for regrets. How can immortals be born in the mortal world? The immortal envoy's expression became even more unsightly as the uneasiness in his heart rapidly grew. Real experts could be seen from their actions. Jiang Ming started to feel bored over the whole charade as he turned over to Ling Long and said, let's just kill all of them. All of them? Wouldn't it be a waste? Ling Long asked. Then let's suppress them and seal them first. Then, maybe we can try to enslave them? Jiang Ming hesitated. All right then. As Linglong nodded her head, she reached out and grabbed with her hands. The whole immortal land suddenly trembled, bursting out hundreds of millions of immortal lights yet confined within a limited area. Dense minute sword key appeared through the void, with each strand of these sword key made out of minute inscription. The strands evoked a supreme energy, pierced through each and every one of the defensive immortal light of the immortals, shattered their defensive immortal weapons and directly entered their bodies, sealing off their cultivation. They couldn't resist at all. As for Qing Fengzi and the like, they were all beheaded and not a single one remained. This is the power of a golden immortal. You are actually a golden immortal expert. God damn it. The immortal envoy was first startled before getting scared shitless as his whole body trembled in fear. Right that very moment, an incomparably terrifying power suddenly burst out from his body, smashed through waves and waves of the sword key, turned into a giant hand aiming right at the likes of Linglong. The huge palm's strength overwhelmed the skies. As the palm print formed a formidable array formation, there was even a hint of timelessness flowing in it. The power of a golden immortal is sealed in his body. With just a quick glance, Linglong saw through everything. She understood exactly what had happened and chuckled softly. But this is the mortal world. She pointed her finger like a sword, destroying the huge palm, and continued to tap on the immortal envoy's forehead, directly wiping out the imprint that was in his sea of consciousness. The immortal envoy had a face of utter despair. With just a flick of a finger, those who were killed died and those who were suppressed were sealed. The higher management of the Qingyun sect seemed to be almost wiped out in just one go. Jiang Ming, however, looked outside and saw a great mountain thousands of miles away. There were quite a number of immortals standing on top of the mountain, with divine light emanating from their bodies as though they were gods, overbearing with inviolable divinity. He knew that those were from the Taishu sect of the northern region. When the devils of the northern region invaded, Taishu sect retained their strength, and yet now that the cross-dimensional gateway had opened and the immortals descended, their power reached its peak again. A short moment passed by before the void started to crack open one after another, with blinding lights of divinity seeping through the cracks, revealing the immortal lands and the divinity lands. All of them were from the different forces of the Tianyuan world. Although there were quite a number of them, Jiang Ming was able to identify each of them clearly. There were Million Demons Mountain and Tianlei sect of the southern region, Infinite Alchemy Pavilion, Ryu sect and Taishang Sword sect of the Zhang province, and the Fo sect of the western region. Almost all sacred lands of the world had gathered over. A long stretch of mountains was forged into the shape of a huge sword with various strong experts standing atop of it, each of them armed with their sword Samboda shooting through the air, drenched with destructive nature. These were obviously the characteristics of the Taishang Sword sect. A person standing at the front, holding onto a long sword in his arms as he lightly said, "Everyone, the Qingyun sect has already entered. Aren't any of you anxious? Yang Jian, only a fool would rush." An old man standing on the immortal mountain formed by the Tianlei mountain sneered. Then, he continued, "The brat named Yang that descended from Qingyun immortal sect has always been arrogant and ignorant. He even dares to directly enter this Juyang sect just like that. Although this Juyang sect is but a small feeble sect in this tiny mortal world, yet the sect was tied with the various great incidents that had happened here. How would they be so easy to be dealt with? Even if anyone is anxious to take the lead and seize the great encounter, they should at least test the waters first, like maybe give them a huge slap and destroy Juyang sect. If the sect can be destroyed, then there's no danger to it. But if it can't be destroyed, then that would have been a huge problem." "That makes sense," Yang Jian smirked. Everyone saw it just now, when that Yang person went into the lands of the great encounter as if nobody was inside. "Isn't that a proof already?" "Yang Jian, you're trying to make a fool of us all," the old man snorted coldly. "He entered the place, and yet what does that even prove? If there's something wrong with the Juyang sect, then they could have easily conjured us an illusion. If there isn't anything wrong with them, then the Juyang sect should be so deserted to begin with." Long-winded people. A monstrous demon from the Million Demons Mountain couldn't hold back anymore. Why not act, rather than just waiting here? His palms turned into a knife as he slashed towards Juyang sect. The force could even split open the skies and shatter the stars. The light from the knife seemed as if it was going to divide heaven and earth into two. If this slash fell on the Juyang sect, it would definitely turn the sect into ashes, and even the great earth would be cut open by thousands of miles wide. Who knew how many beings would die from this? Evidently, this monstrous demonic immortal didn't care about human life, and the rest of the other experts on the immortal lands merely watched indifferently. Yet it was at that moment, a person walked out of Juyang sect, raising his arm. The slash paused mid-air, then quickly shrank and fell into the palm of his hand, finally condensing into a small 3-inch knife. It was Jiang Ming who came out to greet them. He actually wanted to lure these immortals into Juyang sect to take care of all of them in one go. Unfortunately, none of them entered, and he was slightly disappointed. Therefore, he decided to come out instead. It was just a few steps away. "Demons, Even when you have reached the immortal realm, you are still a demon, a brute. Jiang Ming threw the knife casually, as the 3-inch knife turned into a meteor piercing through that immortal demon in a flash, killing it on the spot. The other immortals were all shocked at the whole ordeal, yet Jiang Ming didn't stop. The world projection was manifested, covering the whole 100,000 miles radius area, encircling all of the immortal lands in it. It was as though the sky was showing its might, crushing the countless layers of divine light that was emitted as the immortal lands crumbled. Those who were below the immortal realm that stayed on the immortal lands died on the spot. Each of them mobilized their immortal soldiers, evoked their special abilities to protect themselves. How can there be such a strong existence in this mortal world? Yang Jian was beyond shocked. With only just the projection of Tao, it nearly even suppressed me. Everyone, if the immortal lands completely collapse, we will all be punished by heaven. Moreover, this person here is just too powerful. I suggest we all bring out whatever last cards you have, or we will all be dying today. All of us! Boom! Just as he finished his words, a ray of sword light rushed out of the top of his head, tearing through layers upon layers of the world's projection. Just when it looked as though he was going to break out of the suppression, a furnace suddenly appeared out of nowhere, shattering the sword light completely. Jiang Ming's world projection was really the power of the world itself. Even then, he didn't stop. Wooey, just when the likes of Yang Jin and the others finally revealed their triumph card and were bursting into action, Jiang Ming evoked the level 14 immortal weapon, the Universe Furnace. Its boundless might suppressed the countless special abilities, shattering the sword key that was produced by that old man in an instant. Such an immortal of the heavenly realm exploded on the spot. As for the rest, their endings were all the same. Their so-called triumph cards were nothing more than just unsealing the power of the golden immortal. That was already the limit that one could achieve in this planar world. Nevertheless, once they evoked the power of golden immortals, it would completely trigger the punishment from the great Tao. If they did not quickly leave the world, it would immediately bring forth heavenly punishment, and they would all return to ashes. This was already their last resort. Even so, it was unfortunately not of any use at all. With just a flick of a finger, the various immortals turned into ashes. Jiang Ming stood high in the sky, and with a wave of his sleeves, he kept the remaining immortal soldiers left by them. But he destroyed whatever other artifacts or Dao vessels. The windy breeze blew strong across the lonely mountains once again. That moment, all the mortal world's powerful experts were at a loss of words. Never would it cross their minds that these many immortals who had descended into their mortal world would be killed just like that. Why did it look like it was all just a show? Following that, they saw Jiang Ming, who was shrouded by divine light and could hardly see his face, pointing his fingers in all directions continuously, striking out an infinite amount of sword chi. First off was Qingyuan sect. There were quite a number of imminent immortals guarding the cross-dimensional gateway in Qingyuan sect. It was at that very moment a streak of sword chi came ripping through the void, destroying the entire gateway in an instant. The sword key exploded, killing all of the imminent immortals around it. The illuminating sword key scattered in all directions, raging through Qingyun sect, and in just a short time 90% of the sect were murdered. The Qingyun sacred land was now crippled completely. It didn't matter if it was the Taishu sacred land, Infinite Alchemy Pavilion, Ryu sect, Taishang sword sect, Million Demons Mountain, Fo sect of the western region and the likes, all of them were completely destroyed. Even the Long Yuan of the Eastern Sea was destroyed as well. Oh, you sacred lands! Wasn't it better to just stay at the top like you always do, looking down at the world arrogantly? You had to just come to the eastern region, to come to Zhuyang sect, and to provoke me. Well, in order to live my carefree life in the future, I'll have to only ask that you all go to hell. Jiang Ming turned his thoughts over, focusing on the last of them, Shanxin. Xing Ming wasn't sure what the thought process behind Shanxin was. He sent a lot of immortal Buddhists over, and yet he himself remained hidden in the dark, observing. Right that very moment, he had already escaped to the depth into the Eastern Sea, evoking special abilities to conceal himself. Yang Ming looked through the human path record. Name, Shan-Xin race, 6-wing golden cicada gender. Male cultivation base, level 12, true immortal. Background, one of the Buddhists from the spiritual mountain of the heavenly realm. Relationship, -1, innate talent, great overarching status. Ever since he felt his own impending death, he had been restless. This only meant one thing. That was, the next great movement would be dangerous, a very dangerous one at that. When he saw the immortal envoy of Qingyun sect going into Zhuyang sect, and even saw that he directly opened up the secret pathway that led him towards the land of the great encounter, his heart trembled and he wanted to barge right into it. However, something felt off. It was too quiet, so very quiet. Even if the Zhuyang sect was weak, they could have at least resisted a little. Moreover, now that the land of encounter has been opened, how did it not affect Zhuyang sect at all? When he saw Yang Jian and the other immortals go up into Zhuyang sect, he ordered many Buddhist immortals to go in as well on behalf of the Fo sect. He, however, continued to observe in the dark. And what did I see? Holy hell, my goodness. A person rushed out of Juyang sect and killed Yang Jin and all of the like. Is there such a terrifying existence in this mortal world? There shouldn't be, and it's just not logical. Could it be this is an old reclusive monstrous being? That's not right. If it was an old monstrous being, how can the many forces of us not know of it? This must be an existence that broke through common sense, and I have encountered him here. Damn it. Should I go back, or should I continue to stay hidden? Oh, this is giving me such a headache. After all the trouble of coming into this mortal world, how can I leave the place with tail in between my legs when I haven't even enjoyed my charming believers here? Haven't gotten the great encounters and haven't played to my heart's content. I think I'll just stay hidden first and see how things go. The place to go is none other than the deepest area of the Eastern Sea. The place is vast and there are very few people there. Jiang Ming smiled and felt a little emotional. To think that this person didn't carry any hatred towards him. Such a weird person indeed. He thought it was truly scary for this person to have great overarching innate talent. No wonder that he was crowned the Holy Buddha's son. However, it all was coming to an end now. Jiang Ming raised his arm, pointed his finger and shot out a dazzling divine light that zipped away in a flash. It wasn't the sky-shattering sword technique this time, but the return of infinite law finger. In this mortal world, he could reach every part of the world easily. Over the east side of the Eastern Sea, there was an island filled with mountains and trees. If you gaze at it from afar, you could easily see the lush greenery. Quan Xin landed there, and with a simple touch of his hand, a great palace appeared right on the mountain top. The palace was extremely gorgeous, yet it was but a Buddhist treasure. From now on, I'm going to be staying here living in seclusion. As he thought about it, he saw a light flickering on the surface of the sea. His eyes lit up as he stretched out his hands to grab it. Like that, a stream of light approached him from afar quickly, but it was only a clam girl who was swallowing and spitting out pearls. Not only is it gorgeous, it's also very delicious. I'll play around with it first before I eat her. Such wonders. Quan Xin was overjoyed as he hugged the clam girl and entered his palace. After a short while, the whole palace started to shake, but at that very moment, a streak of light came flashing through the sky, piercing directly into the palace. Bang! The light exploded into a terrifying torrent of fluctuation, abruptly blowing apart the whole palace. Quan Xin rushed out of his palace with a grave look on his face. There were supposed to be 3 layers of defensive Buddha light protecting his body, and yet 2 of the layers were already shattered. This supreme defense was what the old Buddha blessed him before his departure to this mortal world. To think that it not only penetrated the Buddha palace but also shattered 2 layers of my defensive barrier. Quan Xin was extremely horrified. How did he find me? That's not good. Right that very moment, another streak of light appeared in front of his eyes yet again, faster than he could think to react. He only had time to sacrifice an alms bowl right in front of him to try and block the streak of light. Layers upon layers of Buddhist inscriptions were accumulated on the surface of the alms bowl, forming a huge formation array with him in the middle of it. However, the attack was too terrifying, penetrating through the layers of Buddhist inscription, piercing through the alms bowl and even destroying the last layer of defensive light on his body. Quan Xin himself was thrown back thousands of miles due to the impact as he spewed thousands of feet of golden blood. Swish! Just as he stabilized himself, he suddenly vanished. By the time he reappeared, he was already 1,000,000 miles away in the South Sea. Alas, just as he reappeared, yet another streak of light was already approaching him. Dear Lord Buddha, save me! Quan Xin's face filled with terror as he couldn't help but howl into the sky. Just as he was about to be killed, a ray of golden light emitted from his primal spirit and blocked off the attacking streak of light. Quan Xin couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief, then ecstatically knelt down and bowed. Thank you, Lord Buddha, for your grace. At the same time, tens of thousands of dark clouds suddenly appeared right above his head as thunder started to roll and the destructive force locked onto him. The heavenly punishment had arrived. Quan Xin's expression turned yet again. The golden light from his body swept him up and disappeared in a flash, disappearing between heaven and earth. Nevertheless, there was a streak of lightning chasing after him, producing a subtle muffled sound as it cruised through the endless torrent of void. Right outside of Juyang sect, Jiang Ming had evoked the return of infinite law finger technique twice, and yet it didn't manage to kill off Quan Xin. This really came as a surprise to him as he followed up with the 3rd finger. Just when it was about to wipe the other party off, an accident happened yet again. Lord Buddha? Even though Jiang Ming was thousands of miles away from Quan Xin, he could still see the Buddhist light emanating from his body. In the light, Jiang Ming vaguely sensed someone taking a glance at him. It inexplicably sent chills down his spine. Hua la la la. He opened up the human path record, and yet there wasn't anything recorded in it. Is it really the Lord Buddha? Jiang Ming's heart sank. As for the divine punishment that appeared, Jiang Ming didn't care at all. He suppressed the various thoughts in his mind and looked over the entire world. Instead of returning to Chuyang Peak, he turned his body and began to teleport everywhere. Long Yuan, Qingyun sect, Taishu sect. He searched through the places one by one, taking away all the ancient tombs that were left behind. Those remaining experts who were above the primal spirit were all killed. In the end, Jiang Ming came to Tianyun's school. You really pushed us to the limits. Yi Ming looked at Jiang Ming with a complicated expression. Never did he imagine that the great expert hidden in Chuyang sect was this little guy. Back then, were you the one who killed TNC and traded blows with me? Ye Ming looked back to the past. TNC, who returned after being defeated by Linglong in Chuyang Peak, was assassinated as he passed by the junction between Zhong Province and the eastern region. At that moment, he acted to save TNC. Yes, though I was still very weak back then. Jiang Ming laughed. He revealed himself this time because he no longer thought that he needed to continue hiding. There really wasn't any need to hide anymore. Yi Ming's expression became even more complicated. He knew about Jiang Ming. It was truly incredible that Jiang Ming could fight against him and even nearly killed him when he was only in his early 20s. Now he was surely beyond anyone's imagination. Cutting off the inheritance of the sacred lands all over the world, erasing the methods of creating the cross-dimensional gateways. Aren't these the right thing to do? Jiang Ming asked rhetorically. Yes, Lu Changkong butted in. As long as the cross-dimensional gateway exists, our mortal world will still belong to the sacred land. Even if there are any strong imminent immortals that stand up to resist the sacred lands, they will eventually be suppressed. It has always been this way since time immemorial. What about Tianyuan School? Jiang Ming looked over at him. The school has the method of forging the cross-dimensional gateway, yet it doesn't have a place to connect to. It is merely just a form of record. Lu Changkong smiled and continued. Do you know why? Do you know the meaning behind the school's existence? A long time ago, a great war between the immortals and the demons took place in the mortal realm. It shattered the sky and crushed the land. After the war, 90% of the mortal world was ruined. Blood was flowing like a river, and there was heap after heap of dead bodies. After the Great War, an immortal descended on the mortal world. Seeing that the mortal world was in shambles, he created the Tianyuan School to prevent the world from falling into ruin as well as to preserve humankind. The school remained absolutely neutral, and they refrained from participating in any disputes or conflicts. They welcomed all humans to come and cultivate in the school, but the disciples of the sacred lands were not allowed to become their core disciples. Then how about this time? Many sacred lands have opened the immortal gates and many immortals are descending. They're going to attack and obliterate this mortal world, so what will the school do? Jiang Ming asked. It went without saying that he would not believe it entirely. However, such a statement indeed had appeared in his status, but it was too general. The school can protect the people in Zhong Province, Liu Changkong said. Protect Zhong Province? Jiang Ming frowned. He activated the Dharma eyes and scanned Zhong Province. Then he discovered there were spatial nodes in all four directions, each with a terrifying aura. When he tried to look into it, he felt a chill down his spine. Liu Changkong nodded. When that happens, I think the mortal world is beyond saving. He did not explain more, and Jiang Ming did not press on. Instead, he turned around and left. He did not have any reason to attack the Tianyuan School or the Yantianzhong. The Yantianzhong only yearned for immortality. They did not participate in any of the fights, so Jiang Ming did not have any reason to attack them either. Both Ye Ming and Lu Changkong couldn't come to their senses for a long while. I can't believe that he has the ability to wipe out so many immortals and sacred lands. Sir, am I still dreaming? I think I'm dreaming too. This is too unbelievable. But it's a blessing for us that such a person exists in our world. Once the sacred lands are gone, it would be hard for those immortals to come to our world. True, it's a blessing for us as well as the mortal world that so many sacred lands are gone. But sir, I'm afraid that the destruction of many sacred lands would lead to some chaos. Should we do something about it? Yeah, we should. We need to guide them. Besides, pass on an order to the sects across the world and tell them that they shouldn't attack normal people. There is no good or evil among cultivators, but they must not bring the ordinary people into play. However, now is the best time to set some rules. Haha, this is a blessing for all the people across the world. Chuyang Peak. After Jiang Ming had returned, he threw himself on the rattan chair and let out a long sigh. Hua Huo and the other three flower fairies fluttered their wings and came to his side. They began wiping his face with a towel, or fetching him water and fruits. You're the best, senior brother, Linglong shouted happily before landing beside him. She peeled a piece of orange and popped it into Jiang Ming's mouth. Not only did you kill those immortals, but you also had destroyed those sacred lands. No one in history has ever done that before. Senior brother, you're the first one. I just want to enjoy the sun, but they don't allow me to. So I have no other choice but to kill them all, Jiang Ming said. I'd like to see who has the guts to bother me again. You killed them all just because you wanted to enjoy the sun. That's one hell of a good reason, Linglong chuckled. Shi Yao, who was standing at the side, had a complicated expression on her face. The man in front of her had slain the immortals and destroyed the sacred lands. Do you hate me? Xiang Ming cocked his head and asked Shi Yao. Should I? Shi Yao smiled bitterly. It's true that you've destroyed the Ryu sect, but I should thank you for sparing my master and me. If not, no one would be able to inherit the Ryu sect. Brother Jiang Linglong, I guess it's time for me to go. Thank you for everything so far, Xiao said as she rose into the air. Go ahead, Jiang Ming nodded. You can always come back whenever you want. I'll keep the house for you. Xiao nodded and went away. Senior brother, you have already lost your only chance to sleep with her, Linglong teased. Well, I'm satisfied with 10 of you, Jiang Ming replied. Really, you're not lying, right? Of course I'm not. I don't believe it. Let's go, senior brother. I want to test if you're telling the truth or not. How are you going to test that? It depends on how hard you work. What? 3 days later, Jiang Ming returned to the rooftop. He looked into the sky and rubbed his back. He turned around and looked at Taiyang Peak. He remembered something and sent a message to the sect master telling him to prepare since the eastern region will fall into chaos after all sacred lands had been destroyed, as well as to move everyone out of Taiyang Peak. When the sect master received the message, he was first taken aback before he leapt into joy. The Qingyun sect is gone? I've been receiving news that big things are happening in the world outside. I thought it was just a rumor, but it turned out to be real. Haha, now that the Qingyun sect is gone, it's time for the Zhuyang sect to shine, he laughed. As for the second part of the message, he had no objection to leaving Taiyang Peak. Very soon, all the disciples on Taiyang Peak were relocated to another location. Yang Ming landed on Taiyang Peak, followed by Linglong and her 9 clones. Immediately after, they came to a spatial node, a little globe of light between reality and illusion, below the Zhuyang sect. If they did not wield the true illusion Tao or the spatial law, they wouldn't be able to notice it. Let me do it! Spatial Linglong took a step forward and shattered the seal. The globe of light glowed brightly before turning into a door. She walked into it, followed by Jiang Ming and Linglong. 5 elemental Linglong stayed outside to guard the surroundings. As soon as he stepped into the door, Jiang Ming felt a strong pressure on him as well as an immense amount of violent aura in the air. It was a spacious area. The sky was blood red and the land was brown. There were bones and corpses littered all over the space as well as divine light that seemed to be glowing for an eternity. Senior brother, upon reaching the golden immortal realm, one would become impossible to be destroyed, Linglong said as she enveloped Jiang Ming in a light barrier. She pointed at a dead body and continued, That's the corpse of a golden immortal. It should be indestructible, but it's decaying and withering away. Do you know what happened, senior brother? Is it being eroded by the blood and violent qi in this space? Yang Ming replied. Exactly. Although the golden immortal is indestructible, they can be eroded by many other powers or forces until they finally vanish into oblivion, Linglong said. In the land of inheritance, I've read a lot of books and scrolls, so I know what is going on. This place should be the place where the Great War happened 10,000 years ago. Many of these dead bodies are the golden immortals, which shows how great and cruel the war was. How can a battlefield of this scale appear here? There's only one reason, senior brother. The original location where the Great War happened was wrecked and it fell into the depths of space and time, merging into one of the spatial nodes of our world. Perhaps those great monarchs from the immortal worlds noticed it, so they sent immortals into our world trying to seize control of the situation here. However, for some real great monarchs, they might not care about it since it's just a ruin. Only those who are in between will want to explore it. Perhaps there are some treasures here. As they were talking, they continued to move forward. What Linglong was talking about was nothing but her own speculation. Suddenly, both of them stopped and looked at a stone monument beside them, and their eyes widened. The stone monument contains the supreme Dio fluctuation that suppresses the spatial node that leads to the outside of this place, Linglong said as she frowned. Look, senior brother, there is a message on top of it. A divine monument sealing the ancient battlefield. Entering is allowed, but exit is prohibited. The one who left this message is Qingyun Great Monarch. Linglong said, entering is allowed, but exit is prohibited. No wonder no one can come to disturb the Zhuyang sect this whole time, so they have all been suppressed. Anyway, don't worry, senior brother. I've checked it and we can go out after coming. As for this Tianyuan Great Monarch, Linglong continued, our world is known as the Tianyuan continent, so could it be related to this guy? I've been to the Tianyuan school, and Lu Changkong told me that the Tianyuan school was created by an immortal, so I guess it must be him. It truly surprises me to find that he has come here before in the past and suppressed the violent souls here to prevent them from escaping, Jiang Ming said. After they had finished studying the stone monument, they continued to move forward. Spatial Linglong, who was standing at the front of the group, raised her hand and a ray of light beamed out of her finger. A soul then appeared from a broken jade on the ground in front of them and vanished into thin air. I can't believe some of the souls are still here after such a long time. Unfortunately, they won't have a good ending in such a place where evil energy fills the air, Spatial Linglong said as she continued to move forward. The land was barren and filled with many holes. They would come across a blood pool formed by the blood of the fallen experts from time to time. These pools were filled with so much evil energy that it even bred immensely powerful blood spirits that danced and screamed on the lake. These blood spirits are powerful. Their strength is on par with an imminent immortal expert. Unfortunately, they can't leave the blood pool and they aren't sentient. Spatial Linglong waved her hand and destroyed the blood pool. At the same time, she was also collecting items that were still left intact. Suddenly, Jiang Ming felt something in front of him and he was stunned. Wind was ravaging through the barren land. He saw a white fog was rolling over and it soon came close. There were a lot of shadows inside the fog, but he couldn't see them closely. Are they evil spirits, or souls, or primal spirits? Jiang Ming asked. The remnants of souls formed from evil energy and absorbing the endless essence that permeates this place. But they are weak and don't pose any threat, Linglong said. However, looking at the scale, I'm afraid there will be more. Light dark Linglong walked forward and lifted her finger. A light burst forth and the white fog dissipated without a single trace along with the evil spirits in it. Throughout their journey, they came across a headless warrior, tree monster, or monster formed from a mountain. However, all of them were killed by them regardless of how strong or powerful they were. There were many dangers in here, and even if an imminent immortal came in, they would be killed before they could go far. Yang Ming had collected a lot of immortal soldiers. Suddenly, a strange phenomenon appeared before them. It was a volcano. The flames spewed from inside reached 10,000 feet into the sky, lighting up the sky. Even though they were several thousand miles away, they still felt the terrible scorching heat. There was a huge nest on the peak of the mountain, with dozens of fire crows circling above it. Each of the fire crow was comparable to a heavenly immortal realm. On the other side of the mountain was a lake that was as big as a sea. There was an island surrounded by mountains at the center of the lake, and within the center of the mountain was an ancient castle. Jiang Ming squinted his eyes and he could vaguely see some shadows inside the castle. I sensed a powerful flame power over the volcano. I'm sure there's a high-quality flame origin over there. Let me go have a look, Phoenix Linglong said as she glanced at Linglong before turning her head to set her gaze at Jiang Ming. Take care of yourself, Jiang Ming said. Sigh. Linglong sighed. My clone cares more about you than me, senior brother. Of course, Spatial Linglong giggled. Our senior brother can sleep with us, can you? Seems like all of you need to be taught a lesson. Linglong frowned and snarled. Senior brother. Spatial Linglong ran to take cover behind Jiang Ming. Pouting her mouth, she said, Look at her. She scolded me again. You need to punish her. Jiang Ming was speechless. Stop messing around, you guys. We're in an area we've never been before, and we need to keep our guard up at all times. Bam! An explosion came from the distance. All of them jerked their heads to the front and saw that Phoenix Linglong had already started slaying some fire crows. She controlled the power of the phoenix, and every single move of her was imbued with a supreme aura. She was naturally stronger than the fire crows, not to mention that her cultivation level was at a whole different level from them. It took her only a few seconds to kill all of the fire crows. She then waved at Jiang Ming and jumped into the volcano. Senior brother, we two are going to check out the castle over there, Spatial Linglong said. I sense something ominous from there, so you two just stay here for a while. Time Linglong stepped forward. Both of them decided to work together to explore the castle. Yang Ming nodded. Swoosh. Both of them then flew toward the castle. Senior brother, did you sense anything? Linglong asked as she gazed at the castle. Jiang Ming frowned. It was true that he could sense something over there, but he did not know what it was. A divine light appeared from his eyes as he activated his Dharma eyes. A haze suddenly appeared in front of his eyes and he couldn't see through it no matter how hard he tried. In the meantime, Spatial and Time Linglong had arrived above the castle in the lake. Before they could come into the land, a horde of creatures rushed at them from below and started attacking them. What is going on? I can't sense anything even though they're fighting over there, Jiang Ming asked. Could it be that the castle is protected by some sort of formation? No. Linglong's eyes glowed. It should be an immortal weapon. An immortal weapon? Exactly. There are no strong people over there, and all of them are no match for Spatial Linglong. However, one of them is at the peak of the mystical immortal realm. He wields a powerful ability, and he could fight on par with Spatial and Time Linglong. According to my experience, the lake as well as the entire area over there is brought into existence by an immortal weapon. An immortal weapon, Jiang Ming mumbled, and he activated the world projection to envelop the entire area. At the same time, he activated the universe furnace, sending a shockwave across the Akasa. Then, he saw the surface of the lake begin to fold and the island began to turn blurry. It seemed like a painting that had fallen into the void. He could also sense a terrifying power from inside. You're right, it's formed by an immortal weapon, Jiang Ming said, his voice filled with surprise. Are those creatures trapped in there by mistake, or are they sealed in there? He squinted his eyes and zeroed in on one of them. The human path's record was opened. Name Peng Fei. Race Golden Wing Eagle. Gender male. Cultivation base level 13. Mystical immortal realm. Relationship 0. Innate talent Tai. Status originally the royal prince of the Golden Wing Eagle race. He was incredibly talented, but brutal at the core. He once devoured 3 million living creatures as food and was sealed in the Mountain River map. a great overarching weapon. Several years later, a tremor was sent over the mountain river map, causing the mountains to collapse and rivers to overturn. It seemed like everything was on the verge of destruction, but it came to a stillness in the end. However, everything inside had become a mess. He tried to run away, but to no avail. After some time had passed, he noticed that the master of the mountain river map was gone. He was both excited and stunned. He tried to run away again, yet he failed. In the end, he tried to refine the immortal weapon. As time passed, more and more creatures were coming into the map, and it was only then he realized the world outside was a ruin of a great war that had been forgotten in an unknown corner. The mountain river map, it's a great overarching weapon, but its owner died without any reason. Could it be that he was killed in the war? That's why the mountain river map was left here and formed a space like this. When the thought surfaced in Jiang Ming's, he poured more power into the universal furnace in an attempt to suppress the mountain river map. The difference between the grades of two immortal weapons was huge. However, since the mountain river map had lost its master, not to mention that it was damaged before, it only lasted for a while before it got crushed by the universal furnace. Senior brother, he's already dead, Linglong said. When you were repressing the map, he lost his power, and both of them killed him. It's just that they don't know how to come out of the map. Do you have any idea, senior brother? That is a great overarching weapon, but it doesn't have any master anymore. Tell both of them to refine it from the inside, while the rest of you do it from the outside. We're going to make this immortal weapon ours, Jiang Ming said. Linglong nodded. She flew away with the rest of the clones. They came to the middle of the air and sat in a lotus position. After that, they began activating their mana to refine the mountain river map. Yin Yang Linglong stayed on Jiang Ming's side to protect him. Senior brother? Yeah, it's just the two of us left here. So, I'm sure you know what I'm trying to say, senior brother. What? Are you crazy? We can't do it here. Why not? Nobody is watching. No means no. If you don't stop now, I'm going to smack you. Hee, you want to smack me? Come. You can smack me all you want. Senior brother, why is your face so red? Could it be that you're excited as well? Stop teasing me. Haha. Bam. The volcano burst and a phoenix appeared from within. Its wings were so wide that they covered the entire sky. Screech! The phoenix let out a cry before turning back to its human form and went back to Jiang Ming. When she saw what Jiang Ming and Yin Yang Linglong was doing, she harumphed coldly. Humph. Shameless. Jiang Ming was now sitting on top of a rock. He seemed a little bit excited as he looked at Phoenix Linglong, who was dusting her clothes, and asked, "How do you feel?" "Excellent." Phoenix Linglong replied as she smiled at him. "I found my opportunity there, and guess what I found inside, senior brother? It must be something related to fire. Since there are fire crows circling on top of the volcano, there must be a high-leveled creature inside. Could it be the three-legged golden crow?" "Bingo, senior brother!" Phoenix Linglong exclaimed. "There is nothing but lava inside the volcano, and at the bottom of it is the corpse of a three-legged golden crow in the Taiyi immortal realm. Unfortunately, it doesn't have much origin essence left since it has been eroded by time and due to the existence of the fire crows. I refined the remaining sun's true fire and allowed my bloodline to evolve once again. I guess I'm one step closer into the Taiyi realm. It really is the three-legged golden crow." Jiang Ming then remembered one expert that he killed in the past. In the person's status, he said that he had seen a great sun descending from the sun. Now that Jiang Ming thought about it, he was certain that the person must have seen the three-legged golden crow. After all, the three-legged golden crow was otherwise known as the god of the sun. Suddenly, a noise came from the area in front. A painting appeared from thin air and both spatial and time Linglongs came out of it. "We did it!" Linglong had returned as well, her face filled with joy. "This is a great overarching weapon. Although it's broken, it's still a very versatile and powerful item. Not bad. I'll be counting on you to protect our peak from now onward," Jiang Ming said. "Ha," Linglong pouted. "In the past, I always said that I would protect you and guard Chuyang Peak, but what happened was that you were the one who did everything in the dark. Senior brother, you should take this map. You keep it. I have other items to protect myself," Jiang Ming replied as he shook his head. "You should put more effort in your training so that you can step into the great overarching realm faster. Then, I can finally relax and enjoy the sun to my heart's content. Hee, then I'll massage your back." Ha. I'll be looking forward to it," Jiang Ming laughed. "Senior brother, you see, don't you think this is a moment that is worth celebrating?" Linglong walked forward, followed by the 8 clones. "You've already had a lot of fun with Yin Yang and Phoenix Linglong, so for the sake of fairness, you can't forget about us too." After a long while, Linglong carried Jiang Ming and both of them traveled across the entire area. After they had collected all of the immortal weapons and spiritual medicines, they returned to the stone monument and went back to the Yu Yang sect through the spatial node. To be on the safe side, Linglong added another layer of seal outside Chuyang Peak. Jiang Ming sat in the rattan chair and took a sip from his ginseng tea. "I'm sure I'd die in your hands one day." Senior brother, I've decided I must cultivate the pill-making techniques so that I can make some pills for you to regulate your body. Linglong blinked her eyes and chuckled, earning herself a glance from Jiang Ming. Senior brother, Linglong squatted beside him and said seriously, I don't feel good about the series of events that happened some time ago. There's no way the heavenly realm would let us go so easily after we've killed so many immortals and destroyed all of the sacred lands. Also, about the battlefield ruin beneath the Juyang sect. I'm sure there will be other people coming for it to get the mountain river map. After all, it's a great overarching weapon. It's going to be very dangerous after this, so I decided to go back to the inheritance space to keep on cultivating. Go ahead, Jiang Ming said. No matter what is going on, making yourself stronger is never wrong. What about you, senior brother? What are you going to do after I leave? I'll just do nothing. Answer me seriously, senior brother. I'm answering you seriously. There's nothing I can do other than enjoying the sun. Well, you're right. Your situation is different. It isn't very useful for you to cultivate in seclusion, so you can only enjoy the sun every day. Why don't you go look for Xiao to keep you company? Go ahead. When you come back next time, you will have a lot of nephews. Ha, nothing happened after you slept with all 10 of us for so long and you wish to impregnate Yi Yao? Don't make me laugh, please, senior brother. Are you looking for some beating? Yang Ming snarled. Hee, senior brother, wait for me. We'll have 3,000 children together, and each of them can learn one Dao, Linglong said as she activated the heavenly order. She took the 9 clones with her, and Jiang Ming couldn't help himself but let out a chuckle. He looked to the side and shouted, Senior brother Chang, come out. Have you come out of your seclusion already? Yeah, Chang Yiming replied as he landed in front of Jiang Ming. I didn't want to disturb you two, so I didn't show myself so soon. By the way, I have to admit that you're really good at raising Linglong. Look at her. She has grown up to be such a mature and beautiful woman. Watch your mouth! If she's here, she would have crushed you, Jiang Ming said. A chill rushed down Chang Yiming's spine as he looked around. After ascertaining that Linglong was not around, he let out a sigh and said gloomily, Stop scaring me. Ha! Come, let's drink. Jiang Ming prepared some dishes and took out the wine that he brewed himself. Sure, I've been craving your food for a very long time, Chang Yiming said. He had already stepped into the nascent soul realm and his cultivation speed had improved by leaps and bounds. Right now, there were plenty of nascent soul experts in the sect, and there would be more in the future. Both of them chatted with each other until nighttime. Jiang Ming watched the sky and flipped through the human paths record. When he saw the status of Shu Tao the Demon Lord, he nearly jumped up. Name Shu Tao race, blood demon race, gender male cultivation base, level 14. Demon Lord, golden immortal realm. Background, the third demon lord of blood red abyss small chiliocosm demon world. Relationship, -99. Innate talent, golden immortal. Status, after the invasion had failed and the last remaining bloodline seed was killed, he learned from his mistake and decided to join forces with other demon lords. He first approached the 9th demon lord and told him his plan. Then, they were joined by 15 others. They put their target in the Tianyuan world. They looked at the surroundings for a long time before they stumbled upon a barren demon land. All 16 demon lords then worked together to push the demon land toward the Tianyuan world. They were going to use the demon land to break the plains and destroy the origin force of the world to open the gate for them as well as to minimize the adverse effect. According to their calculation, there was 1 more year before the demon land would crush into the Tianyuan world. Yang Ming was furious. How dare he join forces with another 15 demon lords to push a demon land and crush into the Tianyuan world? Is he going to destroy my world? I won't forget you, Shu Tao. One day, when you fall into my hands, I'm going to give you a taste of all the torture methods in this world. Just you wait. Jiang Ming closed his eyes to calm himself down. He noticed that Shu Tao's innate talent had changed. Shu Tao's innate talent was the Golden Immortal, and he had already reached the Golden Immortal realm. In other words, he had fully developed his potential, and had already reached his limit. Another 16 demon lords would come to my world in another year. When that happens, I'm afraid those immortals wouldn't just sit by and watch. All hell would break loose, and there's a huge probability that I can't keep the situation under control with my current cultivation level. I might not even be able to protect myself. If that really happens, he would not care about it if he was alone. His junior sister was fully capable of protecting herself, but how about the Juyang sect? How about the eastern region and the rest of the world? I still have a few months left. The 20 years period is almost up, and I would be able to receive a ton of rewards at that time, but what if none of it is useful in raising my cultivation level? Jiang Ming's brain was spinning fast. He rose to his feet and began pacing back and forth on the rooftop. He lifted his head and looked ahead. His clanmates were working hard in cultivation, and the people in the town were talking, smiling, laughing, bustling in and out of their houses. This world, Jiang Ming let out a bitter smile. He did not care about what happened in the world outside. That was the reason why he did not make any move from the beginning when the catastrophe befell the eastern region. But right now, as he looked at this world, he did not want it to be destroyed. He did not want the people to live in despair, and he did not want his life to be disturbed. There's still time left. Yang Ming's eyes glowed with determination. When the sky had turned darker, he cast a seal around his courtyard and went into the Supreme Tower. There was no better place to cultivate in seclusion than here. He had not come here ever since he gathered with Dongfang Chenxi and the others that year. It was still very spacious here, and there was no one to be seen. He pulled out the Supreme Order and went into the chat room. Jiang Ming, is there anyone here? Aoju, yeah? I'm having some fun with a mermaid on a bed right now. Holy. Aoju, it truly surprises me that you haven't been drained dry yet. Niu Ben, it's only after I entered this chat room that I noticed that Brother Ju is better than me. I've never heard him getting out of his bed once. As you know, I've given birth to 800 children, and all of them could form into a huge clan already. Geez, old Niu, that's really impressive. Oh yeah, group admin, meet our new member. He's from the purple-eyed demon bull clan of Bahuang's small chiliocosm. He has been mutated, so he's exceedingly powerful, and now we've discovered another great thing about him. He's very good at propagating his bloodline. Niu Ben, nice to meet you, group admin. Well, I'm still inferior when compared to Brother Ju. Unlike Brother Ju, I can only sleep with 72 people at the same time, and I need to rest for half a month. You flattered me. Old Niu, I've decided. From now onward, I need to work harder and make more children. Who knows, one of them would turn out to be a genius. At that time, I can just rest and let him do all the work. Niu Ben, that's a good idea. I should work harder as well. Brother Ju, do you want to have a match? You dare to challenge me? Alright then, I accept your challenge. My target is 10,000 dragons. Shameless. Both of you, wandering prisid.
Silence.
Shameless. Shameless. Shameless.
You better hope that you won't run into me.
If not, I'd purify all of you and turn you all into followers of the light. Niu Ben Ornthari, I'm so scared. Hehe. Group admin Sheng Qingyu has just joined the chat room not long ago. She's an angel from Guanghui Great Chiliocosm. Shengxi is from a Great Chiliocosm as well, but both of them have a very different background. Group admin, can you see the pattern here? Jiang Ming, another one from a Great Chiliocosm. According to what I know, Great Chiliocosm is the highest level. Every Great Chiliocosm has countless middle Chiliocosms, small Chiliocosms, and planar worlds under it, and together, they form into a universe group. Sheng Qingyu, pleasure to meet you, group admin. I don't know much about the differences between worlds. After all, I'm only 14. A portion of my abilities and special abilities are sealed, so my cultivation level is only at level 10. Shang Ming, you're only 14 and you're already at level 10. Shang Ming was shocked. Whoosh! The human paths record opened up. Name Sheng Qianyu. Race Holy Angel. Gender female. Cultivation level, level 10. Background, daughter of the Saint Lord from Guanghui Great Chiliocosm. Relationship, 81. Innate talent, great overarching, innate holy light. Status, she was the first ray of light that was born from the Tao square opened by the Saint Lord to transform a world. She attained intelligence after fusing the angelic emperor's heart. Even so, she achieved level 10 in cultivation at the age of 10. She was bestowed with the Supreme Order and came to the Supreme Tower to cultivate. Jiang Ming was astounded after he read her status. Another great overarching? Not only that, but she's even more terrifying than Quan Xin. The Saint Lord activates a Tao square to transform a world. The Saint Lord, could she be a saint? She's a ray of light that has attained intelligence after fusing with the angelic emperor's heart. Shengxi's supreme order is given to her by her father, but this fellow here is bestowed with the order. Jiang Ming looked into the sky speechlessly. She had attained level 10 in cultivation at the age of 10, and it was under the condition that most of her power and special abilities were sealed away. Therefore, he could imagine how powerful she really was when all of the seals were lifted, and it was also only now that he understood the things Jun Sanqian told him at that time. Even though he was a genius in his world, he was nothing but a speck of dust in the vast universe. Although he was at the top tier in terms of combat prowess, he was only at a mediocre level among the top ones. What surprised him the most was that this girl came from a great Chiliocosm world. The chat room fell silent for a moment before Dongfang Chenxi said something, shattering the silence. Dongfang Chenxi, that's impressive, Sister Qin Yue. Brother Jiang, I only know of Shuhang world. It's the only world that dominates all other worlds, and it's the only great Chiliocosm that I've ever known. If Sister Qin Yu comes from a great Chiliocosm, according to what my father has told me, there is only one explanation. Sister Qian Yu and I are not in the same universe. Qin Yu. The Saint Lord has told me before that she's one of the strongest amongst the God realm, and beyond the God realm is nothing but an endless chaos. Why do we have to care about these? We are all small shrimps who haven't jumped out of the cage. We should savor the moment and work hard to cultivate. That's what we need to do. Zenge. Although I'm surprised and I'd like to explore different worlds, Eiju is right. We're too weak. We're nothing but a speck of dust in the vast universe, and there's no point in exploring it. Right now, what we should do is improve our cultivation level. Oh yeah, group admin, do you know that Mingfei, Tianfozi, and Zile have broken through the 10th level and left the chat group? I don't know if they can just get into a higher level group, so I really hope to see each other again in the future. Sigh, I'm starting to miss Wang Ye and Feng Wu. I wonder where they are now. Ju, I miss them too. I joined the chat room earlier than them, but they've already left. Fish. You should feel ashamed of yourself. They're working tirelessly in their cultivation, but you just spend your days in bed, having fun with different women. Ju, you're right. I shouldn't keep on like this anymore. I need to work harder. I want to become the group admin of a higher level chat room. At that time, I'll protect all of you. There were not many people in the chat room, but it was lively. Then, another person came into the Supreme Tower. Jiang Ming's heart trembled, and one person appeared beside him. She had a fine physique, and her body was glowing with a divine light. She looked just like a little angel who just came to the mortal world. I knew you're here. That person was none other than Dongfang Chenxi. As soon as she saw Jiang Ming, she ran toward him with a bright smile etching on her face. I'm going to cultivate here, so I thought I should let you guys know, Jiang Ming replied, offering her a smile. How is your cultivation going? He waved his hand and a couch appeared next to him. He gestured her to sit down and brew her a cup of tea. It's going great, but I'm not sure how long it's going to take for me to make a further breakthrough, Dongfang Chenxi said as she took a sip from the tea. But luckily, once my inner world becomes a planar world, I would have the combat prowess of a golden immortal. If it takes a step forward and becomes a small chiliocosm, I would be as strong as a Tai realm. But she paused midway through her sentence. What's wrong? Jiang Ming asked. My father told me that this will be a very tough path. The advantage is that I don't need to go into seclusion always for cultivation, Dongfang Chenxi replied before lifting her head to look at Jiang Ming. I'm sorry, brother Jiang. This is nothing personal. Haha, Jiang Ming laughed. Why are you apologizing to me? You've done nothing wrong. Besides, I'm not afraid of failing either. You're so optimistic, brother Jiang. Dongfang Chenxi chuckled. Honestly, only those who have a big background would take on the path of evolving their inner worlds, and most of them are able to evolve their inner worlds into the perfect planar world level. Once they've reached this point, only 1 out of 100 will be able to break through, and the time consumed will be measured in millions of years. After reaching the small chiliocosm, and if you would like to advance into the middle chiliocosm, for now, my father has only heard of one person who's achieved it. Yang Ming was stunned. However, he soon came around to his senses and asked, what is your father's cultivation level? Level 10. He's a quasi-sage. Quasi-sage? That's right. Terrific. Jiang Ming was taken aback, and at the same time his heart sank. Even a quasi-sage level expert had only heard of one person who took on the path of evolving the inner world into the middle chiliocosm. Jiang Ming did not know why, but he found it unbelievable. Hold on a second. If he has only heard of it, then it must not be in the great chiliocosm he's residing in. So, Jiang Ming sucked in air sharply through his teeth. Why is it so hard? He calmed himself down and asked again. That's because it needs plenty of time and resources, Dongfang Chenxi said. Anyway, don't worry too much, brother Jiang. My father said that someone like you from the mortal world must have been blessed with fortune to have taken on such a path. Therefore, you'll certainly be able to achieve something great in the future. Well, she's right. I have a system, the Human Paths Record, and the Supreme Tower. Besides, his junior sister had formed 9 clones for him, and she had gotten the inheritance from the heavenly venerate. If this was not blessed with fortune, then he did not know what it could be. However, after listening to the answers Dongfang Chenxi gave him regarding his questions, his heart was sinking lower and lower. Apparently, Dongfang Chenxi had a deep knowledge about evolving the inner world. The evolution of the inner world was the combination of the process of creation, the diffusion of laws, and the growing of the origin, and this required an enormous amount of time. Jiang Ming was very well aware of this. If he had enough resources, growing the origin was like a walk in the park. However, he couldn't just focus on growing the origin only. After all, if the origin was the foundation, then the process of creation and the formation of laws were equally important. If the formation of laws was incomplete and the frame of the world was underdeveloped, it would be difficult for him to break through. However, this process required a lot of time. Once his inner world had become a planar world, there were 2 ways to advance into the next level. One was to reach the limit, triggering a quantitative change and a leap into the small chiliocosm. Second was to comprehend 3,000 laws or heavenly immortal law. However, both routes were hard. Yang Ming was getting more and more lost after he talked to Dongfang Chenxi. He thought he just needed to keep on growing his origin essence, but it now seemed to him that he was wrong. The only good thing is that you'll have an unparalleled combat prowess and it would be easy for you to kill someone who's a lot stronger than you, Dongfang Chenxi said. This cultivation method suits me the best, but brother Jiang, if you need any help, just let me know. I have a lot of resources over there and I'll certainly help you. That's not necessary, Jiang Ming rejected as he shook his head. You've helped me too much. It's fine, you don't have to feel embarrassed at all, Dongfang Chenxi replied with a pout. I'm going to sleep here for a while and try my best to evolve my inner world to its peak. If I really can't break through, I'll let you know and beg you for your help. You don't have to beg me, Brother Jiang. I'll help you no matter what. You just need to let me know. Okay. After they had finished their conversation, Jiang Ming came to the Million Dao chart. He sat down and began to obtain the special abilities. A white mist slowly appeared around him and enveloped him whole in its white veil. Dongfang Chenxi looked at Jiang Ming with a complicated expression on her face. In the end, she left the Supreme Tower and went back to the real world. Time was fluttering slowly and Jiang Ming had no idea how long it had passed. Jiang Ming had gained multiple special abilities and he opened his eyes to let out a sigh. 100 years had passed, but his inner world did not grow into the size he had imagined in the first place, despite the fact that he had absorbed countless Xuhang origin essence and his origin had grown to an unimaginable proportions. Although the formation of laws and the process of creation were still very slow, they indeed had become a lot faster than they were in the past. Well, I guess I should take a nap. Jiang Ming leaned on the side and fell into a slumber. Time flew and many years had passed. Suddenly, he cracked his eyes open one day and he seemed a little bit confused. It took him quite a while before he finally regained his composure. It seems like I've slept for too long. Jiang Ming smiled bitterly. It was only now he truly realized how scary it was to take on the inner world path. The time consumed would drive one crazy. In order to kill the endless time, he could only force himself to sleep. He fell into a thought and formed a clone in his inner world. He stood above the sky and looked into the distance. The sky was high and there was nothing but a green wilderness in his vision. The mountains were compared to the last time. His inner world had become much more complete. I'm the master of everything here. Jiang Ming closed his eyes and all things came to his mind. He was able to manipulate everything here, or even create something out of thin air. He landed beside a river, and a fish leaped out of the river. It drew a perfect arc in the air before falling back into the water. Next to the river, a deer was drinking water. When it saw him, it quickly ran away. These are the creatures that I created, Jiang Ming mumbled. He stuck his hand into the water and grabbed a fish. He studied the fish meticulously and he noticed that it was nothing different from the fish outside. The world Dao in a sense is the creation Dao, Jiang Ming said as he returned to the Supreme Tower. He opened up his status in the Supreme Tower and glanced through it. Name Jiang Ming. Cultivation base, level 10. Accumulated points, 58,664, 22,109 plus 36, 555, 8th floor honor, heavenly stage, 10 stages, 36,555 supreme grade special abilities. He had a total of 58,664 points right now. I believe I can earn more points this time, Jiang Ming said. Would the owner of the Supreme Tower think of such a situation? He looked at the heavenly battle stage before turning his head and fixed his gaze on the heavenly ladder.